This is the D6 generation with your hosts Craig Gallant,
little thing I like to call a joke,
Russ Wakeland. I'd put the little white handkerchief on my head and go, "Oh, my brain hurts!" And Rafe Hollywood Granger.
HD is in the house.
With contributions from our lovely wives.
He cheated, cheater, Russ. You guys have to know the rules before you play him.
And our loyal listeners.
Drago, we made you out of steel.
Welcome to another edition of Rapid Fire, the roundtable discussion of all things gaming, coming at you with the speed of a massive steam-powered mega monster charging at you over difficult terrain. Tonight's edition is brought to you by Lord Hypnagogue, who would like to give a shout-out to all the folks at the miniatures page, Ohio Valley Gamers, the guys at the Louisville Game Shop, and his oh-so-tolerant wife, Stacey. Lord More Random Than Rafe, Hypnagogue. Woo. I'm Geekly McNerdigan, your host. Today, as always, our panelists are Russ, Harbinger of Change, Wakeland, and Rafe, Magpiest Magpie of the Magpies, Granger. Let's begin. Issue number 1. Change is defined as the act of becoming different, growing, metamorphosis, adaptation, evolution. All things must change or they will stagnate and die. As the old saying goes, if you're not learning, you're dying. However, as much as change is an important element of life, it is also that which many of us fear the most. In fact, a simple Google search for fear of change results in over 100 million hits. With the real fear of a very important element of life, it is amazing anyone gets anything done at all. Question, what change do you fear the worst? Rafe, gauging age is all the rage.
Pterodactyls flying in this present.
Russ, loss of control will take its toll.
Yeah, I'd say zombification.
Interesting that neither of you have given any thought to the fact that we will all be destroyed by the micro black hole that the particle accelerator under the Alps sent spinning into the core of the Earth a couple months ago. We're living on a time bomb, boys and girls, and you guys are worried about pterodactyls and zombification? How wrong can you get? Issue number 2. Among the many assets of your average gamer, good and bad, possibly the least endearing is their tendency to whine when someone disturbs their perfect nerd nirvana. This is given even more poignancy when one looks up the definition of whining. To utter a low, usually nasal, complaining cry or sound, as from uneasiness, discontent, or peevishness, or to snivel or complain in a peevish, self-satisfying way. Whether it's, I don't want min-maxed units, or Signar clearly will win every game now, or it's just like Warhammer. We all at Rapid Fire would like to welcome Privateer Press to the dubious world of the big league, where whining gamers rule. Question. In your best whiny voice, what is one thing you don't like about the Mark II rules for Warmachine? Russ, if you will force, but only with remorse.
Why do they make the points different?
Rafe, so much to explore, there must be pitfalls galore.
Why did they take away flying steel from my Dracoon?
You know, you guys are so good at whining, and now that I've got you on tape, I'm going to give you both a pass on this one. Issue number 3. Nice. With the blooming of May flowers comes the advent of summer blockbuster season. In a year so far, which has far outperformed previous years, there's great hope that Hollywood, the town, not the obscure podcaster, is back, baby. With X-Men Origins, Star Trek, Terminator, Salvation, Transformers 2, The A-Team, G.I. Joe, what geek worth his black t-shirt is not salivating over this summer's smorgasbord of future film classics? Woo. Question. Given the plethora of options for movie-going gamers, what are your thoughts on Stoic with Edward Furlong? Russ, I don't give a heck. It don't beat the Trek.
WTF.
Rafe, not to be a movie hater. It can't touch the Terminator.
I'm just waiting for Doubt to come on DVD.
How can you be so out of touch? Are you kidding me? Yui Bowl's newest film about 3 inmates who play poker to see which one has to vomit, eat the vomit, regurgitate, and then eat it again, and then they rape him for 10 hours anyway, and then they force him to kill himself. Sounds like another winner from the In the Name of the King and Blood Rain director. Issue number 4. Apathy is defined as an absence or suppression of passion, emotion, or excitement, or a lack of interest in or concerning for things that others find moving or exciting. Among the various types of apathy is disease-induced indifference, voter apathy, and shell shock. To those of us passionate about life, the apathy of others is often confusing and frustrating. For instance, when a really cool and cutting-edge podcast is offering over $100 worth of cool prizes in the last few months, and less than 10 of you can be bothered to enter the contest, it concerns us. Question. How can we get more people to enter contests so that they win really cool prizes and we can know that they exist in the future? Rafe, a bribe for the tribe would set the vibe.
They need to listen to the Instance podcast with 18 gajillion.
Russ, it's sweet. We greet only the elite.
Make the contest simpler.
Wrong! Using the patented mind control array of Dr. Destructo, we will, of course, ignore the patents pending, as we will clearly have decided to cross the line into supervillainhood ourselves at this point. We will make all of our listeners take part in every contest until their lips bleed. Then and only then will we know we've got the best entries, and with those, we will take over the world! Sorry.
Nice.
That's it for now. Thanks for listening, and good night! You're listening to the D6 generation.
Hello, and welcome to episode 30 of the D6 generation. I'm Russ Wakeland.
Yeah, I'm Craig Gallant.
I'm right. THX and I can't. And LucasArts Films. That's me. Oh, I can't help it. Craig had me cracking up.
What are you talking about?
I don't know what he's talking about. Rafe
No.
is clearly unprofessional. Ooh, stop picking on him.
Oh, right.
We don't want another 3-star review.
I know people are getting upset with us picking on Rafe.
Craig,
We love
that
Rafe.
thing.
We love Rafe.
Craig, do that thing where you go in a whirl.
I don't know of
I
what
don't
you
know what
speak.
you're talking about. Anyway, we're on to episode 30 here, which no one's commented on.
No, 30's huge.
It seems like
You're a man at 30.
Is that what it is?
You're no longer a boy.
What happens when you're 18?
That's right.
When you're 18, you can get drafted, but you still can't drink, so that kind of sucks.
Good point. Okay, well, we're in episode 30 here, and today we're going to talk about Warmachine Mark II.
Oh, look who got the board working, Rafe. That's so weird.
Yeah.
Now,
It's funny how
one
that
little note about
happens.
this. Even if you're not a Warmachine player, our approach, we're going to try to analyze not only what they did to Warmachine, but also sort of like how Privateer Press approached this. So even if you're not a Privateer gamer, you might enjoy listening to how a company looks at this amount of change. So we're going to do that, and we're also going to have the big contest results from what, Craig?
Cutthroat Caverns.
Yes, our Cutthroat Cavern results are in, and we're going to play some of those crazy entries for you today.
And
I got
we were-
something to say first, though, about episode 30.
Okay, are you finally
I'm
calmed down
supposed to
enough for me?
be
Yeah.
in his house, in the Wakeland compound, but I'm not. But I'm going to bring the energy like Randy does on American Idol from afar.
He's going to
So
bring the
everybody
lightning.
All right.
Strap it on.
Yeah.
Okay. And on that note, we'd
episode
like
30.
to thank our advertisers.
I would like to ask our listeners how you're supposed to deal with that. Really? What would you suggest we do with strap it on? Honestly.
You're supposed to
We're supposed to just let Rafe get a freebie on that one, not mention it at all.
Yes, so anyway, we want to thank our sponsors who, without them, Rafe certainly could not strap it on.
No, that's true.
So we want to thank Myriad Games.
What kind of games do they sell there?
A myriad of games. Board games,
Yes,
card games.
so many
role-playing games.
so little time.
And they're supporting the D6 generation on behalf of all friendly professional gaming stores everywhere.
and they're doing a great job of it.
They are. And so if you are looking for something, make sure you go to their local store first because they need your help to stay around, and they are the guy that can give you the games fastest.
Give you the place to
check them out.
Give you the place
the
to
bestest.
play.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Take care of you. I got a little email from Dan just yesterday with a whole bunch of links to a bunch of new stuff that's coming out that I'm interested in.
Yeah, Dan sent me an email and said, hey, Small World just came out.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
heard.
So also battlefoam.com, right?
Battlefoam.com.
Rafe, what's cool about Battlefoam?
You know what I'm excited about that is I had mistraced something, and so I finally finished a couple models in preparation for the Mach 2. So I'm very excited to get those tracings out to Romeo so I can get my new battle foam tray.
Yeah, Battlefoam makes all kinds of
And-
cool foam for your army.
What I want to
Anything.
do,
Fit
these are
anything.
custom foam for your army, and it's the nice, thick, protective kind of foam. The other thing
yeah.
I want to do, Russ, is I want to try to see, you know how they have the standard cutouts, Craig, for, what's that game you play? You went to, where'd you go? Illinois or someplace?
Chess.
Yes, chess.
40K, Adepticon.
Yeah. I want to see Russ if he's got some custom cutouts for, regular cutouts for Warmachine.
Oh, I don't
Yeah.
think he's gotten there yet because the jacks are also differently shaped. But,
I was thinking for maybe the troopers.
well, he might. He might.
Well, actually, they're not technically 40K models. They're 28 millimeter
Yeah,
models.
so they probably fit in there.
And he's got variations that are for guys that have spears,
Right.
guys that have bows and arrows,
So
guys
I'd be
that
curious
have
to see if like your
a
Iron
wide
Fang Pike would fit in the
stance.
standard.
Yeah.
That's
I bet-
exactly what I meant to
That'd be
say.
interesting.
Thank you.
I bet you email him, and I bet he will know exactly which
He'll be able to
trays
tell
you guys
you.
will fit.
He will.
The man's got the entire inventory in his head.
He does. It's
and
pretty
it's
impressive.
crazy.
And he's very friendly. Call him up. He'll answer the phone. He'll be right there.
Oh.
Also, paintedfigs.com.
How
We
are those
love 'em.
Battle Lore figures coming?
Which Battle of Figures? Oh, yes,
For Painted
I
Figs,
just
right?
mailed them out to Painted Figs last week, and they just received them. So they're going to try them out. I'll have more on that in Achievements in Gaming.
Wow, really? That was pretty fast.
Yeah.
It was very
well, they're not done yet. They're just in their hands now.
No, but I mean,
Yeah,
still,
but
that's fast to
to
go
get
across
over
the
there.
ocean.
Oh, yeah.
I'm still waiting on something I ordered from England over a month ago.
From who?
I would rather not say because they're being really nice about it, but they've already sent it twice and it hasn't made it either time.
And they're not a sponsor.
Well, there's that.
All right, so fair enough. Well, so we want to. Speaking of the word sponsor, because those are our advertisers, and if you want to advertise on the show, send us an email. We'll send you our rate card and all the information about how you can get on the show and get your products promoted. But if you want to sponsor the show, and this is for regular old Joe's listeners who are just gamers, want to get the word out,
like you.
participate in our show, get on the show. How do you do that, Craig?
Well, if you wanted to get on the show, you could go to our website and you should punch on the auction button, or you could go to eBay and you could do a search for the D6 generation. And if you do either of those things, it's going to bring up a whole list of every one of our regularly occurring segments, and you can bid anywhere starting at 99 cents, I believe, right?
99 cents.
99 cents, and quite often they go for 99 cents.
Sometimes.
You can be a part of the show. We will read your little shout-out or big shout-out, as the case may be. And
Or in my case, you'll just misread it.
or not read it.
Right.
Right.
But that could be anybody. That could happen to anybody.
Yep, you could be on there. So please do check it on eBay, and you can make it for cheap. Now, also, we announced this in the news last episode.
We did, but we didn't,
talk
talk
about it.
And I would like to, because I've been checking it out.
We are now
Members,
we're in two places at once.
we are.
We are violating the laws of space and time.
And Eddie and time case.
That's what it's his couch. Day.
82.
So basically, what we are still a member of WARN, proud member of the Wargamer Radio Network, but now we have also just joined what, Rafe?
Pulp Gamer.
Yes, Pulp Gamer, which is also a great podcasting network, and Pulp Gamer
Fantastic.
focuses on board games
And role-playing
games, and Wargamer Radio Network focuses on miniature war games. And here we are, the D6 generation.
Here
we do both.
we are stuck in the middle.
So
We skirt the line.
we're going to help by being both networks, and both networks are like, that sounds cool to us.
Absolutely.
So we're in two networks. We're very excited about that. We're very excited to be part of some of these amazing
Yep.
podcasts on the Pulp Gamer Network.
So you go to pulpgamer.com, you can check out all the latest stuff. And just the other day, I downloaded a whole bunch. Check them out, and I'm loving them. I've already got a bunch that are going
They're all
to be
excellent.
regular for me. We've got actually last episode they got a shout out, and we didn't know they were Pulp Gamer people. Game on with Cody
Yes.
and John.
Game On just joined the Pulp Gamer Network.
see?
Well, we at the same time we did.
Well,
so
there
they
you
bought a
go.
shout out on our show to promote their show, and then joined Pulp Gamer. So it all worked out. It was very cool.
It all worked out great.
Yeah,
and
nice.
and Cody and John are great guys. They have a great podcast.
They really
Their
do.
latest episode is actually all about True Dungeon at Gen Con, which is what I now want to do with you guys and force you into.
Yeah, but we might have missed that window already.
Rafe, am
No,
I
I
wrong?
think
Or
we could
you
do
could
it.
still sign up when we were there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
I
I
think
so.
get in there. That sounds like
Yeah,
fun.
it sounds like. I mean, it looked neat from the outside, but having listened to their show, they did.
sounds really
they
good.
actually did some interviews inside while they were doing
Yeah,
it.
I heard that one.
Yeah.
So check out Game On for all the details on True Dungeon.
Yep.
And how that
Our
all
buddies
works.
at Myriad Games.
Yep. Myriad Games are on there,
And then there's a couple that are actually Pulp Gamer Productions, and one of them's called Pulp Gamer Inside Track, which is sort of a roundtable with various Pulp Gamer hosts. And the very latest episode they did was Controversial Games, which I thought was really interesting.
And the one before that, they were on the Gamer Cruise. I didn't know
yeah,
this,
yeah,
but
yeah.
there's a whole travel agency just dedicated to booking travel for gamers.
Oh, you're kidding.
You go on a cruise line, and the boat, it's not only gamers, but there's a large chunk of gamers there, and there's tournaments, board games. It's crazy.
Wow, that's a travel agency?
Well, it's like one travel
But-
agent or something that's organized. It's called like Gamer Adventures or something like that. Yeah.
Right?
I want to go on that.
Yeah, we got to check
So
that
you
out.
gotta check that out too. So that's pretty cool.
So anyway, so that's
pulpgamer.com.
Pulp Gamer.
Check it on out.
Big
We're a
fans.
proud member of that.
And members.
go.
Now, also, another way you can help out our show, besides listening to the networks and being an advertiser, being a sponsor, let's say you don't want to do any of that. Well, you should, but if you don't want to, that's fine. You can. What button can they click, Granger, to help donate to the show?
the donate button, but I know what you really want to say is going to iTunes.
Oh, well, yes, we wanted to. You can donate to the show also. And if you could donate at least $25, you can earn some myriad money. But you also can help us out if you don't want to. If you can't do that, and let's say money's a little tight right now, tough times, we understand that. iTunes is a great way to let other people find out about our show.
Absolutely.
And what we like to do every once in a while is go through all the wonderful reviews on iTunes and give shout-outs to the folks who have taken the time, because we know iTunes can be a little tricky to use.
I really wanted to do it last show so we could break the 5-hour mark, but you guys voted me down.
Right. So today, starting with Mr. Granger, Hollywood.
Yep.
THX HD Dolby 5.1.
And LucasArts Light Productions.
Copyright infringement pending. Why don't you go ahead and tell us some of the folks in the USA who left us some very nice iTunes reviews.
We got Maladingo. We got Bretland, Maryland. War Games
I think that's
Deep
I think
War
that's
Games.
Brett in Maryland.
And we got Majax,
He's
who
just gonna
says
keep
fresh
going.
and fantastic.
Yes.
That's us. I assume he means us.
Yes.
We've got LeSueur 001. Exactly who you want across the table. Not him, that's us.
No, he would like he was saying that we would be the exact gamers you want playing it across the table from you.
That's
Well,
'cause
me.
He doesn't know you.
Or you. It could have been all
He
about
doesn't know
Hollywood.
Russ.
Exactly. We got the Orange Hussar,
Hussar, I believe.
who says that the source of all things gaming is the D6 generation. Then, of course, you have Sin Shadow,
Shin's
Reaper of
Shadow.
the Lost. And for any gamer, you just want to listen to the D6G. That's
From
what
any
those
game.
fellas
Yeah.
basically say.
That's right.
This is what
You
we
got-
call ad-libbing.
No, it's good, man.
It's all right. You're doing fine,
It's all
Rafe.
good.
Continue.
You got-
Please stop insulting Rafe, Craig.
I'm sorry.
Give the guy
Really
a break,
should.
Great job.
okay?
Doing a great job.
Just give him a break. Okay.
Doing a
Because
great
we
job.
take a hit for that in mid thing here, which I'm going to get to. But Olderman and Vincel and Colin13, they don't miss an episode.
Nice.
I mean, when it comes on iTunes, they get it like lightning because they're subscribers.
He is bringing it. He's bringing it.
Oracle Fowl, to him, it's hanging out with his buds. It's hanging out with his friends. John Pinto, J-Bar, Mark Dieter, nothingzero.com. I don't even know what that is. This is
What?
the D6G is Game Info Nirvana.
Let's give that guy a little bit of prop. It's nothing zero in leet speak is what it is.
Yeah, that.
Yes, right.
He says that we provide game info both like the band Nirvana and like the higher state of mental.
Which one of us is going to die young? That's the question.
I
Sorry.
don't know. I hope none of us.
Good point. All right.
E-Miracle, he says, or she says, we are the best gaming podcast in the history of the world. And I know from
Very nice.
Craig's trips to Europe that the world's really old. Ben Neitzel, now, he loves Dolby 5.1's casual gamer flair. And I'd like to say I love Ben. Storm D wants to call this the Hollywood Show and Friends. And Storm D, listen, I could not disagree with you more. That's Hollywood brings an energy and dynamism to his podcast's performances like no other. More HD loving dribble. That's a quote.
Yeah, there was a lot. His whole thing is about HD. It's like in a very.
I think
glowing
more
term.
HD loving drivel is Russ speak.
That might have been a Russ commentary in there. Yes. Go ahead.
No, he's saying he wants more, dude. You put it in
Oh,
there.
is that what he's
That's
saying?
what
Okay, all right, fair enough.
Hank Harpoon,
Yeah.
Mech Jag, I like that name. Xerxes. Craig, do that one.
I don't know. Russ just got rid of the
Xerxes.
I believe I'm going to go out on a limb and say Xerxes.
Yeah.
He asks us if we married, because we are married.
He's only in
Xerxes.
episode
This
9.
is hilarious. Okay, so his post says, "Are you guys married?" He's saying he's listened to the show since episode 1. He's now up to 9.
Yep.
And he can't believe some of the nasty things we say about our wives, and we better pray they don't listen.
Oh, really?
I wish I could see the look on Xerxes' face when he gets to episode 11 and when Wise Attack comes on. That'd be great.
I was about to say.
But yes,
what is
Xerxes,
he
we
nuts?
are married, as you probably know by now.
Yeah.
Speaking of wives, I have to give a shout out to someone's wife. That would be Craig's wife, Karen, because that do you ever notice? Craig, what do you get for actors? Emmys?
You can get an
gets
Emmy.
one of those.
You can get a Tony.
A Tony.
Yeah.
She needs to get one of those.
Yeah.
That was
You guys did a great
hilarious.
job. That was an awesome.
That was all her too.
That's
all,
what I'm saying. I
when
could
she
tell it
got
was
the
good.
idea, she wouldn't let me alone.
So what other iTunes reviews we got there, Rafe,
We've
in
got
the U.S.?
Besh Kno, I don't know, Gliss Shade, and Navin W. I recognize that name.
Naveen is from Painted Figs. A little review from
Naveen, yes.
Naveen, yep.
And Bertonius and Meltor_01.
Nice.
They just think we're the bomb bullet.
So, Craig, what about Canada?
Canada.
Our friends up north, eh?
Asalos says, Craig adds a lot with his theatrical nature. I don't know what you're talking about. Rafe asks the everyman questions, and Russ is the balance.
I don't know what that means.
Oh, that's just ridiculous.
Maybe I'm
also loves the wives and the score, as do we. Kulshrush, that's one I know I'm supposed to be able to know how to pronounce, so I apologize. The D6G and Podhammer are the best gaming podcasts ever, and he misses Jeff.
But we have some exciting news about Podhammer.
Well,
possibly.
We
know that Podhammer is back with a guest.
Podhammer is
with a
back
host.
with Trent Dennison, who's a guest host, and he's been doing a couple episodes, not as regularly as Jeff did.
Well, he's trying to get into it. But
And rumor has it,
Jeff is contemplating
a return, a
Possibly.
triumphant return.
We don't know if it's permanent,
Back.
cameo appearance, whatever.
Yes,
but
he's back.
keep an eye on Wargamer Radio and Podhammer.net.
That's
for
right.
more information. If you're a Podhammer fan, good news is coming, we think.
I, for one, miss the early show Jeff, not the latter show Jeff.
Well, maybe he'll be back. Who can say?
Yeah. Who can know?
Russ, what do the Germans have to say?
Doc Raven says, great gaming podcast, and then the entire review is again in German.
Once more, the Germans are typing in German.
So they're typing in their native language, which is fine.
Which is
but,
good.
Thank you for that.
Was
We
it
really
good
appreciate
star-wise?
Yes.
Well, then who the heck cares what he
That's
said?
right. That's right.
He could be like, these guys suck,
You
I
got the
hate
message
them.
across, right.
You know what? Stars can be translated in any language.
That's right.
That's very true. The universal language.
Now, in
if
the
you will.
UK, we got one from Lumpy Mungo, who
Not
says...
too shabby.
Not too shabby.
Not too shabby.
We got Razrail71, who says, we are the purveyors of gaming sugar, which I believe is a reference to Rafe constantly comparing me to someone who sells sugar.
Right.
Right, which I still don't get, but apparently Razrail does.
Okay.
It's the Native Americans went nuts.
Oh, is that what it
when,
is? Oh,
the Spaniards brought over sugar.
okay. I'll take your word for it. Jinx Zero, Bell Hoth, not too horrible, he says.
And here we go.
Dizette. Okay. Now, Dizette says, stop being mean to Hollywood.
That's right.
He
That guy's
gave us
got my back.
only 3 stars, and he said he stopped listening because we were being too rude to Rafe.
So it's
I
all
concur.
about loving
So
Hollywood.
today's episode, there's no hate.
Well, there isn't hate. And I would like to point out that if we give somebody a nickname, that's not hating them.
Well,
The
first of
people
all,
we hate,
I
we
like
don't
to-
mention.
I like to point out we didn't give him a nickname.
No, him. But I'm telling you otherwise. I'm speaking to other people.
Okay. Oh, I know what you're talking about, Nayas. The reference.
Okay? And I guarantee you that Shifty giggles every time he hears us call him Shifty.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't call him Shifty anymore. He's now Sparky.
Yeah, I call him.
Oh, after his maneuver last week, he's Shifty is what he
I
is.
call him One Banner Will because his first 2
That's
games of Battle
true.
he only scored 1 banner. Although
That's
now he's
true,
doing
too.
very well in second, 3rd place. So.
Yeah.
Then we have Limbo Wraith. I love this name, Haggis Basher.
Yeah,
He says we're the best podcast out there. We got Relfie and Hakuda.
Hakuda.
And how about Ireland, Craig?
Bubbagar says we're just great. And Ben McDruce says keep on rolling.
And then Rafe, why don't you take us home from Australia?
All right, well, from Australia, we've
Hello.
got Trickster
Hello, mate.
61.
Yep.
He likes our interview skills.
Oh, wow.
We have,
and they say,
Ray-
you're
Ray
awesome. We
Bougie.
love you, Rafe.
Rafe.
Stop. 3 stars.
No.
3
No,
stars.
I'm just saying, if you would have any comments on Rafe's exquisite Australian accent, please send them to Hollywood at thegeneration.com. All right, continue, Rafe. Go ahead.
Zippy Wonder Dog.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Zippy says, go bigger, longer, uncut, and less waffling.
Yeah, Zippy likes the show. He thinks we're a little long sometimes, and he thinks if we cut out the waffling, probably like this part right now, we would the show would be more concise and better. But you know,
I thought he was saying keep it up.
no, hey, what are you going to do?
Say, man, he's nuts.
Okay, so thank you very much again. The iTunes thing, we'll try to do that a little more often, so it's not quite so long every time. But we really appreciate it, guys.
We do. It does.
have
It does help us a lot.
a lot of iTunes reviews. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time. We really do
I could
appreciate
care
it.
less, but
And we love the funny comments in there. That makes it fun to read and a little more exciting. So
oh, that's true. I do like that part.
now we also have some contests.
We do.
First, we have to take care of the results of the last contest,
We do.
which is what today's show is half about.
Half about.
So a little while later, we're going to go through the Cutthroat Cavern entries, and we'll announce the winner for that. Win, what are they going to win, Craig?
They're going to win every piece of the Cutthroat Caverns game that now exists.
Right, about
which
$95
means
worth of Cutthroat
It is
Caverns.
it's plus that now, but by a teeny little bit. But,
Okay.
Okay, it's Cutthroat Caverns, It's Deeper and Darker.
Yep.
It's Relics and Ruins.
Yep.
And it's Oh Crap.
Oh, crap. What's
Yeah,
Oh, crap?
I can't remember the other.
Oh, okay. Oh, crap. Cool.
Come on, help me out.
I don't remember.
Anybody?
There's 5 of them. Okay, so
It's
then...
in a-
there's
it's in a
4
black
expansions
box.
plus-
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little black box.
Now-
Also, though, we've actually managed to we kept it from Gen Con. We have the Gen Con limited edition wow, what just happened to me? Encounter card signed by Kurt Covert
Ooh, that
himself.
does throw it over $100, doesn't it?
So that's
Nice.
right in
So now
there.
there's an impossible to get item.
There you go.
Also, super rare. Also, we normally would go into before we do voicemail, we have a Painted Figs contest also going on right
We
now.
do.
Last chance to get in on the mailing list to win another painted guys from Blackreach, right?
Yep,
Greg?
all the Marines painted however you'd like them to be painted.
From the Blackreach
Pink.
set.
They can be pink.
What's in the
want
Blackreach
them to
set
be
again, Craig?
In the Blackreach set, you will find a tactical squad.
Oh, wait. Russ, why can't I answer this?
You know?
No.
Okay. So, Rafe,
Okay.
what's in the Blackreach set? Go.
I have no idea. Craig, go ahead.
Thanks, Guy. I love you, brother. 10 tactical Marines with a sergeant, a flamer, and a missile launcher. 5 Terminators, a Space Marine commander, and a dreadnought. I wish all of you could have seen Russ's pantomime on a dreadnought.
It looked something like this. Warning, warning. All right, so anyway, so get those entries in. How you do that is simply sign up for the mailing list for Painted Figs through our site. Head over to the d6generation.com and click on the contest entry, and it'll tell you how to do that. And by getting on that mailing list, you're entered in the contest, and you can pick them to be painted any way you like.
You could even have them pink with little flowers on the shoulder pads. Whatever
floats
you
your boat.
want.
Now, normally we'd go into voicemail here, but we've got tons of voicemail to go through in the contest entry.
You bet.
But if you'd like to leave us voicemail, either for a contest entry or just a comment about a question on the show that we'll answer on the show, if your comment is not too horrible, call our number at Rafe. What's the number?
339-368-6051.
And that number again
folks,
is?
That's 339-368-6051.
That's right.
And if you call now, you will get
I
absolutely
was going to
nothing.
say, I think I heard that voice last night at like 1 o'clock in the morning when I fell
That's
asleep
right.
in front of the TV.
Yeah, wow.
Looking for a second job.
Well,
Yeah, so if you call that number, you can get you his voicemail. If you, for some reason, don't want to call that number, you can also use Skype to leave his voicemail, the.d6.generation, or you can even email us an MP3 or WAV file. I won't take them that way, too.
you bet.
But now, Craig, what's the time for?
Achievements in gaming.
Nice. And Rafe, whose achievements in gaming brought to us by today?
Achievements in Gaming brought to you by Steven, who says hello to Ankh and thanks to the D6G gang for a great podcast.
You sure that's not Anka? As in
It could be Anka.
Paul Anka?
Could be.
I'm just
could be.
saying.
Now, we should also mention that Steven is a American serviceman currently serving in Germany.
In Germany. Thank you, Stephen, for your service.
Really appreciate
Yes.
it. And I just found out that Steven, in a little email exchange, is living in Stuttgart.
Yeah.
And I spent my freshman year of high school in Stuttgart American High School.
Really?
So I was right near where he is.
There you go.
You guys are alums.
Well,
Yeah.
he's probably working there as I went to school there, but still.
Oh, yeah, good point. Good point.
All right.
I'd like to take just a second to thank listeners Jeff and Derek, 2 guys who are helping me out with a lot of advice about China. And Dan, who's a listener who's helping us out. He's a graphic designer from Australia who's working on some images that we may be able to show
achievement
to
for image work.
And
Nice.
OMG, those things look
Nice.
cool.
some beautiful work coming down the pike.
Now, what's that PMing thing going on?
Every now and then someone is PMing me from the DACA forums, which is fine when I get it at home, but if I get it at school, I can't look at it and I forget that you PM'd me. So just email me at Craig at the d6generation.com if you want to get any kind of reasonably quick response.
Nice. Okay.
That's it.
So let's talk about what we've been playing since our last show.
Oh, you mean the actual achievements?
Right. First of all, I'll start because why not? I got to play, finally, it's been a while, Space Alert.
You've played it before?
No, but
Then it's been a long while.
Well, no, I heard a lot about it. This game is by the same guys that make Galaxy Trucker.
Oh, yeah?
So it's sort of a wacky, crazy, tongue-in-cheek, sci-fi, Douglas Adams team kind of game.
Okay.
But it's a co-op game, and basically what happens is it's really weird. It's a 2-round game, very, very short. It's 2 basically 10-minute rounds, and up to 5 people work together, and you're all crew on the spaceship.
Yep.
And you listen to an audio CD.
Really?
And
while you're playing?
Yeah, first listen to the audio CD, and the audio CD says something like this. Target detected. Location, blah, blah, blah. Incoming. Intruder alert, incoming here. And then you mark these little things on the map, and you try to move your guys around to do certain things. It's almost like Robo Rally. You program your moves. And then after you're done, then you go back and you read a card that tells you what the CD said and see if you actually got it right or if you blow up. And like things happen, parts of the space station blow off and you fail. It's pretty interesting. It's a very interesting game, very unusual.
Was it fun?
It was very fun.
So it's an audio game?
It's both. It's like Galaxy Trucker. It's so different than anything else you've ever played. It's almost impossible to describe. It's sort of like Robo Rally because you program things, but it's really bizarre. It's interesting. I don't think it'll appeal to everybody, but you should try it at least once. So if you find this thing lying around someplace, try it out. It's pretty cool.
Is it not? It's not available now?
It's hard to find. It's like Galaxy Trucker was. It's not huge print runs, and so it's here and there. And I think it's back in the U.S. a little bit, but it's also not cheap because it's from overseas.
Yep.
So
like Galaxy Trucker.
Like Galaxy Trucker, right? Also got to play. We've been doing a lot of Battle Lore. So we'll take a couple achievements for that.
You should take a bunch.
The XCam is going great guns.
It is.
People are playing
at their homes, in their workplace.
They're playing on Vassal at like 1 in the morning. It's been 1 week. We've got like 13 games in already.
It's crazy.
Wow. And what's really been fun about it is a lot of people have some really good ideas about how to make it even cooler. Like one of the things in the XCams we always try to do is like when you get control points. And for those of you who are not familiar with the XCam concept, we went over it a couple shows ago. And if you go to the website, we have some rules up there. Look for the little Army Sergeant hat.
Oh, yes.
Drill Sergeant hat.
Drill Sergeant.
Right. And if you, but anyway, so the Battle Lore XCam, eventually in the XCam, you get control points. And we've always, in all of our other campaigns, it's really nice to have the ability to sort of like progress, like have your units get more experience or something.
Yeah.
And in Battle Lore, I didn't think there was anything like that, but it turns out in one of the expansions, there are cards that you can normally take 2 of that allow you to, after you deploy your army, to play them, and it gives you things like archer spikes, or you can upgrade one unit to dwarves. Or, And so I think we're going to add that to the game to let people, like when the per control point, play one of those cards and get upgraded.
Oh, yeah.
It's just really fun. People are like digging the monsters and all the craziness that is involved with it. So a really fun game. So we'll definitely, I've already updated the Battle Lore XCam rules once already online. So if you go back to the website, they're definitely updated.
Yep.
Like little tweaks, like you can use the Battle Lore dice now to roll missions and things. But also, we got updated again with even more rules with call to arms and stuff, so some good stuff going on there. So we had a really fun time with that. I got some Warmachine Mark II in. I'll take a couple achievements for that. I got 2 games in. I got a game in with Rafe and a game in with Patrick.
Yep.
I think one other game, too.
And congratulations are due to Patrick, right?
And our friend Patrick just got into West Point.
Indeed.
We are very excited.
As a Norwich grad, that makes me sort of sad. Just kidding. That was for Andrew, in case he's listening.
What's really cool about Patrick, we've been gaming with Patrick since he was like, I don't know, 12,
Tiny.
13.
12 or something. Yeah,
so it's really nice to see him doing so well. And so
he grew up okay.
Yeah, he's all right.
Yeah, exactly.
So good job, Patrick. Congratulations. And also, I got into, are you ready? I got into the Blood Bowl beta.
That deserves some
I'll take an
special
achievement
effects.
for that. That was, yes, that's right. Here we go.
What'd you get into?
Blood Bowl beta.
How's it going?
So, well, I mentioned this on the show a while ago. Blood Bowl, everybody knows what Blood Bowl is, right? It's that rugby-style fantasy football game by Games Workshop. In my opinion, the best, most balanced Games Workshop game ever created by the company. And Blood Bowl, the computer game now, for both eventually the PC, the PSP, the PSP, the PC, the PS3 and the 360 is coming out this summer for various platforms at various times, but the beta just started on the PC. And I am bound by an NDA, so I can't tell you much, except it is really, really fun. And Will and I have already played on, it's multiplayer beta, so we played it online a couple times, had a blast with it, and it's so true to the Blood Bowl rules that we were looking up in the living rule book to figure out how to do
I heard,
things.
yeah.
So it's very, very fun.
That's what Will was saying. Right out of the living rule book.
So they're doing a good job with it.
Sparky thinks everything's fun.
He does.
He does.
He's a very excitable young boy.
I don't know what that's like. And then also,
yeah, Russ is nothing like that.
We have to think.
He's like his Padawan.
I have to get an achievement to one of our listeners, who also happens to work for a gaming company, or at least is related to this.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Oh crap!
We would like to thank Herr Falk Calamors.
There we go. From Pegasus Spiel. And
Spiel.
right? And they are a game company in Germany, and they sent us complimentary copies for our review of Munchkin, along with Munchkin expansions 2, 4, and 6.
Nice.
Apparently 1, 3, and 5 were not available for comment. So I have only played Munchkin like once a lot.
And I've never played, but
So
everybody says it's a lot like Cutthroat Cavern, so
Right.
I'm looking forward
So
to
we're
playing
to break it out and try it out. I've heard it's like
And I've
Cutthroat.
only played the Munchkin spoof, which is the one where you play like a goth chick and the gamer
That's
nerd.
what this
and-
is.
Huh?
This is that.
No.
No?
Craig, isn't Munchkin and Russ, isn't Munchkin an actual game where you play like little dwarves and elves and soldiers?
Yeah, but it's all cartoony. It's all
all
spoofy.
cartoony.
It's very spoofy.
I know, but there's a spoof on that.
Well, no, there's other versions of Munchkin. You're right.
Yeah.
There's a Munchkin, like there's a Space Marine Munchkin,
Yeah, right.
I'm sure there's some sort of gamer Munchkin also.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
yeah.
we'll try out. There is a game of Munchkin because you collect things. I remember.
Yeah.
Alex
That's
told
the
me
one,
about that.
Russ. That's the one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the one. You're right.
So wait, is that part of the Munchkin series?
No, we
No,
have
this is
like the
different.
standard Munchkin.
This is Munchkin. Like you
See,
go into a
that's what I
dungeon.
thought. That's
Yes,
what I was
you're
trying
right.
to say.
the Need for
Actually, you're right.
Speed,
I don't think
Demented Dungeons.
I think the only one I've played is the one Rafe's talking about. I don't think I've ever played this one.
Really? Well,
I think
I
I'm
can't
looking
wait.
forward to trying it out. So we got that, and thank you very much. He also sent along some Kinder eggs, which my kids
Oh,
love.
very nice.
And a couple of them got squished in there, and that's why there's chocolate in the box. So,
Where's my Kinder eggs? I have kids.
my
yeah,
kid-
this didn't seem like we got equitable division of loot.
I don't know what you're talking about.
No,
all right,
we
moving-
sure didn't.
All right.
And just because Craig doesn't have kids doesn't mean he doesn't get any Kinder eggs.
I like
I
my
don't know what you're talking about.
parents are very good about giving me
did I-
chocolate because I don't have kids.
Did I say eggs?
Exactly.
Okay, so that's where I am. So I'll take another achievement for Kinder eggs.
For stealing Kinder eggs.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Nice.
In the
All right, what about you guys?
in the spirit of Easter, I stole the Kinder eggs.
What have you guys been playing?
I got a big long
I
list. You want me
believe
to go
How
next,
I
Craig, or do you wanna
Latro
go?
is you. Go
All
for
right,
it.
here's what I got going down.
With love, man. With love.
I am
Yeah.
back into
Strap it on,
Latro
Rafe.
again. That's Lord of the Rings online.
and I think that's great.
it is great. This is what I want to explain to you guys.
Kill him with
Some-
kindness. Kill him with kindness.
sometimes I like mint chocolate chip ice cream.
So do I, man.
Every time I go to the ice cream parlor, the ice cream shop. That's like,
Stracciatella, I believe, in Italian.
you know what saying ice cream parlor is like? It's like Russ saying grease pencil. Every time I go to get ice cream, I get mint chocolate chip.
Parlor. Maybe you're not saying the soda bar, soda shop.
There
Yeah,
you go.
exactly. Every time. Every time.
Okay.
But
Does the
sometimes
soda
I
does
go,
the soda jerk serve you?
No.
No?
Just little like teenage or college
All right.
age.
Okay.
At some point, there's
usually.
going to be gaming in this bit, though.
Whatever.
I'm waiting for it.
Yeah. So, but sometimes I get chocolate ice cream, and I remember how good chocolate is. So that's right now what Latro is for me. It's like chocolate ice cream. I got Stony. He's running around Middle Earth. I've been really bugging out at work. I mean, I got like veins popping out of my head.
Right.
I come home. I plug into Middle Earth. There's some beautiful music.
Busy days for a bankruptcy lawyer.
Oh man, I'm going nuts. Great soundtrack, and the best part is the community players are just fun. Good achievements. Vince has been playing. It's all good.
All right.
Then
Ooh, you just gave him a. Ooh.
I did. Well, he mentioned ice cream,
Oh, good point.
Oh,
and it's
okay.
all about loving the Hollywood.
and it is all about giving Hollywood some love.
There you go.
Ep 30 is the Hollywood show.
Apparently, it is.
Built my new Mach 2 list, and like Craig was saying last night off camera, took a little longer than I thought to cut
Yeah.
all those little cards
All those
out
little
from the
cards.
downloadable PDFs
Yeah.
and get them all backed up. But
Totally threw my night off.
yeah, I did enjoy building it. It really got the juices flowing again. It was obviously easy to add. We're going to get into this later, folks, but the point systems have changed. So I did that. So that was an event. Had a game with Russ. More details later on in the show. Now this is interesting. I wanted to talk to you guys about this. So I wanted to play a game with Lou, and I've been eyeballing Descent. So I borrowed it from Brian Ahern, one of our good friends, and it was interesting. I really thought he would struggle with the rule mechanics, perhaps not really knowing how to play two guys at once, perhaps not being able to understand what a fatigue thing is, fatigue token. And for those who haven't played Fatigue, you get to use to boost a power die, Russ.
Right.
and-
You can use fatigue to go faster or
Yeah.
hit better.
Okay.
And things like that.
No, he had no problem grasping the rules at all. The problem I had with him was gamer ADD. So we'd sit down, we'd get ready to go, and after about 50 seconds, he'd be like, okay, I'm bored. I want to do something else. So I just thought he didn't like the game. But all day, the next day, when are we going to play Descent, Dad? When are we going to play Descent? When are we going to play Descent?
interesting.
So I can't figure it out.
I think you just got to. I like the advice Will gave you, which is give him a sidekick.
Yeah.
Get him to bring one of his friends over to your house, and they can play against you. And when two kids gang up on an adult, they think that's the funnest thing ever. My girls love to gang up on me in games.
I think you're right, Russ, because it was as if playing the game did not lead up to his expectation of what he thought it was.
He needs a little you got to go, oh, look, we're going to do that. Let's get him. You know, they need that moment.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I'm going to try that.
All right.
Oh, after hearing about Adepticon, that got me really excited. I'm starting to really look forward to Gen Con.
Sweet.
Next thing I did is I played our Dark Heresy campaign with Andy, a new recruit, and Craig, and Dave, and Brian. Oh. And this one, man, Russ, Craig was there. It did not go over that well.
It was funny because last one there was all kinds of rave reviews, and this one I've heard like crickets.
Yeah, I'll let Craig give Craig's impression, then I'll follow up.
You want me to do it now or when I've got it in my little thing? I'll do it now.
Do it now.
The problem is that Rafe put in hours and hours and hours of prep time on the first adventure.
Yep.
And it was all him, so it was all organic. He knew instinctually what was where, what when what was going to happen, what would happen if we went left instead of right, what the monsters were like, what they looked like, and it was all about Rafe describing things and telling us what to do. There was all kinds of investigation. It was totally exactly built to Rafe's specifications.
Yep.
And the adventure that you did for us last week was much more right out of one of the pamphlets, right?
Correct, exactly.
And so instead of a lot of buy-in from Rafe and he knowing organically what was going on from one moment to the next, there was a lot of Rafe flipping through the book and showing us pictures instead of describing in detail what we were seeing and things like that. So it was it was much choppier in its delivery, and it was much more frustrating for us, I think, because of the structure of it. I don't think it was as well thought out as Rafe's.
No, it was a big problem. I see. I'd never really run a successful city adventure before. In this game, there's a lot of stuff about being on a hive world and stuff like that.
Yep.
So I didn't think I'd have the chops to do a city because there's so many avenues they could go down. So I thought, well, I better, because my other one was on a ship. It was pretty well contained,
Right, yep.
you know? So I had 3 plot points and I could keep them all straight. So at this one, I thought I'd better rely on the source books, and I relied on them to a crutch. So it was just, it was
It's all
boring.
about the balance.
Yeah.
It's tricky sometimes, especially with someone else's adventure, because you feel like you're constrained.
Yep.
Exactly. And you know what was really a credit to those books is I don't think they're even meant to be like that. They really are just source material. So
it's
I had a
meant to
conversation
inspire
with
you.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. With Dave afterwards and Brian afterwards, and they got my juices flowing again about so I'm really excited to do the third one.
Well, achievement for good effort.
Yeah. The other stuff and then I played Flock, which is a new game on the Xbox Arcade, which is fun. You just play this little flying saucer spacecraft.
Yeah, you basically herd sheep with flying saucers. My girls love it.
Yeah, it's fun. It reminds me of Lemmings a little bit.
It's a little lemmingish.
Little Lemmingish, yeah. So the last thing I have, I'm going to say for other info.
Okay.
Alrighty. Well, I just had 2 main things. One was the Dark Heresy campaign, and it was a lot of fun getting together with everybody in the pub, and that was a good time. And there was leftover Guinness from the PattyCon, so that was nice.
And Karen brought down cupcakes. Those were good.
Yes, she did. Yes, she can't stop
She was
herself
for cupcakes.
from delivering food. One of those punks got me sick, and I was really, really annoyed for the next 3 days because I thought I was going to China with a big bad cold, but I got it over it mostly.
All right.
And then last night I got a chance to play 40K with my Space Wolves, because that's basically what I had in my car, against the new IG.
How'd that go?
And it was a very interesting game. I played our friend Dave, and Dave threw an IG army together. First of all, he played 8. We misunderstood.
How many points was this?
Well, he put together an 1850 point list, and I only have 1,500 points of Space Wolves. So that was a misunderstanding. He had to kind of surgically remove a bunch of points right there at the table. Yep. And I think what he ended up doing was taking out the common sense and keeping the toys because he wanted to see how all the different things worked. Right. So I faced the Punisher, the Heavy 20 tank, the Vendetta with 3 twin-linked las cannons.
Yeah.
So he had a bunch of, but that's all pretty high point value stuff.
Right, it's easy to kill still.
And not that easy to kill, but there's 3 Lehman Russes now with an 11 armor on the back.
Yes, I saw that.
That's a lot more interesting. But he had some really bad luck. He had 3 scout sentinels come on and flank me, but they totally whiffed, trying to take out the Venerable Dreadnought, who then they came in too close. He went in, he took those out. Then he went and took out the tank, and he was pretty much free reign on that side of the board after that. But I won handily, but it came down to, I would say, 2 really key moments in the game where Dave's luck just kind of abandoned him. And
that's unusual for Dave.
Against me it is, yeah. He always, and of course, we've played 4 times in the past month, and I've won the deployment roll twice, and he has successfily seized the initiative from me both times.
Oh yeah,
for Dave for initiative stealth.
Yeah,
stealing.
that's all Dave.
Yeah, nice.
But he was not the part that I liked, that I was heartened by, was he was not turned off to the IG based
what was
on
Dave's
that.
reaction?
His reaction was he could see exactly where he'd gone wrong with his choices and what would work better, and he's totally into the vendetta, knowing that you can...
How'd the Heavy 20 work out?
The Heavy 20 is not your ideal against Space Marines.
Well, yeah, I was showing someone, I did the math the other day on an email, it was like it kills like 4 Marines or something.
Yeah, it ended up killing fewer than that, but also he couldn't stay still. Right. So he could have unloaded 3 heavy bolters and the Heavy 20.
It's only range 24, right? It's the problem.
Yep. But what's scary is that front rank fire, rear rank fire order that they can give. That's I was 12 inches away.
Cool. I like the order concept.
I was facing 4 Imperial Guard squads, each firing 3 shots per guy per las gun. Nice. That's a lot of stuff.
Let me ask you this. There's a new rule in the IG Codex that the IG can basically mob up their platoons.
Yes.
Is that going to fix the kill point problem?
It's going to mitigate it, but you're still going to have a heavy kill point heavy army.
Really? There's no way to kind of get around that, huh?
Well, there is.
There's only 2 platoon now. You have the command squad and the mob. Because each platoon needs to have 2 squads in it, or 3 still?
2 minimum.
2 plus your command squad.
Yeah, but you
can't mob the command squad, but you can mob the 2 regular squads, right?
Right, but the problem with that is you can also have special weapon squads, heavy weapon squads, and they can't mob up.
And they're all
it's all going to come down on how you're going to play the game, because you've also got to look at it the other way. They all count as troops. Yes, and you break them all out, you're talking about...
Well, that's the mob thing's nice, because you mob up the moment you deploy.
Right.
Well, wait, Craig, finish that thought. You break them all out, and what?
In a objective taking mission, for each troop choice, you can have 7, 8, 9 squads.
And my point was, it's not part of your list design. So in a mission, if I roll a mission where it's not kill points, I break them apart and have a bunch of scoring units.
Yep.
If I roll a mission that is kill points, I mob them together and I have less kill points on the table.
All the IG infantry squads you can have one squad of 50 guys.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I have questions, Craig.
Okay.
Is the IG Codex out, or is this kind of like a downloadable?
Well, that depends if you're shifty or not.
No, it's
in stores.
It's in stores to be reviewed. So if you look at if the store will let you carry it to the table, you can play a game with it. Basically,
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was this rank and fire thing you talked about?
Well, they've got orders now. And,
what's that mean?
Well, the company commander has 5, I think, and the platoon lieutenants, the platoon leaders, have 3. And the company commander's 2 extra ones are Bring It Down, which is basically against a vehicle or a monstrous creature. 1 squad within 12 inches of him, if it makes a leadership test, counts all of its weapons as twin-linked.
Wow.
So you can do that to a heavy weapon squad and have twin-linked las cannons. Or Dave did it to me with special weapons team with plasma guns against a drop pod.
Are these once per game?
No, they're once per turn. The company commander can do it twice per turn.
And do you pay points for these?
No, there's special rules that come with the officers.
They're baked into the models.
Yeah.
And are these dependent on the officers you pick, like Marines?
No.
Okay.
No. There's your company commander can do the Bring It Down and Get Up, which is basically you get up from being pinned and ignore the results of pinning.
And
which
does it depend on being in a command radius?
Yes, the 12 inches from the commander, 6 inches from the lieutenant.
Right.
Okay. The key is that get up and fight order is key, because the lieutenant has an order that's incoming, which means you immediately take cover and get a +1 to your cover save. So that's huge. So like you're in cover, if you're in a building, you could get a 2+ cover save. You count as pinned, but then your company commander says get up.
That's cool.
Right. Okay. And another lieutenant order is the front rank fire, rear rank fire, where every las gun in that squad fires an additional shot.
Wow.
So at 24 inches, if they didn't move, that's 2 shots per guy. And within 12 inches, it's 3 shots per guy, which is a lot.
They're still las.
And
They're las guns, but
what's the math on that? Does that really not end up to be that much, or it does?
Still las
scared the
guns.
heck out of
23.
it. It scared the heck out of me.
How many Marines died from las gun fire?
He was rolling badly.
Yes. Point made. Tink. All right.
He was rolling badly.
All right, it's still awesome. The orders do make them fun.
And then there's the order run, where you roll, instead of rolling 1 die when you're running, you roll 3 dice and take the highest.
Now, Russ, people might not know this, but Craig's an IG player. I was an IG player, and Russ is an IG player. So is this codex going to bring you back to 40K?
Oh, I said that from the day that 5th edition was released. I said I'd start playing as soon as
but now that it's
IG
here.
came out. I do like it. I was going to comment later, but I'll comment now. The only thing about it I don't there's 2 things about it. Well, I like it. I love the orders. I love the fact that pretty much everything Forge World makes that's smaller than a Bane Blade is fieldable, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. I like the new flyers. They're fantastic-looking models, and I like the rules for them, the little parachuting out of them and everything. I like the grouping together to help mitigate the kill point thing. I think that's pretty interesting. The only real thing I don't like about it, I think, is the and my Commissar issue I had before. I think that's
fixed.
You can't get Commissars of Power Fist everywhere, but you can get them someplace so you can use the figures, which is nice.
What?
No, they can only pull. It is true they pull from the squads they're with. Like if they join a squad, they can't get a Power Fist. They can't have a Power Fist either. I looked at it. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's the way I read it.
The only place I saw Commissars available, you could get Power Fists. They're only in infantry.
Let's put it this way. It's possible. I think I'll check it again. But anyway, you can definitely have Commissars of Power Fist. I agree with you there. I just don't.
There you go.
But anyway, but the thing.
Yep.
Welcome
to what it's like at our game.
Yeah, the only thing about it I don't like is let's say
there's got to be something.
Well, I just wish the book felt cooler to read.
Oh, Jesus.
No, seriously, like I shouldn't be that. Let's say I photocopied some pages out of a book, okay, and let's say I compared the photocopy to the original. The original should look better than the photocopy, but it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's mostly black and white, mostly text, with a little tiny token picture in the corner of each page. It's like, come on, GW.
Right. That's a style issue at this point.
No, I don't think so. They're the only They're the only major gaming company on the planet that does not produce things in color.
Right, and you think they couldn't?
I think they're too cheap. To be honest, straight up.
Okay.
Cheap. There's no reason for
it.
I
think.
Look at Fantasy Flight.
I don't know.
You look at like what's the monster book from Fantasy Flight, Rafe?
The monster book from
Fantasy
Fantasy
the one
Flight?
from Fantasy Flight for Creatures Anathema.
Oh, Creatures Anathema.
Creatures Anathema blows any codex GW's producing out of the water. It's just awesome. How cool would it be to have a codex look like that? That'd be awesome. Why not? What's the reason?
They're paperback.
It could still be paperback in full color.
I don't know.
They're all like that. Anyway,
I'm gonna pin this to Russ has to find something, and it is well established that he's got this issue about GW and their art design.
Paperback right here. This cool comic book is a paperback and it's full color.
That's true.
There's no reason it couldn't be full color. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I got you.
But I do like it. I think it's pretty cool. So I'm jonesing to try it out. I really am. I can't wait. So as soon as my Mark II testing's over in April, which is almost over, I'll be starting my IG up. Any other things on gaming? We're going right to modeling now.
Modeling. Go to modeling.
Okay.
I've done very little. I've sent models off to painted figs to paint for me.
I was gonna. Yeah, you better not give yourself an achievement.
No. I'm not. I mean, I'm excited that they're going to check it out.
20 Battle Lore miniatures go to Sri Lanka, and Russ does not get an achievement.
I concur.
All right. How about? Can I give an achievement to Sri Lanka?
Sure.
All right. Here's one.
Painted figs. There you go.
There we go.
P-Fig.
What are you doing, Craig?
Okay, I put together 3 mortar teams for my Steel Legion army that I had laying around since Daka Daka was a store.
Why, Craig?
Because I didn't want to buy anything new yet, but I want to put together everything I have so I have options.
Oh.
I had the beautiful limited edition Steel Legion Commissar, so I put him together and based him all up. And I took a bunch of Gaunt's Ghosts models that I have laying around.
I remember those.
Yep, they're beautiful. And
I don't like them. They're too spindly.
Yeah, but they're supposed to be spindly. I put them together as a veteran squad, and I put it so that I could have 3 plasma guns or 3 sniper rifles, and I like it. The only thing I don't like is I have to use Gaunt as veteran sergeant because he's pretty much the only special character who's not in the Guard Codex. Well, him and Colonel Schaefer from the Last Chancers, which is the other model I have in my basement.
Nice. I have one modeling thing.
What's that?
Right.
I stuck the arm on my Draco. Remember how it,
Nice.
how it broke off?
A cheater for the arm getting back on.
Thank you. So mainly so I could make my tracing so I could send the thing off to Battle
Nice.
Foam.
There you
There
go.
you go.
Now,
Big chain event.
in other news,
I
have this
is
interesting
freaking me
thing
out.
going on. All
Yeah,
right, so
I can't wait to hear about this.
Okay, so my wife Nicole, who of course is in When Wives Attack, is really not a gamer. Okay, I mean she plays the occasional game.
That jury's still out.
Well,
Yeah, she's a gamer.
She's more
dude.
of a gamer than otherwise.
well, no, true,
Yes.
but I mean, like she does not really. Anyway, she does not play computer.
She's not a
games
gamer like we're gamers.
in any way. The only computer game she's played is like Bejeweled, and Bejeweled.
Rock Band and
What do you do
Rock
in
Band,
Bejeweled?
Rock
Do you
Band.
bedazzle things?
Right, yeah. And Rock Band, right? Rock Band 2, which I would say Rock Band is
Which
not really.
some
No,
could
that's
definitely
very
argue
mainstream.
Right.
is not a computer game. It's more a
Yes.
game that happens to be played on a computer.
That's right. Anyway, she starts but like many women and some men, she's really into Facebook because it's a great way to stay connected with all of her friends and everything else, which is fine. That's cool.
Ooh, we should say something about Facebook too.
Now, well,
I
this
agree.
all
I wanna
this
say
all
that, too.
this all comes together.
It
So
all
we're
comes
gonna-
together. Okay.
So Facebook has some applications sort of built into it, all kinds of fun stuff, right? And some of these applications happen to be games. And one of the games she started playing is called Vampire Wars. Now, Vampire Wars this is sort of like, it's almost like an MMO. So Nicole is really getting to this MMO. Now, the weird thing about this is, and this is what I find fascinating as a guy who's into games, this game is, there are little graphics here and there for like the picture of her character and stuff, but they're not animated. They're just like shots of headshots. The game is essentially an entirely text-based game. Okay, very reminiscent of the old text adventures from the 80s or even like MUDs, like really text-based stuff. And all you do is you make your character, and your character does level up, and you go to a list of other vampires on the screen, and you decide which vampire you're going to attack. You click on this vampire, and then it tells you immediately you won or you lost. That's it. And then you gain some stuff, and then you repeat, rinse and repeat. Now, the thing that's interesting about this is you gain more power in this game by getting your clan larger, which is kind of like guilds in that you invite more friends to join your clan, and then they're in your clan, but they're not really, they don't do anything with you. They just add one to your clan count. But they have to be real people in Facebook. That's the thing. So Nicole's clan now is 205 people.
Wow.
Last I checked. That went up 50, by the way, from yesterday. I checked with her.
I was going to say.
So 205 people. And here's the freaky thing. I saw her start to do this and sending invitations out. And she said, the people all responding saying, yeah, I'm coming right in. They're all women. Like, the women gamers of the world are all on Facebook playing these MMO-type games. I was
Really?
like, shocked. And I guess the vampire one is pretty popular because of Twilight and everything else. But what's really interesting is I did some research. The company that makes this game, which is Zygna, Z-Y-G-N-A, I think, they make a bunch of other games like this. And one's called Mafia Wars, and there's like Ninja Wars. And they're all the same basic game, just with theming. They have like 7.5 million people on at any one time are playing these games. On their website, they just put this up there. Now, you think about that for a minute.
Mark.
WoW has 11 or 12 million players now, but that's just registered
11.5
users.
million.
They're not all on at once. These guys have like 7.5 people on at one time, any given time. That is a huge industry, people. And it's just out there. People are just playing it. It's crazy.
Now, I want to know, what do you think the hook is? What's the hook?
Well, he just said that Nicole loves Twilight now.
Well, no, it's not that she loves Twilight. No, I did not say she likes.
Nicole
is
walked
now in
up
the room.
behind us.
Nicole, come on in. What's the hook for the game?
Just said I kill all the vampires when I pick my people to kill. I always kill the ones first that are named like Bella or the Cullens rule. I'm like, ooh, you die, you die, you die.
We should repeat what
Nice.
she's saying so people can hear.
Get close to the mic. So what do you think they like about the game? What makes it cool?
It's like the RPG part of things without having to roll all those die and figure out who hits what. I click a button and it says, boom, you killed him. But it's fun
no-
because it's vampires, and that's like
but
the
no
thing. I like
video.
vampires.
But no
so it's
pictures.
kind of fun. You get to build your clan and invite a million zillion people.
All right, but there's no video or anything, Rafe's saying. There's no pictures.
No, there's no video. I know I don't have headphones on, so I can't hear what you guys are saying. No, there's there's little clip of the people, like you see them when you first add them as a friend, but that's all that you see. You don't really see, like, there's no video or anything cool like that.
But you just like the fact you go in there, click a few times, and
it's fine. And now I went, like, there's certain levels you can get up to and certain things happen, and I'm like, now my goal is just to get a certain number of people and to get to a certain level.
And you're researching this, like, you're figuring out, like, where the best ways to invite people are, and what the
I've got it
items you
down
want
so
to get.
I can get, because you can invite like 12 people a day, and I think I get like 30 or 40
you've
people a
usurped
day.
that? Yeah, you've already broken the system.
I have figured out how to get around the system, yep.
So if you're playing Vampire Wars and want to know more about how to break the system, that's the wise of D6Generation.com.
That'd be me.
All right, thanks, Nicole, for sharing.
I heard you upstairs.
So there you have it. So I am just fascinated by the fact that there's this like MMO type game.
Now, Russ, you were saying, and
because I'm going to really okay. Wow.
And now my wife came in and reminded me I need to water the chicks.
Water the chicks?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have little chicks over our house.
Chickadees.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Chickens.
So are you going to go water the chicks then?
I got to do that tonight.
Okay.
So, but my wife's here, so I don't know. Maybe she'll give me lip about it. But this is what I want to know, Russ. You were saying that now you walk away for just a minute. You turn around, Nicole's on the computer, like checking out her invites.
Well, yeah, but the thing about this game that I think makes it appeal to her is it's like not a long play session. You go and you click Attack a Vampire, you're done. So, like, it's not like she spends a lot of time.
I know. I just found that interesting because...
But she's on a lot. Like tonight,
I think
she's not...
I think Craig was going to say... Sorry for double talking there. We're remote here, folks. I think Craig was going to say about Facebook. For my wife, what I've noticed is it's not been Facebook, but she's volunteering as the president of our local Pop Warner football. And so there's a lot of emails and there's a lot of, like, stuff going on. She's, like, constantly on the computer. Like, every time I turn around, she's checking, like, 3 emails. Like, I swear she's addicted to that. So it's funny how it's not
I was going to
always...
say something about the fact that our Facebook page for the D6 generation went from 19 people to 89 in a week.
Well, how did that happen?
That would be the wives.
That would be the wives talking it up, yep.
And we need to get on there or the wives are going to totally take over the Facebook page. Which
too late.
I find morally offensive that we have to get on Facebook because I hate it.
I'm not getting on Facebook.
Well,
no, I don't hate Facebook. It's just not my cup of tea.
I don't really like it.
We don't hate things.
We'll check. We're disappointed with Facebook.
Okay, so that's my story about Nicole's MMO adventures.
See, I think Facebook is the MMO for women. I really do.
Which is odd because we just talked about
Craig,
the MMO
I don't think you
for
were
women.
there. I was talking to a woman that babysits for us. She doesn't have kids, and she was like checking her iPhone, and she was like, "Oh my God, I'm like addicted to Facebook now, and all these things, and blah blah blah." And then she was saying her husband. I'm like, "Hey, is your husband a gamer? Because I'm trying to find a local gamer so I can play some of these games that you guys always get to play on weekends." And she's like, "Well, he played WoW. Is that considered a game?" She's like, "But I don't let him play that anymore because he got too addicted." And I'm like, "That's the pot calling the kettle black."
Well, it's different though because they don't sit on Facebook for 16 hours straight.
Well, that's true.
People will sit on WoW for 16 hours straight.
Some of them do.
All right. So one other quick thing here. I already talked about the IG Codex. One other quick thing. In new technology, this is interesting. So this movie came out recently called Mutant Chronicles.
Yes.
Now, I thought this was really cool. The studios are experimenting with this new idea that you can watch certain movies before they hit the theaters on video on demand. And so I was able to watch Mutant Chronicles at home on my Xbox in high def 2 weeks before it came out at the movie theater for $12.
Wow.
So that's a lot of money for a rented movie on online, right? But
how was it?
It was an alright B film.
I've heard it was okay.
It was. I mean, it was. You know,
it was made a while ago.
Yeah, it wasn't awful. It was a B movie. It was watchable. Nicole and I enjoyed it. We went to the end. But what I thought was neat about this technology is it's a great way to do it because I would not have seen it in theaters because it would have been too expensive. You know, 2 people to go to theater, I was like $30. But for $12, I'll try it. You know what the heck? So
what are you having? Diamond-studded popcorn?
No, dude, seriously. 2 people in the movie theater, adults, after 6 o'clock, order 2 sodas and 2 popcorns, you're paying $30.
Yes, Russ is right.
I'm telling you right now.
No, you're paying more than that if you each get 2 sodas and 2 popcorns.
No, 1 soda, 1 popcorn each. I'm telling you right now.
No, I'm telling you. That's
one
more.
Popcorn
It's
share, 2 sodas.
That's 16 plus 18. If you go
I
to
think
Merrimack.
Craig is right.
It's more than 30.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I know.
So why'd you say it was diamond studded when I said $30?
I was making a little joke. You know, if you want to get into a big debate over the economics of movies, we can do that.
All right, whatever. Okay, so anyway, moving along.
Right, I've got another.
Yes.
I am angry at Russ over Dawn of War 2. And Craig, I have a way to help you solve my problem.
Okay,
so Russ says to me when I start Dawn of War 2, now don't be like everybody else and play on the wimpy level. You got to upgrade it a level. And now I'm freaking stuck. I'm not even
we talked about this last night. First of all, you can invite me in for co-op. And secondly, you didn't try the jump troops yet against the Eldar.
No, I know that is a good
See,
idea.
if you were playing the
but
easy mode, you never would have thought to try the jump troops against the Eldar. And missed out how
Craig,
cool
this
it
is my
was to kill
solution.
Howling Banshees.
Yeah.
You should come over to my house.
Yeah, that's right down the street.
Yep. Right the night before you go to China. Come over to my
That's
house.
happening.
Stay up all night and play Dawn of War 2.
And I'll switch the Dawn of War campaign back to the normal level. And then
Catch
you
me
get
up.
to play it all the way up to where I'm stuck.
Yeah.
No, because that's Craig's going to do that at my house. Never mind. All right, moving along.
I'm not doing that
Not before China.
Not before China, no.
So, Craig, what else is going on here before we have to end achievements because we're going to pass out?
Okay. That's not me. Serenity Role Playing, the email campaign. We're actually on the move. Russ and his brother got a little action in. Played a little poker.
Yeah.
How'd that work for you?
Woohoo. Made out like a bandit. Achievement for winning poker.
Poor John, not so much. They're now on the back of a pickup truck being pulled by two yaks or some other form of large
bovine
beast of burden being pulled through pine trees that may or may not be infested with reavers.
I love it. Our captain's whining.
And the captain is whining. "Oh, we always run into everybody that hates us." Like, I'm trying to make it interesting. It's not all sweetness and light. And there is somebody waiting for them in the town, and I don't mean Andy, that fans of Firefly would recognize when they see him.
Yeah, we all know who it is.
Yeah, you do. You already put it together.
Yeah.
They ran into him, and they interacted way more than they were supposed to.
We took care of him. He's going down.
We're talking Jubal Early, bounty hunter extraordinaire.
Yeah, that's right. Both to the head.
There
Very
you go.
professional.
And then I prepped for Mark II, sort of, and it took so long for me to cut out all the cards that I was late and missed the game with Rafe.
Nice.
Yep. I had a good Erosk list for you too.
Oh, great!
Nice, fun, fluffy.
Oh, that'd have been fun.
Oh, yeah, that would have been great. I did read Atomic Robo, and I loved it.
Nice.
Yeah, it's not a good read.
And thank you, Rafe. Now, my only issue is it's the same issue, and it has nothing to do with the quality of the story or the art, because I loved it all. It's for $20. That took me a half hour to get through, and I just can't see the justification of that cost.
When you say you read Atomic Robo 1, you mean you've already read the whole trade?
I read the whole graphic novel.
Yeah, I mean, much like miniatures, comics is not a cheap hobby anymore.
Right, but miniatures are going to give you a lot more
Hours
bang
of
for your buck as far as time goes. For me, I mean, it's a show. I mean, obviously millions of people do it. I'm
Unless you
not finding
reread.
fault
Some
with
people
it.
like to reread them.
Yeah, no, and I
was about
have
to
a
say,
couple. I mean,
totally get your criticism up, but it's funny. Like, I've probably read the Dark Knight trade 25 times.
right. I mean, and I wouldn't say criticism, rather more than an observation.
Yeah, for you. Yeah.
For me, it just I can't. I mean, I'd love to borrow them and read them, but
I was gonna say it's a good thing you got a friend who likes comics.
There you go.
Now pass that on to Russ to read next.
I just did actually. He has it right here.
That was the book I held up and said, "Look, you can make a paperback out of color."
And then last week, Nicole mentioned that she was going to try to get the Harry Dresden novel Turncoat before I did. So, of course, I immediately had to run out and get it.
I got it for her for her birthday on Thursday.
Yeah? Has she read it yet?
She started, but she was in the middle of another book, and she has to read 2 books at once.
Oh, well,
she's like 2 chapters in, but she's not.
I have read it.
You know what? That's a big lie because she's playing an MMO.
That probably is eating into her reading time.
There you
I don't
go.
know.
And I want to give the review that she said we would both give, which is, it's awesome. It's a great book.
Actually, she said that already in the last episode.
It's crazy. Yeah, no, that's what I mean. That she said if we did a review, it would be,
it's
it's
awesome,
great.
right?
It's awesome.
Hey, Craig.
Yes.
Does that come after Stormfront, or is there another one for me to read after Stormfront?
I don't know the order of the actual titles.
Stormfront was first.
All I can say is that Jim Butcher is insanely talented.
Yeah, I agree.
He is one of the. I mean, even the best authors, every now and then, they'll miss a beat, they'll trip on a book, and the book won't be that great. Every book in the Harry Dresden series just keeps getting better and better. The world keeps getting more and more fully realized. And every time you think, well, he just killed a god, so, he's not going to get any better than that. And then he finds this way to spin a yarn that's even bigger and more epic. And I just love it.
Nice.
It's insane. I don't even feel like I'm reading a book. Whenever these books come out, first of all, I get in trouble because I start reading and I don't stop. And Karen's like, where have you been? And I'm reading. But I feel like I'm visiting a really fun familiar world every time I pick up his book.
What I enjoy, if you haven't checked out Jim Butcher, I'm looking at his webpage now to get the order. Yeah, Russ is right. Stormfront's the first book.
Oh, yeah.
I think I got confused with the last book I left that was another weather event. But he's created his own world, very similar to who's the British Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Much
more dark.
The books aren't similar at all.
But you're right. It's this world totally changed but fully realized.
Yes, right. He's not copying Tolkien. He's made his own mythos.
Yeah.
Right.
I think.
Oh, it's beautiful. And that's it for me.
Cool. That's achievements.
An even playing field. A clear set of rules. And a good roll of the dice.
Dice are our vice. We are the D6 generation.
Greetings from Myriad Games, your friendly professional game store. We are pleased to announce the launch of Myriad Games Presentations, featuring a wide variety of unplugged family fun for everyone. Our show feed includes a variety of presentations, including session impressions, game gab, table talk, and advice from Gamer Angel. You can subscribe through the links at myriadgames.com or through iTunes. Your feedback is very important to us. Please email us through myriadgames.com with your comments, questions, suggestions, abuse, and general ridicule. If you enjoy our shows, we encourage you to post a positive review on iTunes. In fact, if you post a positive review, we'll send you a free pair of Myriad Games dice. For more about a myriad of games, visit your friendly professional game store, and be sure to visit us online at myriadgames.com. Myriad Games. So many games, so little time. Thanks for listening.
And now, what's in the news? With the shout-out, my favorite game shop is Top Deck Games, Tulsa, Oklahoma's premier game shop. Well, it would be my favorite game shop. I lived in Tulsa, but I don't. But still, I'm sure it's an excellent, friendly, professional gaming store. For you folks in Oklahoma, go check out Top Deck Games. Somewhat collectible miniatures war game. Wells Expedition, a new company that apparently includes some of the folks who brought us HeroClix, Mage Knight, and Mech Warrior, has announced a new miniature game titled Arcane Legions. The game will feature miniatures placed on unit cards in which the positioning of the models on the card will dictate the unit's abilities. These cards then function as movement trays to slide the units around the tabletop, not unlike Warhammer Fantasy Battles. Army themes include ancient Roman, Egyptian, and Han forces in a world where magic exists. Some elements of the game will be blind purchase, but Wells Expedition has stated that if fans purchase the entire case of boosters, they are guaranteed to get one of each model type. The game's goal is apparently to deliver high model count combat at reasonable prices, with starter packs featuring over 110 25mm models priced at about $34.99. Arcane Legions is due to release in September of 2009. The Elves are coming! The Elves are coming! Privateer Press has recently added a teaser banner to their homepage. The banner hints that Retribution will be coming in September of 2009. This most certainly means that the new elf-themed faction for Warmachine will be coming this fall, and no doubt will premiere at Gen Con. Hey, you got your addiction in my addiction. Apparently, as addicting as the World of Warcraft is, there are moments in the game where folks are thinking, gee, I wish I could play another addicting game while I'm in the middle of this addicting game. Well, fret no longer. Peggle has just been released as a game ad edition for WoW, so that now when you're hanging out at the auction house, you can also be lighting up those orange pegs and becoming a Peggle master. Yeah. And finally, a public service announcement. With summer heat fast approaching, we here at the D6 Generation would like to remind gamers, please do not leave your models in the car on a hot summer's day. This message has been brought to you by GANMOM, Gamers Against the Needless Melting of Models. And that's what's in the news.
Are you having trouble fitting your whole army into one carrying case? Ever had your heavy centerpiece models break through the sides of their foam tray to scrape against their neighbors? You'll never have to worry about any of this again with Battle Foam. The trays from Battle Foam will hold over 30% more models than any standard tray, and they make foam to fit any box, including all manufacturers' carrying cases. What's more, they will custom cut your foam trays to fit any miniature. The boys at battlefoam.com can even personalize each tray by etching Army logos, personal text, or images right onto the foam. So go to battlefoam.com right now and pick up the best foam on the market. You've spent more time and money than anyone wants to think about on your models. Shouldn't they be as safe as you can make them? Battlefoam.com. Hooah!
You're listening to the D6 generation. We just love playing around.
Hello, and welcome back. And now, as we promised earlier, what did we promise earlier, Rafe?
We are going to do our voicemail contest review.
I get the whole love Rafe thing, but how come Rafe's getting every toss this episode?
I love him.
I love you too.
Without a pause. All right,
that was nice.
I
That
can't.
took me back.
Is
I
it
can't
wrong
fight.
for a man to love another man?
I can't fight. I can't fight. I cannot stand in the face of your love.
All right, so we had a contest, and here I'll throw you, Craig. What was the contest all about?
The contest was all about betrayal, not unlike you and Rafe and your betrayal of me.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see how this is going to go.
Hey, Russ, you know what I was remembering?
Yeah.
Why is even Craig on this show? I thought he was ditching us to go to 40K Radio.
Yeah, that was a joke.
Oh.
That didn't.
Joke was on him. They actually fired him. He's back here now.
Oh, I see. We took him back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so what was the contest, Craig?
The contest was we wanted to hear one of you guys do a little line, and many of you did more than one line.
Quite a few entries.
Of more than I thought we did. So I take everything back that I said in rapid fire. Although we could still use more.
Yeah, it's always fun.
A little betrayal scene, and we got some really good ones. Now, did Dan from Australia ever do it? Or I mean, he can't win if he didn't do it, but I want to reenact his because his text one was funny.
I didn't do the text one because text wasn't allowed, but we did do. We got a lot of good entries, and what we did say in one episode was we're going to try to play them all as long as they weren't like off color or anything weird.
Right.
So we got a lot in here, and what we're going to basically do is if they're we are taking a professional risk here.
That's
right?
true.
We're basically turning the show over to our listeners. We're going to let you guys have some time on here, and we'll see how it goes.
And we have already promised that as part of our love package for Rafe, he is unleashed. As soon as he gets bored, he can start trying to spice things up.
Right. If at any moment Hollywood feels like things are getting dull, he can jump in just like he does with Craig and I.
That's right.
He can be just as exciting for your contribution as he is for Craig and my contributions every 2 weeks.
Wow.
Those
I'm glad you don't love me.
They need to strap it on.
All right.
We're putting our little iTunes rating in danger.
We
with
are.
This.
Let's start up and see what our first caller
Maybe I
is.
just mean my cowboy hat.
Let's see what it is. Let's give it a try here. So here we go. Listen for the phone ring.
Entry number 1.
Any moment now.
Hello.
Hello. My name is Josh Pearson from Lowell, Massachusetts, and here is my entry, Sudden but Inevitable Betrayal. Just the two of us left now. This calls for a toast. What's that? You don't trust me? Interesting. Let's drink. You from my glass and me from yours. What? Your drink tastes nutty. Fascinating. You're allergic to nuts. That's very unfortunate. Thank you. Thanks for a wonderful show, guys.
I did like the ending on that one.
And I like the little slip to reference to Princess Bride. Subtle.
Yep.
I thought it was going all there, but he didn't go all the way.
No.
Much like a fine wine, just very subtle
That's right.
with the nutty
There you
flavor.
G'day guys, this is Ray from Brisbane, Australia, and my wife, and this is our entry into the Cutthroat Caverns contest.
That's no fair. He's bringing in the big guns.
I have returned, my lady, as requested. To win your heart, I have travelled to the depths of the Illustrian jungle, through the hordes of the undead, to retrieve the crystal known as Pennyfall's heart.
My love, you are so brave and strong. And is that the sword you used to fight your way through the jungle? May I see it?
Yes, of course, my lady.
My goodness, it's so heavy. You are definitely everything I wanted. Brave, strong, and dumb.
I like that. Was a good one.
Wow,
Yeah,
that was
I have-
great.
I have to talk about that one. I know this is very ethnocentric, but it cracked me up. So to me, Ray has an accent, and then he does an accent for like his gamer voice, which cracked me up.
I thought it was awesome. I like the sound effects too.
Yep.
Oh, yeah,
that was
me too.
great with the sword.
All right.
And any gamer who can get his wife to call in to win a contest,
I know.
Yep.
and she's a keeper.
Big points.
You
Big
bet.
points.
And she's smart because she killed him. So
I think I just heard the phone ring. So this was next.
Oh, yeah.
This is longtime listener Juan, and I have my entry for the
I remember Juan.
Cutthroat Caverns contest. Mine goes like this. You fell victim to one of the classic blunders. Never go in against a Sicilian when death is on the line. Ha ha ha! Ha ha ha!
And that's it.
Well, you
That
had
was
to
like a
have the
spot
Princess
on.
Bride
Yeah,
reference, though.
yeah.
So
That was very well
Juan,
done, though.
Maybe lost a point in originality, but gained it back with quality of acting.
also, I didn't really get the betrayal there, but definitely the spot on.
Well, clearly he
The
poisoned
Vicini.
him.
Right, but that's true though. He's not actually betraying him because he knows. It's not really a betrayal though. I think Ray's got something there
because he
It's
knows.
a duel.
I know that he knows.
Yeah, it's a duel. It's not really a betrayal.
Okay.
Mm.
Oh, I
All
don't
right.
know.
Sorry, Juan. I think
Semantics.
Any fool would know that man is mortal.
All right.
My name's Mike. I'm calling from in Somerset. I'm just on my way to play some Uncharted Seas, but thought I'd
Good on
drop
ya.
off an entry for the competition. The scene: 4 adventurers have entered a monster's lair. The dwarf lies under a mound of goblin corpses. The wizard was lost down a chasm. However, deep in the darkest hole, the barbarian, his muscles gleaming as he leaps back and forth, fights with a giant cave troll who bleeds from a dozen wounds, flailing wildly in a vain attempt to catch the nimble berserker. From the shadows, the merest glint of light upon chill metal betrays the presence of an elven ranger. Bow drawn, she awaits the perfect moment, biding her time for the perfect shot. The jewelers whirl and pirouette like partners in a ballroom. Over the ringing music of metal on metal, a keen observer might have heard the ranger whisper, "It's not you, it's me," before she released the arrow. The shaft flew straight and true, striking the target about the face. Finally, the barbarian slumped to the ground, feathers protruding from his eye. Stepping from the shadows, the beautiful elf dropped her bow. Wordlessly, the troll turned and gathered the proud maiden into his arms, carrying the ranger off into the darkness, and to the place where the troll made his home. In the deepest dark, far from the light of day, forbidden love is set free. Well, hopefully you like it. And, thanks for the podcast. And I'll listen to you every week, and as long as you keep making it. Cheers.
Thank you
Cheers.
for an entry almost disturbing as Russ and Rafe's love.
Uru, my friend. And that was, I like the forbidden love.
I think he's from England.
Oh, he is?
Actually, what I like
Oh, you're right.
is
Uru.
Sorry.
Keep
Sorry,
your
I was-
Uru to
sorry,
yourself.
every week.
Bloody hell.
That means he listens to us twice,
what
or
I mean.
half the show the first week. Because
Which
remember,
is what Russ says.
the important thing to remember is this is not a 3.5 hour podcast that every other week. This is a weekly show, 2 hour show, weekly show that's released bi-weekly.
That's right.
That's right.
All right,
And we're sticking with that
and we're
story.
sticking with that's our story. Next,
Oi, Grot, where's the mech? I just found a shooter here.
Shooter? That's a board, that is. I want it.
Go get your mech, you weedy Grot.
Oh, I ain't here, boss. How about I take a look at that gun myself?
Oi, don't even think about looting it, or I'll murder ya.
Ah, there it is. Well, looks like it's in good working.
Dugga, dugga, dugga. Did you just shoot me?
No, I wouldn't dare.
Dugga, dugga. Oh!
It's my button now.
Hi, my name is Chris Wynn. I love your podcast, and I hope you like my in-character submission of a grot betrayal.
Nice.
Oh, yes. Rafe is my favorite, and I think that Russ and Craig need to stop picking so much on Holly.
Oh, another one.
Yes.
Another
I
one.
love that guy.
Well,
by the way, he gets my vote.
Chris was doing great until the last little bit.
Yeah, I don't know.
actually like the sound effects. I love the little daka 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 in there.
Daka, 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 daka.
That's awesome. Although I think it would have sounded better going daka 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 instead of the daka daka.
Well, I would have said otherwise, but you know what? After that last little bit, I'm not inclined to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Good entry, Chris. Well done.
Very nice.
Next.
Hi, this is Elon Muscat from Toronto, and I'm calling in regards to the contest for Cutthroat Caverns. And I thought I would go with the classic. Even though it's in character, it's copyrighted, but here we go. I am altering the deal. Pray I don't alter it any further. Yeah, that's a late night version rendition. I hope it was not too horrible.
Excellent. Now, have you guys seen the Robot Chicken where they do that?
No.
Where Lando and Vader are there, and he says that, and then Lando goes, and then the door opens again, and Vader says, "Here's my laundry." What? Your laundry? I am altering the deal. Right? Further. It's like laundry. The door opens again, and here is my dishes. What? That was a good one. I like the Star Wars reference. Always good.
It. Yep.
Yes.
You always get bonus points with Russ.
Because I wasn't
Star
expecting
Wars
to get.
bonus.
I wasn't really expecting people to give us like great movie betrayals, but now we've had two.
Yeah. Well.
Although I still think Princess Bride is debatable on the betrayal front.
You guys can argue that later.
All right, here we go.
Hey guys, this is Liam. I'm just going to leave an entry for your latest Cutthroat Caverns competition. Here we go. What's the crack, Seamus? Not much, Liam, yourself? Not a lot. Hey, give us that lucky shamrock you got from last loot drop. Put in you to take our last boss fight.
What I like about this is it's in Elvish.
At least 2 points for this hook. Good job. By the beard of St. Paddy. This will give me plus 5 to Irish Army. Ain't that fine and dandy?
The problem, there was some really good Irish jokes in there, but you just couldn't hear them.
Yeah.
So I think Liam.
I heard St. Patty and Fine and Dandy.
Yeah, and I was thinking about the Irish Army. That's all I got.
Did it rhyme?
I don't
heard
know,
nothing.
But Liam, that was a good effort, and we really appreciate a good entry from Ireland. We just
And he's another big fan of Rafe's.
We couldn't quite hear it, so unfortunately, good try though. Good effort. All right, what do we got next?
We could hear that it was you, though, Liam.
Yes,
we could hear that it was Liam.
This message is approximately 5 minutes long. If it gets broken, I'll recall back and
Oh, good.
paragraph.
Here we go.
My most memorable betrayal at a role-playing game? The answer is clear. The game was a Star Wars game played many years ago at the University of Michigan Gaming Convention, Yukon. The party was a group of con artists who had conned an art collector out of several million credits, and we had sent most of our underlings off-planet after the job was done. However, as the ringleaders prepared to depart, all of our official travel documentation was mysteriously canceled. We were in a hurry to leave, yet could not produce legal visas or passports. Our ship was no longer cleared for departure. There was no imminent move to arrest us, however. We were in limbo, with a sword of Damocles hanging somewhere in the near vicinity, grabbing a latte and a donut.
I like the drama.
My character was one of the 2 corrupt cops who had been assigned to deflect the police away from our operations. So I started the game with a general interest in manipulating the legal system to make good our escape, if only to use the skills my character knew best. I bluffed my way to City Hall to hack into the police computer to free our ship. I passed quiet notes to the party's forger and to the party's pilot, asking them to hang back at the base. The forger began working on the fake passports, and the pilot, who occupies a minor spot in the story,
You know what I could recommend as a snack?
but I don't remember it.
Be nice.
So it must have been vital.
No, it's fine. Peanut butter.
The game master would occasionally
like
run
this
scenes with me or the forger to put
Farm
in dramatic
white bread.
tension as we made our skill checks.
Really good.
However, the rest of the party were rather unorthodox in their efforts to get on a spaceship. For instance, 2 characters attempted to sell themselves into slavery with a Hutt family to be smuggled off planet. One character, who I believe was the group's social engineer, went to a high-stakes sabacc game to win enough money to bribe his way through customs. Could not spend our ill-gotten gains from the con if they had already been deposited into sealed accounts. I don't remember any of the other wild schemes get away, mostly because they were so lame that I blotted them out of my mind.
Nice.
My triumvirate slowly but surely moved towards escape, while the rest of the party settled on a strategy of fleeing from the gunfight that broke out. Oh, wait, they started at the local cantina in a stolen taxi that wasn't nearly as air-conditioned before they left to the bar. The GM, knowing that the 4-hour time slot was almost over, wanted to move the story toward a conclusion. So we more or less assumed that we were all on a low level of radio contact, and figured that the taxi would just head towards the starport where our ship had minutes ago been cleared for departure. Now, here, I must admit to a little possessiveness. I put this solution together. My team. We had shepherded this plan from start to finish, while the rest of our gang had every poorly conceived solution short of chopping each other up into kibble, having someone make pizzas out of them, and slipping themselves into a Pizza the Hut freighter. To have these incompetent boobs Johnny-come-lately their way into my carefully crafted escape route was a slap in the face of this hardened criminal. That plus the very reasonable idea that splitting the con's take among 3 people is a lot more profitable than splitting it among 8. I calmly leaned forward and activated the ship's communication system. Starport security, I want to report a suspicious vehicle approaching the landing pad. It appears to have several blaster impact holes, and the driver is weaving erratically. There appear to be
Stoney
5
just
people
dinged
in the
another
vehicle,
level.
and I believe I saw a blaster barrel protruding out the window. Midway through this communique, the player of the gambler jumped out of his chair, pointed wildly at me, and, in the milder tones of someone who was still aware during a crowded game convention hall, shouted, "Oh, you son of a bitch!" To which I, a novice-level verbal duelist at the time, nearly belted back with, "Hey, you can't just schmooze your way out of that mess. This is my team that's leaving." And there was much laughing, and the PCs in the cab were all busted, and the triumvirate left to pick up their millions. Whereas now, if I were back at that table, I would calmly look across towards the gambler and say, "Hey, did you know they're running a sequel to this event later on? It's called Turkish Prison Break."
Nice.
I do enjoy the D6 Generation podcast. Please keep up the good work, gentlemen and ladies.
Thank you.
That was a nice ending.
That was definitely the longest entry of the bunch, for sure. And I do like the Star Wars. He put a lot of time into writing that.
Yep.
Clearly,
My peewee-sized brain, I couldn't get it.
Grasp it all. Well, he definitely was a good betrayal there, and it's the kind of betrayal you can only pull off in a role-playing game.
Yeah.
You didn't know where the betrayal was?
No.
He betrayed half of the party.
Didn't get it.
Yeah, half the party was coming in.
You don't have to rehash it, though.
No, it was pretty funny.
I'll trust you.
But the thing about it is it's the only kind of con you can pull off at a gaming con.
Yeah.
Because if you did that with your friends in a role-playing game, they'd kill you.
Oh, yeah.
You'd never play. They'd never play with you again.
You'd pay for it later.
Right, forever. So, good trick of the gaming cons there. All right, let's see what our next entry is.
Hello, D6 Generation. This
Hello.
is Jay from the sunny shores of Cleveland.
That's funny.
Long-time listener and first-time caller. I was going to do a witty betrayal dialogue from Cutthroat Caverns, but I actually don't own it, which, of course, is what this is all about.
Nice.
I suppose I could call you back in a month with a more relevant witty betrayal.
Now, that'd be funny.
To play it. So I went with another non-political betrayal. Yes, Admiral. Starbuck is secure in the brig. Greatest reports a Cylon base ship is launching raiders.
Oh, Battlestar betrayal.
No, sir. No, sir, not at all. Paulo reports he's in position to protect the civilians and is requesting further instructions. Yes, Admiral, I'm aware our numbers are dropping, but at least we have food and enough fuel for a few more jumps. Yes, sir, I'll get right on it. Adriatic and Rising Star, this is Galactica Actual. You're hereby ordered to move away from Galactica to Section 5x9 to 4x9. Boom. Game over. All right, that's it.
Nice. Nice.
Wait.
The Battlestar
Okay,
reference.
what he just did, he's playing
I did the
Battlestar.
translation,
He's
yeah.
playing
Oh, that was
Battlestar
awesome.
Galactica. Okay,
Yep.
He's playing.
and he
he's playing
is
Battlestar Galactica.
he's a Cylon.
Yes.
Right.
So he just put into really cool Battlestar Galactica talk the action
All the
of
mechanics
going
of the
to the communications array and ordering 2 civilian ships
Right.
into the sector where the Cylons are.
And in character, he just described the entire game position. He described where the fleet's current status, where the players were. It was really that was really well done. He said a role played a moment.
Yeah,
in the
I
Battlestar
can
game.
tell that. I could tell that, but
Very
not
well
knowing
done.
the game enough, I didn't get the punchline.
If you know Battlestar, that was really well done.
That's what I meant.
That was
Yeah,
one
yeah.
instance, Rafe, where not knowing the show would have weakened your enjoyment rather than you
Or
can
the
play
game.
the game and really enjoy the game. But you need to know the show to know
Yeah,
that he's
I could
translating
tell
all
that.
the cool
Good entry.
game
That was
stuff.
Jay, was it?
That was Jay.
Good entry, Jay.
Nice Battlestar Galactica. Jay.
I like bringing in the games from the show. That's well done.
Hi, I'm generic American. I'm sitting in my car because my house has been repossessed with my type 2 diabetes and my 2-second attention span.
This
I'm
is
just
hilarious.
checking through my stocks and shares. Ah, damn it. The Lehman Brothers site must be down. Oh, never mind. I'll have a look on the American History Channel. www.americanhistory.com. Blank, as usual. Oh, never mind. I'll see what's on iTunes. I'm sure I've got some downloads I can look at. Oh! The D6 generation! Oh, great! A new episode of the D6G! Hey, fantastic! I just love those guys, you know. They got Russ, we got Rafe, and we've got, Phil. Yeah, Phil. Oh, are they funny guys with their rapid fire and their, did you ever notice? Oh, hang on. There's a new episode of Board Games with Scott. Oh, Board Games with Scott. Oh, I just love Scott Nicholson and his witty reviews. Cancel D6G. Download Board Games with Scott. Love it. Fantastic. My evening is complete. I wasn't generic American guy. It was me, Owen. But I thought I'd like to enter your competition because I really, really, really want to get hold of a Cutthroat Caverns. I've been trying for years. I haven't got one. Thank you very much.
Wow. Owen,
Yeah,
he
that was
betrayed us.
classic.
That was his betrayal. That was awesome.
Unbelievable.
Ouch.
Wow.
That hurt.
Okay. Plus, the American political state was pretty damn funny, too. All right.
Oh, I realized something about Jay's first. I wanted to jump back on really quickly that he was at Dama.
Yes.
Because he was Battlestar Galactica. He was Galactica Actual.
Galactic Actual. He was in He was, yes, right.
So, but yeah, Owen is.
Owen is Owen.
I don't know. Why me, Owen? Why me?
I heard that
Okay.
in the car.
Why on this show where
awesome.
already I'm being buried into obscurity?
All right, moving on. Next one.
Oh, great. Okay.
Enter General Morak and report.
I love the sound effect.
My queen, my army and I have doubled your land and doubled your riches.
Thank you. However, you bore me. Guards, hang him.
Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal.
Nice one.
Nice.
I like
Yeah,
the ones
that's
that
good.
they're getting their ladies
They're
involved.
getting the ladies involved.
And the sound effects. You got to give
Yeah.
bonus points for sound
Yep.
effects. There's been a lot of prep time with some of these.
I agree.
What's that from? I forget. Sudden but inevitable. Oh, it's Firefly. Hello.
Yes.
Wow, I just lost some serious geek points there.
I'll let it go.
I'm gonna build you a house of pain, one brick at a time, from the bricks of shame. And in the house of pain will be the kitchen of sad. And in the kitchen I will bake you the cake of pain, from the eggs of discontent, the flour of inadequacy, and the leavening of fail. I shall bring forth a confection of woe. Then I will serve you this cake on the plate of your own fear, and you will have been served. The cake may be a lie, but the pain cake is not a lie. And you will eat this pain cake in the kitchen of shame, in the house of pain, and you won't want seconds of that.
Wow.
That is hilarious.
That was the trash talk from Adepticon, right?
Yep, that's Damien and the trash talk from Adepticon.
So sadly, he got it in just too late to make last episode, so he injected it as an entry in the contest.
We put it in the
so
contest.
It's not really a betrayal so much as it's sort
It
of
could be a betrayal. You don't know the context.
Yeah, that could have been the after you betrayed line.
Right, or it
How
could
can
be
you
right
betray me?
before.
Yeah, right.
See?
But that was really good. That was impressive.
That was
That's
really
some
funny.
seriously
Now
good
imagine
trash
that going
talk.
on the other side of the table.
Was he like that the whole game? Just
No,
like-
no. That would have actually started to get
Yeah,
really
probably.
obnoxious.
That's pretty good. That
But,
was
yeah.
really impressive. Nicely done.
And he would rattle it off like a riff, too.
Yeah, nice. Well done.
Hi, I'm Devin Pike, and I'm Brendan Pike. We live in far northern California, and this is our entry for the Cutthroat Caverns Betrayal Contest. Are you ready, Brendan? Roger. Well, all right, then. All right. We have found the generic fantasy object of nigh unlimited power. But wait, there's two of us. I know. We'll share it. I think not. Ha ha! I betray you. I shall have the item for myself. Ha ha ha! Betrayal at the last moment. The cliched irony. Wow, good job, Brendan. That totally original and unique bit of acting is sure to win us the prize. Wow. I look forward to playing this fun and exciting game together as a family. You know what? I think that you are probably my favorite brother. I can't wait to get playing. We have this contest in the bag.
Yes. We do have this contest in the bag. But I will be the only one taking it out of the bag when it arrives.
What? But wait, no! Put the knife down!
That was good, too.
You thought I was the weaker one. You thought I was weak, but I was stronger. All along, I was stronger. I proved it to you at the last moment. You didn't believe me! You didn't believe me, but I proved it to you! Oh, wait. Who am I going to play this with? Dang it.
That was
Nice.
That was pretty good.
That was
Reminds me of
two
Russ and John.
betrayals.
That was 2 betrayals in one. I like the overacting and the cliche.
Yeah.
The cliche betrayal.
Very witty writing.
Yeah, very good. A lot of these good writing
Yep,
here today.
yep.
Really good writing.
A lot of
we
good
really,
good
I really
acting,
appreciate
too.
the effort everybody did here. There's a lot of effort in all this.
There are some really high quality
writing.
entries here. This
Hours
is
of
not
effort.
going to be easy.
It is not going to be easy.
Hi, this is Alex, and this is my entry for the Cutthroat Caverns contest. Ah, Johann, my fine comrade-at-arms. Would you be so kind as to check the bodies of those kobolds that we dispatched earlier? Yes, the ones by the pit. Yarp.
It was a little hard to hear. I think there was a sound effect in there, like Goofy flying through the air or something. A little.
Yeah, I think there was music, and I think he kicked Johan into the pit.
Yeah, I think so. I think there was a little bit of audio challenge there,
I
but good effort. As people who try to mess around with this stuff all the time, is definitely tricky. It's easy to make weird audio efforts.
Yeah.
Good one, though. We liked it.
Yes, this is Ken Cummins from Iowa. I'm calling to leave my entry for the Cutthroat Caverns contest. I'm hoping I'm not too late calling this in. Anyway, the last thing I would say is I stabbed the last person in my party in the back would be, no, the loot rides shotgun. Thank you, and good night.
I like it.
That's pretty short and sweet.
I like.
What are we up to there, Craig? For entries
That's
now,
15.
15. So
Nice.
we got a pretty good pool here. I think we got at least one more, maybe two. Let's see.
Hi, the contest for the Cutthroat Cavern. What you'd say after you backstab someone and won. I'd probably say something like, "Thank you. Let me take that for you."
Okay, that was really short. Not sure how much effort was in there, but good.
Hey,
thanks for entering.
every person
That's
is
right.
special.
Every entry's got a chance.
That's right.
Or they're not, and they're just losers.
Okay.
Only in your world, but we still love you anyway.
That's because I'm a loser.
Oh, I think that's it.
Uh-oh.
We're all out.
All right.
So those are our entries. So now we're going to have a quick communal effort.
We'll be right back.
We'll be right back with the winners.
All right.
Okay,
we're
so after
back.
much deliberation,
This is crazy.
we came down
Really?
to this is really hard, and we came down to 4 finalists that we
And
liked.
I think I just wore the cushion out of my chair. It took
This
so
is
much
insane.
deliberation.
We haven't even done the Warmachine stuff yet.
So,
Oh, my God.
four finalists we like,
And we want to tell you why they were finalists,
right?
too.
So who was the first one we liked?
Well, first we're going to go with Ray.
These are in no particular order.
We can't we put them in an order, and
Actually,
that's what we.
we'll put them in the we'll do them in the order they were presented in the
Right.
in
That's
in
the
show.
best way to do it. Ray and his wife's was great. I thought you got to hear him his normal voice. Then he was acting.
That was the one where the
fact
the
that
wife killed him with a sword.
Killed him
drew
with
the-
a sword.
Yeah,
the
then I see
queen.
your sword and killed
Yeah.
you. Right.
A great betrayal.
Yes. got his wife to do the bit with him.
Which also General Morak did.
Yes,
So
yes,
kudos
yes.
to you guys.
Right.
But his wife...
Ray just came out
really
really
turned
good.
evil.
The audio came out perfectly.
Yeah, it was awesome.
The delivery lines are perfect. So Ray was in there.
Really nice story.
Really good one.
Next one.
Jay with his Battlestar Galactica entry.
Loved it.
I love the building of an actual gameplay into the thing.
Yep.
That was awesome. Perfect reenactment of the game. The only negative Jay had was you really had to know Battlestar to get it.
Yep.
But he knew his
But
audience,
2 out
which
of
was
the 3 of us
right?
did.
And we reviewed the game, so really clever, very clever
Very
entry.
D6G-ish.
Yes, I liked it.
Yeah, and I could tell that it was a really good entry. I just didn't get the behind the scenes, but you could tell it was really good.
Yep. Rafe, without the list in front of you, do you remember the next one?
No, but give me the lead in.
It's Owen.
Oh, Owens. Oh, man.
Definitely the funniest entry from our point of view.
Yeah.
Yes. Raucously funny. Great reference to American culture as well as...
Some of the people who are getting annoyed with his Welsh nationalism should, now that we've taken some licks, he's
and I did like his...
handing it out evenly.
I like the betrayal of our show, which
Yep.
is brilliant.
Yep.
Yeah, I liked how it was like a subtle betrayal there.
Great entry from Owen. And then last, Craig, who was the other one?
Devin and Brendan were very, very much in the spirit of the not too horrible humor of the D6 generation.
Yes, self-deprecating.
Right.
I love the tongue-in-cheek. This is not really well acted acting, kind of thing.
Yeah. And then the double betrayal was great.
Yes, really liked that. Took me off guard. I really liked that entry a lot.
Yeah,
me too.
And so
we were torn
for various reasons. Every one of those 4 was in the top 1 at one point over the last 10 minutes.
Right.
And one of us would
an hour and 10 minutes.
Oh, right. At an hour and 10 minutes. It was days, and we haven't eaten.
Months of deliberation.
Anyway, and we couldn't do it. One of us would advocate, and then convince one of the others, and then somebody. Oh, it was crazy.
We're actually gonna. We've used our various theatrical skills to whittle it down to these 4 entries,
Yep.
and now we're gonna roll a die.
We are gonna roll a 4-sided die
Right here on the table.
Yep.
We couldn't make a D6 work with 4 entries.
No, we
unfortunately.
tried. And D4 generation didn't
So
sound
go ahead,
as good.
Craig. Drop the
Okay.
die.
Ready?
There it is. It is
Devin and Brendan.
Awesome.
Nice with the double betrayal.
Nice.
All right. So Devin and Brendan, we're working on our new sound effects for the applause, and also
don't hurt each other.
Right. Good job, guys. Don't
And
stab each other.
Everybody's was awesome.
But Devin and Brendan,
so much work went into all these.
Yeah, we do have some bad news for you, though. At the end of your thing, when you killed your brother, you mentioned who we're going to play with it now. It's a minimum of 3 players for this game.
That's a good point.
So you got to find another brother.
Hopefully,
get your mom and dad on that project.
Hopefully, you have a friend. Oh, nice.
All right. So
in approximately 12 years, you'll have another.
To everyone, there are no losers. Only people who didn't get a game.
No matter what he says.
It was awesome entries. Great
Even
fun.
if we love him.
Thank you so much.
I can't believe you're dishing this much love about effort and stuff. Everyone else who didn't win are
please.
losers.
Come on,
it's that
there's
simple.
so much time and effort went into this.
All of those. You can tell
cares? Did
there
they get
were
the box?
hours into the
No.
writing.
Box is actually.
All right.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, everyone, so much again, and
thank
we'll
you,
look forward
guys.
to another mega contest
That
sometime in the
was
future. Great effort.
I'm Ray Hollywood Ranger, and this is the Hollywood Minute, brought to you by Gamer Interface, where he's giving me one more chance on my own very special, highly coveted Hollywood Minute shout-out to send in a good and proper shout-out to games-plus.com, the best darn game store in the Midwest. Thinking he can make me say what he wants, I'll show him. And just because Russ says, oh, he paid for the Hollywood Minute, you have to say what he wants. Yeah, well, I'm going to be nobody's stooge. Oh, just wait till Craig gets back from China. That's all I'm saying. This is part 2 of my series on time. So we get emails now and again asking us, how do we find so much time to game with a wife and family? And occasionally we give out in email the way we balance this hobby of ours with the somewhat standardness of family first. And even the wives have given excellent advice from their perspective. But I have never really given my advice, my true advice, the Hollywood advice to all of you out there on how to balance our true love with our true love. I will leave it to you to interpret that. Okay, so to start on how to balance gaming with your wife, girlfriend, or significant other, here's how. Remind her who is the boss. You. Tell her you game because you are a man. She is to make you eggs and sausage links and keep your coffee warm whilst you read the new IG Codex. Tell her it's not your problem that she is tired from working a full-time job and the kids will be needy on a Saturday as you game all day long. Look, it's not your fault that all the other men in the world's cojones are snipped off and stored in a little silk sack. That's Oprah's fault. For you, gaming is life. Pure. Simple. Straight. It is where men need to be men. Look, women can come too, as long as they hang like a man. You know what I'm saying? So again, back to the topic at hand. You simply game for however long and whenever you want. I mean, no need to be rude. You can leave a note to say where you are. I mean, hey, she should just be glad you're not at the bar getting drunk and hitting on chicks. I mean, you can if you want to, because you're the man. Oh, and that statement of, if mama ain't happy, ain't no one happy? Don't believe it. It's a lie. The cake is a lie. That is true. But you, having to worry about your time versus her time? Bunk. Foo-foo. Don't worry about it. I mean, where is she going to go? Leave? Ha! There's no one better than you. She knows it. You know it. I mean, man, the whole damn world knows it. So, dude, think about it. Just do it. All the time. Gaming in the morning, gaming in the evening. Gaming when it's raining, and even more fun, gaming when it is a beautiful day outside. The point is, gaming, gaming, gaming. I just can't say it enough. You game when you want to. Period. Enough said.
Need to add a big unit to your current force and don't feel like painting that many grunts? Or maybe you want to start a new army and really don't have time to paint it up. That's where paintedfigs.com can help. For 3 years, their staff with over 20 years of experience in the industry have been providing gamers with high-quality, affordable paint jobs on miniatures from the most popular games, including Flames of War, Warhammer 40,000, Fantasy, Warmachine, Hordes, and even a variety of board games. Their full-service packages include the cost of the models themselves at wholesale prices, assembly, painting, and basing. Because they're able to get the models wholesale, you end up with a package appearing on your doorstep full of ready-to-play models at only the fraction over their retail price. Their name says what they do. PaintedFigs.com. High-quality miniature painting at the lowest rates on Earth, even with shipping. Be sure to let them know the D6 generation sent you.
When wives attack.
Hello, we are the Wives. This is Karen, Craig's wife.
And this is Nicole, Ross's wife. And our shout out this week. My favorite game shop is Top Deck Games, Tulsa, Oklahoma's premier game shop. That's it, short and sweet.
Alrighty. And we have some guest book signatures.
We do.
We start with Stuart, who mentioned about us talking actually to the wives, like getting the men to make their wives listen and us talking
like addressing them instead of addressing the guys, which addressing them. We were addressing you ladies. I think that would be neat, and I think if any of the guys can get their significant others to send us an email if there's something that's, I'd love to hear what the ladies hate, what drives them nuts. Or
I think that would be best, like non-gamer wives writing in
saying, good Lord, how do I handle this?
Yeah. I think that would be good. Radish wanted us to know that in Oxford there's tons of women board gaming, actually more than men where he is, he said, basically.
Oxford, was that Oxford, England, Oxford,
yeah.
I'm assuming?
Yep.
So is that because everyone's so smart there, all the ladies game, because gaming is such an intelligent, cerebral thing to be doing? That's it. I'm gonna say that's why. The ladies in Oxford are just really super smart.
We have Sean, who loves the podcast, and XX Nothing wrote that he cannot he likes listening to the wives but cannot relate in any way because his wife is a gamer and never has trouble getting his wife to play any game ever.
And now the however many listeners, do you know how many listeners we have? All of them are going, oh, I wish I had that guy's wife.
That's what he said. He goes, I didn't realize how lucky I was. He goes, I guess I'm lucky.
You are lucky because a lot of ladies will not go near a game.
Yep. So I think what we're going to talk about now is we got an email from Nathan, who was getting married.
Is now a married man. Congratulations, Nathan.
Congratulations. prior to the wedding, literally like days before the wedding. He emailed us.
A man with his priorities. Wait, I must email the wives before I put that ring on my finger.
And basically, just going to read a couple sentences here. It said it would be interesting to hear the horror stories that you guys have heard. Actually, this was to the guys, I think.
Yes.
It would be interesting to hear the horror stories that you guys have heard of post-marriage gaming. Gil, my lovely wife-to-be, seems all interested in gaming now, but after the aforementioned ritual happens...
Is it Gil or is it Jill?
It's totally Jill. I'm
okay,
just an
because
idiot.
you said Gil. And I'm like,
you can tell I'm reading.
Maybe we're wrong. Maybe it's going to go
G. At least it's a G. That's why
I was
it
thinking
threw
like
me
Jill,
off.
like Jillian.
Jill. Yeah. And I have a niece, Jillian. All right. Jill, my... Because whose name would be Gil? All right. What girl's
Gil
name?
Gerard, Buck Rogers. Go ahead.
All right. Jill, my lovely wife-to-be, seems all interested in gaming now, but after the aforementioned ritual happens, am I in for a nasty surprise? And everybody wrote back, even the boys did.
Yeah, although the boys, and I think it was your husband, I think it was Craig, who said, next time you really want to answer this question, don't copy the wives on the email. Like, the guys can be totally honest. Yeah, this is all the stupid stuff that happened when we got married. Oh, wait, Nicole and Karen saw that.
So let's start with Russ's. Because you'll know about it. He said he thinks the only real advice is about balance and make sure you make time for your family and your hobby. Too much of one to the exclusion of the other is bad.
And I sort of think I said the same thing when I responded. Was it? And that Russ actually is really good at finding balance. I mean, we've been married for a long time, and he's been gaming. Gosh, I think the whole time we've been married, he has had his Tuesday nights that he games. But especially now that we have a family and stuff, he's very good about. As much as he loves his gaming, it's second priority, and it should be because you're getting married, and you got to be with that person for the rest of your life, and you should make them a priority. And he makes a big point of even when there's gaming things, it's his life around his gaming is secondary to the rest of his life.
You're supposed to fit gaming into your life, not your life into your gaming.
Right. And he's good at that. And he does have, he's going this coming weekend. He's doing a whole big games day thing all day on Saturday at my best friend's house and his buddy Chris's house, Nikki, who's going to cook the most awesome food. And he's going to be there all day. I probably will see him maybe when he gets up if he's not gone before I wake up. And then he'll be gone all day. But then like the next weekend I'm taking off with friends and he has the girls. So, there's some balance.
It's a give and take.
Some give and take and some sharing there. Yeah.
He did right. I do game about every Tuesday night, but he doesn't game on the weekends, and it seems like, or usually doesn't,
right. Like this is a special thing. I can't think the last time he went for an all-day game thing on the weekends. It's only once every couple months.
PattyCon?
No, but I was with him. That was at night. That was different.
Oh yeah, that's right. You guys came later.
As opposed
to
just him being a dork all day long while I sat home with the kiddos. Yeah.
What Craig wrote is the same thing, but a different take. He said the same thing, that it's all about balance, but especially, you need to remember that, especially when your wife allows you to do a lot, because it's easy to take that for granted and start doing more and more. A relationship can be poisoned by resentment over one person not being able to do their own thing in moderation, the same way it can be, resentment can be caused by overdoing it too much.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. And I think some examples would be like if he'd like Craig games every Tuesday and I don't bug him about it. I don't bug him about his gaming at all. And to show appreciation for that, if on a Tuesday night it's not that hot, it's not like, it's sort of boring or the game's over and it's 8:30. Why not? Maybe I'll go home. Maybe I'll go home early because nothing's going on, because she doesn't ever bug me about going. I mean, like once in a while, something like that. So that she knows that, she knows that you appreciate that she lets you do whatever.
Right.
And then she's more likely to let you do it.
Just because, you guys have a standing idea that this is a night that you game or an afternoon you game or whatever doesn't mean that. Don't kind of like abuse it and assume, oh, okay, she just wants me to game whenever I feel like it. No, she's okay with having a set time that you game and that's your time. But don't expect every minute of every day to randomly be that time. You got to give her, people plan, especially, wives and when people have kids and stuff and families to balance. You plan things around what you're doing like weeks in advance, trying to juggle everyone's schedule. And, you plan a game day or you plan a game night or that night is a set time, but to change it up or make it run late or change it around can completely throw a wrench in the works.
Yeah.
So
because we're different because we don't have kids yet.
Right.
So there's not many times where I'm he really can't do something. You know,
Right.
you don't have kids, so there's not much that he can't do. But at the same time, you don't want to take advantage of that situation and, you know, do it 80% of your time just
Right.
because you can and there's no kids.
Because
that
then she'll be mad at you and you'll be divorced and
Right.
and we'll be kids.
Yeah. And I think another thing is that women, for the most part, don't want to be your mom. So they don't want to say you can't go. They want you to go, I'm not going to go because we have something to do. Like, I would rather, if this was a situation, if something came up, I don't want to say, Craig, you can't game because we have to go here. I want it to be him saying, oh, I can't go because, you know, I don't want to tell
Right.
him what to do.
It's kind of like, you know, when you're a kid and you're asking your parents for help with your homework and you'll say, like, Mom, how do you spell this word? And they'll look at you and not give you the answer and just say, how do you think you're going to
Yeah.
spell it? Well, don't make me tell you not to go.
Right.
Think about it. Do you think that you should be going? Do you think that you should be? If you think that you shouldn't be,
right.
use your own common sense and figure it out and think, nah, she's not going to like that. Don't make your wife tell you or your girlfriend say, oh, come on, don't go. You know, I
Right.
really haven't hung out with you. We've both been busy at work or busy with other things and we need some
Mhm.
time together. Make sure that you think about that and don't force her to say it because that's just putting her on the spot and you're making her feel like a nag if you do that.
And in the end, I think always is it works out for you because if you do that, then she lets you do more. I don't
Right.
say lets you, but she doesn't mind when you do more because she knows you're doing the right thing.
Right.
So she knows you're not taking.
And it's kind of like, so then she knows when
She
your
doesn't feel
mind's
neglected
when your
'cause she
mind's-
knows she's
yeah,
important.
when your mind's on your game, you're on your game and you're totally focused on the games. But when you're not there, you're not thinking, when am I going to get my next game in? You're thinking about her and what you're doing with her.
Exactly.
And he sent pictures of him and his wife.
He did.
Which was the prettiest wedding pictures. I just have to say,
They
your
were
wife, I
very
don't know,
nice.
she's looking,
Yeah.
you looked beautiful. She looked really, really pretty. And Nathan. I keep wanting to
Nathan.
call him Nash. Nathan didn't look too shabby himself, and they look very happy. It was really, really sweet wedding pictures. So now the guys that you know that are listening can be like, oh my God, you sent pictures?
did,
Yeah,
yeah.
of course he sent pictures. And they were really cute. And Karen and I both looked at them and went, aw.
I did. I liked her dress like very much. I liked the straps on it. and
It was
stuff.
very pretty.
Yeah.
And her bridesmaids' dresses even. Did you see
Yes,
those?
yeah. They were like a shade of red,
They were
right?
kind of like
or
a
maroon.
red. Yeah, red or maroon. They were very pretty.
I'm going to say one more thing about this because I
Okay.
think I have a unique perspective.
Okay. Go for it, Karen.
Craig and I did not, because you guys have been married forever and you, not in a bad way, but so it's always sort of been. Craig and I met much later.
Yeah.
So when we dated, you were one of those old-fashioned couples who did not live together before they got married. So
Mhm.
when he would game when we were dating, it wasn't, I never talked about whether he could go or not go, or he would ask because I wasn't in the house. Like, I'd be somewhere else. I'd be
Right.
home, so it didn't. Once you get married, it is different because once you get married or you're living together and he chooses to go and game, I mean, you are leaving her behind, like
Right.
in the house. It's totally different than when you're not living together. And I noticed that change when I got married, that it definitely feels different than when he goes gaming now than when he went gaming when we were dating.
Right.
And not that it's bad or good, but it is very different. It was a living together in general was a huge adjustment for me after we got married. That being one of the things is when he goes out with his friends, I'm like, oh, I'm just home, I guess. And you know what I mean? Like, oh, okay, my husband's out. And I will report back. I mean, we're going to start having a family soon. I assume it's going to be another huge change. You know what I
Huge.
mean? Yeah, when he wants to do gaming and we have a kid.
It's a bigger
Or two.
change when you go from being, because Russ and I are both in college, right? You know, we went right
Yeah.
from college to being married, but still being, you know, in college and hanging out with all your friends and just that to being married. That was a big change, but it was a way, way, way bigger change to have kids.
Yeah. Just the
Because
scheduling when we have kids.
It's not even the scheduling. It's like you are both always on call.
Yeah.
There's no time when one of you is not required somewhere. One of you has to be with the
Yeah.
kids unless you have a sitter.
Yeah.
So it's a whole different thing. And there's no break.
There's no sick day. That's
There's
what
no
I always
sick
say.
day.
There's no sick days.
Here's the sick day. My sick day, I don't know if everyone can hear, I sound a little bit like a frog.
Yeah.
This is my sick day. And today on my sick day, I ran 82 different places with the children, came home,
Yeah.
ate dinner, and I'm doing this. That was my sick day.
There's no, that's what I keep telling myself for when we have them is there's no like, I don't want to do this today. There's none of that. Like, I'm bad with that. Like, I don't want to do that today.
Yeah.
And
you're going to say that the first time the kids are up all night, both throwing up, and you're like, I don't want to do this well. Unless you have a maid, no one's cleaning that up.
Yeah,
so
and then it's going to be a Monday night, and Craig thinks he's going out the next night.
You know what? I do have to say, I did call Russ home from a gaming night once when one of the kids was sick.
Yeah.
And just the guys that are either have wives who are having children soon or are thinking, when I called him, I was not nice. I'm like, hey, hun, Kit threw up. Do you think you could come home?
Yeah.
My head spun like the chick in the, what's the movie where she spits up? The Exorcist. I did an Exorcist thing on the phone. I was like, come home now. And he's like, okay, I'll be right there.
Yeah. And see, what I'm thinking is that for all you guys out there, if you know, like, you know, Tuesday night is their night, so in our house. So say if Monday night is horrible with the kids or I'm having a breakdown, if he all of a sudden goes, you know what, I'm not going to go on Tuesday, I'll do something, then, you know, for the next 5 weeks, if I'm having a bad night, I'm more apt to just leave him at the store and go, he did that for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So but if you don't, and she has to pull you every time, it's going to be awful every time. It's going to be like, it's going to always be a fight.
But you know what? They look like a super happy little couple in those pictures.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm talking to
They're
Joe. They did
so
look
cute.
super
They're
happy.
They're going to be so cute. He had that. I'm going to embarrass him. I'm going to embarrass him now if his any buddies that are listening, because he had that cute little, oh, wow, I'm married that girl kind of look on his face, which was really, really sweet.
Yeah. They always look cute when they do that.
He did. He had that really goofy little happy look on his face. Every groom should look goofy and happy when he looks into his bride's eyes.
So, we should mention not to listen to Rafe's advice. I don't know if you read Rafe's advice at all. Did you?
Oh, yeah, I did read Rafe's. No, I think we should read what Rafe said.
I have a little paragraph here. You need to stand up. I'm hoping this was a joke. I know in his house this was a joke.
Yeah. We know his wife.
You need to stand up now and tell her who is boss if she does not understand your need to game for 8 hours on a Friday night and you cannot get up with the baby when the baby is crying. That is just tough blank for her. She knew who you were when she married you, and she just needs to deal. I would say that's not good advice.
No, and did you see what I responded back to him? I was like, yeah, okay, since Rafe wants to make sure she knows she's in his place, why don't I just forward this on to Marisa? And then when Rafe shows up with a black eye at the next recording session, we will know who's really in charge. Because Marisa could take him out, no problem.
So I think in summary, our tips are have a balance, always show appreciation so she knows she comes first.
Yeah.
And those two things together should make it work, I think.
And I have to tell you something, too. I found on the Facebook thing. So, a lot of people joined our little D6 Generation Facebook page.
From the 1 week we started at 16 when we mentioned it, and we're at 84.
Okay. I haven't looked at it because I am such a dork. I have found a massively multiplayer online role-playing game.
Oh, goodness.
And it's on Facebook. I am such a
nerd.
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty nerdy.
It's the vampire thing. And I totally fess up. I'm like, oh, my God. I actually downloaded extra stuff in the computer. So
is it almost like what Craig does with the emailing? Like you write in your stuff?
No, it's like a little silly thing where you try to get it's called Vampire Wars. You could look. I'll invite you, Karen, and then you'll see. But it's and I started playing this silly little vampire thing, and it's so much fun. It's so much fun.
If you invite me, I may have to hit ignore.
Yeah, that's okay. Whatever. I have 224 people that have not ignored me. So, yes, I'm totally into this. And Russ was so funny. He was like totally fascinated. He's like, I can't believe you found a game like that.
That's pretty funny.
So yeah, it took a cheesy little game on Facebook to finally get me.
So what does it say
like
so people know again?
It's called Vampire Wars.
So they can search for it on Facebook.
You can search that on Facebook, and it's really silly. I mean, it's not really a complicated,
but you enjoy it.
It's fun, yeah, and it sort of passes the time, and it's cute, and it's neat to see, as you're trying to build your little clan. What's really amazing is like I have people who I can't understand the language they're speaking, but you can add them and it doesn't matter.
Oh, really?
And I can't even pronounce that chick's name, but she said she'd be in my clan. Okay, click confirm. It's like, because you get people from all over the place.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think what was really weird to Russ found funny was more women than men.
Really?
Yeah, more women than men.
Women love the vampires. Like they like vampires.
I blame credit/Twilight, especially since you have to name your little vampire in this.
Because what's that HBO one too?
True Blood, but that's about the same. I know people who watch True Blood only because
of
Twilight. But when you look on you have to name your vampire, and you have your Draculas and your Lestats and stuff.
Names.
But then there's like Bella, Edward. Bella loves Edward. Bella's hard. Bella's so, and I'm like, and that's always the one I pick to kill. I'm gonna kill that stinking Bella. So I'm having fun with that, so I found my dorky game to play.
So speaking of Facebook.
Yes.
what do we want to discuss here?
We're
well,
trying-
first of all, it's awesome. I love the discussion boards.
Yeah, it's very fun.
I love whoever made up the discussion board about introducing the fans. It's awesome. The discussion, I
Hilarious.
love it. So what it is some, if you go on Facebook and it's under D6 Generation, not the D6, under D6
Right.
Generation, there's some discussion boards on the group, and someone started, hey, I'm going to introduce myself, and as people, I think there's only 5 or 6 of them, so you need to, all 84 of you, go do it. Is they
Even if it's just a couple quick lines, 'cause
yeah,
it's kind of fun
so
to see who everybody
awesome.
is.
And they write down like what they do and how they heard of the podcast. It's really cool.
The one guy, it was crazy though. We had like a prison
he's prison
psychiatrist,
psych, yeah.
and then a guy who did some
Archaeology.
archaeobotanical.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, I can't even say that. What
Yeah.
do you do? I don't even know what that is. And he like kind of described it sort of funny, like, yeah, I just make stuff up and people
Yeah.
pay me, But
And
it's neat to
yeah.
see what people do.
And we then there's a discussion board about topics for us.
Yes.
And I have to say, like right now, I have been copying and pasting most things to make sure the boys see them
Because they have a Facebook bias, which
They
at
do.
least 84 of our listeners, 84, do not
Yeah.
have a Facebook
and
bias.
most of them are men, if not all of them.
Yeah, I think they're almost. I don't think are there any women on there? I don't know. I'll
I'm
have
not
to scan
sure.
through it after this.
So we're trying to get our men somehow. I've told Craig that I want them to post on there, either under me, because Nicole said something different, but I don't think I will get Craig to open an account. I know I won't.
I don't think I will get Russ to open an account, but I can post on his behalf. But I'm not letting him have my name. Because he'll post something and someone will be like, what? Was that Nicole? And then he'll just sign it Russ and he'll be like, oh, it's the dorky husband who's saying that, not her. And he'll be like, why did Nicole say that? And I'll be like,
Yeah.
notice the Russ at the end. It'll
Yeah.
be confusing. I know my husband.
That's pretty funny, actually.
Yeah.
Because there's a girl on my Facebook whose boyfriend goes in and like
Yeah, see, does it
writes
mess
stuff
you
and
up for a minute? You're kind of like,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, I don't want anyone to think that he's me, ever.
Yeah. But I might. I can't picture Craig just going on and posting because I have to. I
Maybe
can't
we
blame him.
could get
He's a high
Rafe
school
to do
student.
it.
He's a high school teacher, so Facebook to him is like, oh, all the kids are doing it, so that's why he's sort of anti-Facebook.
Craig, that just made you so old because you're oh my lord, because you're the kids are doing, but that doesn't mean get with the times,
he
old
doesn't
man.
like it. So, but what he will do is if like I'll show him stuff and then he'll write, and I'll open it up and then he'll write stuff. I know he'll do that. I think.
No, we're trying. Maybe we could
because
get
we don't
Rafe.
want it to become just the wise things. We want it to be the D6
but
generation.
He's Rafe HD Hollywood
Rafe might do
Granger.
it.
Maybe we could get Rafe to do it.
Rafe might be on it. So
You think?
I mean, we're definitely on it. I check it every day. I check it a few
I was
times a
checking
day.
it every day until I started getting sucked into this Vampire Wars game, and I haven't looked at it in a couple days.
So some other things that they mentioned, 2 ideas here. So these are like teasers for topics that we may discuss. Andrew wrote, I'm going to read this because it astonished me when I saw it.
Okay.
I think it would be great to see what happens when the wives try to play Warmachine or Warhammer 40K. I know it probably sounds like a pain, but it would be neat to hear what your reactions are trying to learn the rules and play an extremely competitive and in-depth game that you have little interest in playing.
I have played 40K. More than once I have played 40K.
Would you say you liked playing it?
No.
Yeah.
You know what? And I didn't play like with a whole army. I played, as a matter of fact, with a squad of Sisters of Battle. And I played Mordheim. I don't even know if that's still around, which is like a little skirmishy game.
Mm-hmm.
And I played Battlefleet Gothic, I think it was. And I played, when we had the store, I played all of those so that I would know how to play. And I played little squad combat things with 40K. And you know what? It actually was not, I didn't think it was particularly that so much hard, as it just was not my thing.
Mm-hmm.
Not into it.
I don't know the intricate rules, but I was the...
Yeah, I can't say I know the detailed stuff, but I mean, I could play a basic game. If it was some weird thing, I'd have to defer to whoever I was playing. But
I know, like, when I was the good girlfriend when we were first dating, I used to go and sit at the store and watch him play the games. So I know, like, the turns, and I know what they have to do, and I know the rolling and the fighting. I mean, and I'm so not interested. And I told him... He started laughing. He thought it was a good idea.
Craig?
Yeah. And I
said... For you to play? Are you going to play now?
For us to do that. And
I said... already, Craig.
I know. So I said... I doubt that I could ever do it. I just couldn't. I said
you could
the
play
only
a
way I
squad
would
skirmish because it's small and it doesn't take like the 20 hours the guys spend on it. It's like a tank and a bunch of guys, or a couple tanks and a couple of handfuls.
I said the
of
only
men.
way I would even think about it is if we were recording, like if you could record my reactions.
That would be funny.
And then I said to Craig, my whole reaction would be like, so what do I do? Like, what do I do? Where do I go? What do I do? That would be the
Where
whole
should I
tape.
move that man with
so what do I do? What turn are we on? And he was like, well, that's not...
That would be exciting recording.
Yeah, he was like, well, you can either play it or not play. I'm like, well, I wouldn't
Then not play. Thank you. Option selected.
Yeah. So I don't think I'm going to do that because I really have no interest in it.
And like I said, I have.
Right.
And it's, you know what, it is a very tactical game, and I can see, because it was funny playing with all those different guys at the stores. You would have some of the guys that would be much more... ready to give me advice than others.
Yeah.
Like they would give me these really detailed, like, okay, well, you can move this here, move that. And I'm like, can I move him that way? Like, so I can see there's a whole lot of that behind it, but that just doesn't interest me.
And I'm not reading the books. And I know that
you're not going to break out your Space Marines Codex.
And I've seen enough of it to know if I was interested or not. You know what I mean? And I'm just not. Now, if there was a clamoring, if we all of a sudden got 50 emails saying, please, Karen, we need to hear this from you, and Nicole, then I might consider it. But as of right now, no. And then the other topic was, which I'm excited about, and I want to do this. I may not be able to come up with 10, but John Sweeney said top 10 recipes you use for game nights.
Oh, I think we should put some stuff together and post it on our little Wives website. That would be fun.
Because I had a couple things come right to mind. And actually, I took it as a compliment because he said that he assumes by listening to us that we don't phone it in when we cook for game nights.
No, I haven't. Well, no, I've hosted a couple things, but no, I don't phone it in.
Yeah, me neither. So that'll come up in the next couple episodes.
Cool.
I'm excited about that.
I'll have to see. I know. We have a couple. I know some things I know that Nikki's making this weekend, but Nikki hoards her recipes sometimes.
Yeah, but not. Yeah, we can. But we can even just discuss about like what it is.
But I'm going to post them. I'm going to post.
Yeah,
my
post
favorites.
them will be fun.
My favorite nibbles.
So I guess that's it for us.
That's it. Yeah, that was a long one.
Email us at the wives at the wives at the D6generation.com.
Yeah.
Check out our website at thewives.webs.com. Like spiderwebs.
And come see us on Facebook.
And come see us on Facebook.
So we can prove the guys wrong, because it's always fun and makes us happy.
Yeah, and fill out those intro things, because I love them.
Yeah, because that's cool. We'll mention it.
All right. See you next time.
Take care.
Thanks.
Bye.
Warning! This podcast is part of the Wargamers Radio Network. WRN. You have been warned. For more information, go to www.wargamerradio.com.
Danger! Danger, Will Robinson!
Silence, you ninny!
If you trust in your soul, keep your eyes on the goal, then the prize you won't fail. That's your grail. That's your grail.
That's your grail, yeah.
So be strong.
Just be strong.
Keep right on.
Right on.
To the end.
Of your song, 'cause you are here. It's words from Wales. It's me, Owen. How's it going? All right, how are you? I hate this economic downturn, credit crunch, whatever you want to call it. I mean, 6 months ago, there I was looking for organic chicken. Now I don't care if the only light the chicken ever sees is the light in my oven. Just give it to me cheap. I mean, no one's got any money. What's that all about? Where did it come from? But saying that, I went out and bought a dog recently, which reminds me of something. Many years ago, in Wales, there was a prince called Prince Llywelyn, the greatest prince to ever walk these lands. Oh, what a man he was. Everyone from the Isle of Moan in the north to the valleys of Glamorgan in the south would call him Lord, and they were proud to do so. He was wise, he was strong, and he was a great warrior, but he nursed a broken heart. His heart was broken, for his wife Eleanor had died in childbirth, leaving him with a baby, the Princess Gwenllian. Every night Llywelyn would cradle Gwenllian in his arms, and she would cry as her father tried to soothe her aching heart. The only friend he had in the world was his hound, a dog called Gellet, a creature so large that it was bigger than a wolf. It was said that if it opened its maws it could swallow a man's head whole, but inside its chest there beat a heart of a lamb. Gellet went everywhere with Llywelyn. When Llywelyn ate, Gellet sat at the table. When Llywelyn slept, Gellet slept at the foot of the bed. They ate, slept, and hunted together every day, and they were the best of friends. But one day, in the north of Wales, in a place called Dinas Emrys, a place so dark, they say the sun only shines there for an hour a day, and that in the height of midsummer. It is surrounded by forests so dark that if you are to place your hand in, it immediately disappears. The night is filled with the howls of wolves and bears and other creatures less mentionable. But Prince Llewellyn, Gelert, and all Llewellyn's men were there, for an English army had invaded Wales, and Llewellyn was about to fight a great battle. He erected his tent in a woodland clearing in Dinas Emrys, kissed baby Gwenllian, and got ready to settle down for the night. "Gelert, my most faithful hound," he said, "tonight we sleep, for tomorrow we fight a war which will drive the enemies from our lands forever. But tonight we sleep, my friend. Place your head on the floor and sleep a contented sigh." Llewellyn fell asleep. But just as the hour went past midnight, his sleep was awoken with a cry as a messenger burst into the tent. My lord! The English army are upon us! To arms, my lord, they fight!" Llewellyn jumped to his feet and placed on his arms, picked up his shield, picked up his sword, and got ready to fight. He was about to rush out of the tent. Then he remembered something. His nursemaid had been ill with a fever. There was nobody to look after baby Gwenllian. No one at all. In the distance he could hear the clash of steel as both armies rode together and smashed into a great battle. Llewellyn was in a quandary. He knew not what to do. Then he looked at his hound, Gelert, and he reached down. "Gelert, my most trusty and loyal companion, care for my child while I do battle." And with that, Llewellyn rushed from the tent and rushed into battle. The battle lasted all through the day, and at the end of the day, Llewellyn returned in triumph. His army had swept the enemy from the land, and Llewellyn was now lord of all Wales. "Yes!" he cried as he rushed back into the tent. But the sight that met his eyes was not what he expected. The baby's bed, the crib, had been tossed over, and the blankets all over the floor. Tapestries on the walls of the tent had been ripped down. His bed was a mess. His clothes were strewn all over the tent. And everywhere was thick, red blood. There was no sign of the child, no sign at all. Only of Gelert, his tail wagging, and his mouth caked with thick, red blood. Llewellyn's anger knew no bounds. He drew his sword. "Gelert!" he shouted. "You have betrayed me. I leave you in charge of my child. You have killed her." Gelert came forward, bowed his head in supplication to receive the blessing of his lord. But no blessing he received this night. Llewellyn brought his sword down, and brought it down hard, and severed the head of his beloved hound. Gelert fell to the floor, breathed his last, and died. Llewellyn sunk to his knees. Thousands of tears rolled down his face. But only then did the baby start to cry. Confused, Llewellyn got to his feet and started to search around the tent, always looking for the child. And there, under the broken crib and blood-stained blankets, he found the baby Gwenllian, safe and unharmed. Confused, he carried on looking, and there, under the bed, he found a grey paw. Pulling at the paw, he saw the body of a huge wolf, its neck broken by the bite of a hound. It was only then that realization struck the prince, realization of what he had done. For Gelert had not killed the child. No, Gelert had defended the child to the last against the wolf that had brushed into the tent. But Gelert was now dead, killed by the hand of his master. Llewellyn wept. It is said that he never smiled again, but he carried Gelert's body to a place called Bathe Gelert, and there he buried him under a tree and a large rock, which now bears the inscription, "Here lies Gelert, faithful hound of Llewellyn Mawr." Llewellyn was killed in an English ambush not long after that, and Wales was plunged into darkness. But there is a moral to the story. Never leave your kids in the care of an animal. It's totally irresponsible. What was he thinking? But there we are. I mean, medieval people, what can you do? What can you do? Well done, Craig Gallant, winning that game in Adepticon. After all that trash talk, I thought you were going to fold like a cheap deck chair. But you didn't. No, fair play to you. You got out there. So, and you kicked the butts of the old 40k radio boys. Nothing pleases me more for that. See, that is fantastic. So, never mind 40k boys. Thank you very much from Words from Wales. I am Lee. What's with the score? Why does he refer to himself in the third person? Is he mental or what? If you want to ask me something, any questions at all, email me at owenstaten@aol.com or Skype me at owenrufus. Come on, a D6 generation. Well done, 40k radio. Enjoy.
Some things in life are bad. They can really make you mad. Other things just make you swear and curse. When you're chewing on life's gristle, don't grumble, give a whistle. And this'll help things turn out for the best. And always look on the bright side of life. Always look on the light side of life. If life seems jolly rotten, there's something you've forgotten, and that's to love.
Pulpgamer.com. If you've got sheep, we've got wood.
Hello, this is Big Troy McCauley from This Week in Wargaming, and you are fortunate enough to be listening to the D6 Generation.
Hello and welcome back.
Wow, that just reaches a very high, ear-piercing pitch.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Hi, this is Daka Mouse.
All right, so welcome back to, we're going to talk now about Warmachine Mark II. Wow. And we're going to get into analysis of Warmachine Mark II.
He always gets that right when it's his.
Yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit about, now we're not just going to go through and give you all the bullet points of everything that changed. Really, what I'm interested in talking about here is how they changed the system. We are going to give some details for Warmachine players, but it's really more about how Privateer's tweaking this game and what their goals are here, based on now that we've seen it and played a few games ourselves.
Right. I'd like to toot our horn for a second, because in preparation for this episode, I did everything I could to try. I went online, I looked a bunch of stuff, and I tried to listen. I did listen to the other podcasts that cover Warmachine, and they're covering this without having played it yet, which I thought was a little odd.
Yeah.
And they're very heavy on the jargon, which is something we try not to do.
We're going to try to be a little jargon. Well, there'll be some jargon in this.
Well, no, but jargon as in like a lot of acronyms, and I've played the game and I couldn't figure out half the stuff.
To be fair, they're
talking
by
about.
Warmachine players for Warmachine players, so this is a little more of an angle. But you're right.
I'm just saying.
And they've played a little more now, but not as much as I would have expected. So we're playing.
We're filling a gap.
Well, I've played. Yes, great, Rafe.
I really like this angle. I'm really excited about what you just said.
So let's go on. So we're going to talk about, first of all, let's talk a little bit about how this test is working, what they're doing, actually. We talked about the preview about it a little while ago, but now we've been in it. It's been going on for several weeks. It started April 6th.
The entire rule book is available online.
Right. So they put they've in Mark II, for first-time listeners or people who are, what the hell are they talking about? Mark II is a total reboot of Warmachine, right? So they're redoing the rules, trying to fix a bunch of things we'll get into.
The basic mechanics are the same.
The fundamental mechanics are the same, but there are some tweaks at certain levels.
Yeah.
But really what they're talking about here is redoing a lot of it, re-leveling it, and across the board, all models, all units, and the rules.
Yeah.
And we'll get into the goals here as we get into this a little bit.
Integrity.
Right. So what they did was on April 6th, Privateer Press opened up a web page you had to log into to get access to, and that's going to be important in a minute. And you can download then PDF files of the rules and all the cards. Now, Warmachine, for players who don't know, every model or unit has a card that is used to track their abilities and stats on the table. So you put them down in front of you.
A stat card.
Right. And they also usually put them inside of some kind of card protector so you can use a dry erase marker to mark out the damage points.
You had to pause there, didn't you?
I did. I almost hit grease pencil. So they got all this stuff
to the 21st century
for downloads, right? And they were already, now what was cool about the login system was, the way the submissions work is when you log in, you get rights to a little database screen, and you can choose, is this a, and you can basically submit feedback. But instead of just an open forum, which they also have, on these screens you pick, is it a typo? You say yes. Then it says, where is the typo? Like a little database drop-down list, and then you type in the typo. So it knows it was in the forward, so it's going to sort for them on a database all the people who found typos in the forward of the book, all the people who found the typos. Then, if it's a rules issue, you can pick it's an issue you found in the rule book or an issue you found with a model. If it's a model, it's a drop-down. Pick the faction, pick the model, type it in. So again, all the issues people found with a particular model are all sorted by type.
That's
in their
pretty
database.
smart.
It's really smart. So they've got feedback
Pretty
all
in-depth.
aggregated and organized. So this is a serious effort that they put some time into, writing a database program and everything just for this effort.
Wow.
Which is pretty impressive. And they've already released an update. So on April 10th, literally the same week, the Friday, so Monday they come up, Friday they've already released a new edition of the rule book and all the cards. You can download again. So they already took the feedback, went through a lot of the typos and fixed them and brought it in. So, and it is, I know Rafe's mentioned a couple times back and forth, some people were debating, is this just about typos or is it also about rules? It's both. Because they've already made some fundamental changes in that first April 10th release to some of the rules. So
But they didn't say that that's what they wanted to do, which I think was smart.
Well, they didn't say anything. They just said it's a test, which is what it is. They do have some forums for it, too, so you can give your feedback there. And what I also like about how they're handling this is they've been doing a lot of commentary on their forums. The members of Privateer are right there saying, this is why we did that, this is why we did this. And they've already, the Podthralls, one of those podcasts you mentioned, just had a new episode come out, and they had PPS Kevin on there, who's one of the guys involved in the rewrite of the game, answering their questions to the hardcore fans, telling them how it's working. So Privateer is trying to be out in front of this, saying, "Look, here's what we're doing. Here's why we're doing it." So I really think that's nice for the gamers. I think that's a great way to approach this.
Yep.
All right. So that's what's going on and how they're handling it. And let's talk about now some of the changes. What do you guys think about how they handle that, first of all, before we go in there?
I think they're handling it great. I think it's very interesting, and I've got to feel sorry a little bit for Privateer Press because it kind of is a rite of passage.
It is.
Because their forums have almost always been universally a little utopian nirvana.
There's occasional ruffled,
there's occasional ruffled feathers, but maybe one model wasn't what I wanted it to be or whatever. And you go on there now, and it does not take long to find almost DACA level,
well, it's like I mentioned last
whinge
episode.
pages.
There's definitely a who moved my cheese thing going on.
Yeah.
And what I find interesting about Warmachine, I've always found this about Warmachine, when you first start playing Warmachine, and you look at what your models can do, because each model has these special abilities, and you look at this stuff, and you're like, wow, my guy is so powerful. How can I be stopped? And then you read your opponent and realize, oh my God, he's so powerful. How can I stop him? And now what's happening? All the veteran players are reading this stuff, going, "Oh, they took that away. How can I ever win again?" And they don't look at it as, but they took something else away from another guy, and so it's all balanced again. It's just different.
I think it's different to that. More to Craig's point, my suspicion as to why Privateer Press is getting flamed due to the changes, which in my opinion isn't just, but I know I'm in the minority probably, is because there's a weird parabola. I think certain personality types.
Oh, you lost me.
What's
Parabola?
that?
Parabola?
What?
Parabola. Yep, I'm going to get to
Parabola. Parabola.
He's a theater teacher. He doesn't know geometry.
Explain to him off the air there, Russ.
Okay.
Draw me a picture.
Draw me a picture, Russ. Oh, Craig did it to me. I've lost my train of thought. I have no idea.
It was about parabolas.
But I love you, brother.
Certain personality types are driven to gaming, and for whatever reason, the personality type of what Craig mentioned in Rapid Fire, which is I hate change.
Yeah.
Which Russ is referencing by who moved my cheese.
Right.
Now the parabola is we're at the peak where they go, or the bottom where they say, "Oh my God, this is terrible," blah blah blah, and then it'll swing up, and they'll love the game.
Right.
And this happens with every GW Codex release too, right? Every time Games Workshop releases a Codex, everybody freaks out about Codex escalation or Codex creep, and then they play it a few times, like, oh wait, this isn't so bad.
And it's never happened in Warmachine before, which is why it's a little jarring.
Right. It's a little. Well, there's some of it whenever a new book comes out too with the units, but yeah, not as bad.
But I mean, some of the things that they're saying are like the min-max unit is just like GW.
Yeah. No, you're right. So let's talk about that. That's a good segue into the point system.
Point system.
One of the things they did, and we're going to approach this, they totally revamped the point system in the game. And what I mean, I don't mean just like, they just repointed everything. No. It used to be that a typical game of Warmachine was like 500 points, and then a large game was maybe 750, and then massively huge game was 1,000. Now a 500-point game is probably going to be 25 points.
Or 35.
Or 35.
I couldn't really squeeze a lot in a 25 when I tried.
Yeah, well, okay, but depends what you got.
Yeah.
But 25 or 35 points is a medium-sized
Right,
game. It's like
right.
probably what typical people play. 50-point game is now going to be large. What that means basically is a war jack, the big metal guys, right? They used to be about 100, between 60 and 110 points, depending if they're medium or light or heavy. Now they're like 4, 5, 6.
110 points. Mine were like 165
Well, it
points.
depends.
Go ahead.
Depends. Yeah, yours are
My
huge.
biggest one went from 125 to 9.
Right, exactly. So
yes,
and I think it's like a 10-point jack's now very, very expensive. Most of them are less than that. So that's a huge change. And what it does, and I'm not sure why they did this change.
I have a theory,
but officially, what Kevin said on the Pod Thralls when he's on the show is they found that people were comparing, because you've lost a lot of granularity. Right now, basically most things are a medium jack's going to be about 5, 6 points. I mean, there's just not much, it's not like...
You can't break it down into like fractions.
61 versus 67, there's none of that anymore.
Right.
So, it's officially, they're like, well, players were comparing jacks over points too much and not over their abilities, and now you'll be comparing abilities, I guess.
I don't get it.
But my thinking maybe is like, is it really a way to do victory points somehow? I don't know, at a lower point value. I don't know. I don't really understand it.
Wait, Russ, what? I know what they're saying officially, but break it down to me. What do you mean people were comparing jacks to points, not their abilities?
Well, what it
That
means
makes no
basically
sense
is
to
like,
me.
no, what it means like is if you wanted to look, if you're trying to decide between two jacks,
Yes.
your list, you might decide based on what you can fit, based on, 66 versus 61, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now, since both jacks are 6, it really comes down to which jack fits better your play style and what is going to work for you.
Okay.
Right? So, because the downside of that, though, is where's the granularity? How do you break it up? So I don't know. But that's interesting. It's interesting. It's a really... I don't know that too many games have a point system this low. It's really interesting in the industry to see this
Well, you
happen.
know what did and now doesn't?
What's that?
Is Uncharted Seas.
It had low and then it went higher, right?
Uncharted Seas had this exact same type where a
similar.
battleship was 10 or 9, and now a battleship's like 250.
Right.
Or
So
whatever.
they ran into trouble. So we'll see how Privateer handles this.
That's what I think. That strengthens my theory. My theory is they're trying to break away from a standardized point system, which I would say is GW, but that might be a little ethnocentric since that's just what we always talk about.
Yeah, well, they're not.
So,
they were never in GW's point ranges anyway, though, because they were always like 500 points is a big game in GW, like 1,500
no, I
points.
know, but still, like a squad, of, 2 squads of Marines or something would be about.
Now, the other couple things that are related to point change here is that the warcasters, right, the center of your army, the main piece of your battle force, the guys that control your jacks, and if they die, you're out of the game. Everybody's got to have one in every battle. Warcasters are now free. You don't pay for any points for them.
Yep.
And what differentiates their power now is each warcaster also gives you a jack allowance of some number of points. So, for example, Stryker, my Signar warcaster, he's free and gives me 6 free points towards a jack.
Yep.
So I can take a Lancer, which is the jack with the shield and the spear. He is 6 points exactly. So I guess basically Stryker comes with a free Lancer if I want.
Yep.
Or I can take 6 points off a larger jack or whatever.
Now, addressing the granularity issue, I always used to run Kane, who is considerably cheaper than Stryker.
Right.
But Kane comes with 6 free jack points also.
Right.
So now you've lost that granularity.
Right.
And ability-wise, they still look to be relatively even with their prior incarnations.
What's interesting about that, it was interesting part I was thinking about the other day, Stryker's spell list is almost the same.
Yep.
Snipe changed
Yeah,
slightly.
they changed a little bit.
But I think Kane's spells are basically the same too.
I think so.
But one thing that changed that weakened Stryker is Stryker's Earthquake's been nerfed slightly.
Well, because of the
Shake It
Off, yeah.
So I don't know if that really equalizes, but that's the only thing I think of.
Right.
But you're right. There's definitely
Blink got a lot weaker too.
Yeah. So there's definitely some things like Halio only has 5 jack
he
points.
maybe gained 1 focus. I think I can't. I got
Kane did?
I think.
Oh,
he
that'd
did.
be huge.
Wow, that'd be big.
That'd be
Wasn't
big.
he 5 and he went to? I think he's 6
I don't know,
now.
but that'd be huge. That would balance it out right there because focus affects your radius as well as your your
It's a
spells.
It's a big stat.
That'd be huge. But that's Craig's point's a good one. It's really hard to look at 2 guys and go, I don't know if they're the same anymore. It's like really hard to see that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's a bad or good thing. It's just different because now you're going to compare their abilities instead of their points. You're going to say, is Stryker my style or is Kane my style because their points are the same or virtually. So the other change is that units, as we mentioned earlier, can now only be bought. It used to be a unit in this game is a squad, right? So you used to be able to buy like a squad of 5, and then you could add one or two models for X number of points up to the maximum squad size.
Yeah.
So if you could max squad size was 10, you started at 5, you could field 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10, right? Now they've just gone with the unit is either, 3 points or 4 points, let's say, at 5 models, and it's 7 points at 10 models.
Yeah.
Right.
That's it. So they're talking about the min-max. There's only two choices. And officially the reason they did that was, one, it's now hard because how are you going to do fractions? Models aren't worth a full point, right, in the unit.
Right.
So you can't really work in somehow because it'll have point values. But also they're saying that because of how they're going to do packaging with the plastics and stuff now, they really don't want to have blisters so you can have every possible option. So now basically the game only supports the options you'll be able to buy, which is, all or nothing, basically.
Now, how did you feel about that as a former retailer?
Well, I like that because it will reduce the SKUs on my shelf.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It kind of makes sense.
That makes sense to me. I like that. But from a gamer point of view, I don't know. But I don't think that's really a big deal to me that the squad.
No, it was
min-max.
fine.
I don't know that that's the big thing.
I always bought everything in max squads and then fielded what I could.
Yeah, I don't think. And I think the term min-max is people are using it, and it in many war games it's derogatory because it means you're taking the minimum squad size of the maximum options, and Warmachine never had that, so that's not really a.
Min-max is perfectly it means exactly what they're looking to say,
right.
But it has other baggage with it because of other games,
which are irrelevant to this situation. So when you hear someone say, "Well, now you min-max squads in Warmachine," that's really nothing to do with where you'd think of min-max in other game systems.
Of cheesing out the squad,
exactly, taking a 5-man squad with maximum weapons or whatever. So that's one thing. So they totally revamped the point system. That one, I really don't know why they did that. I mean, I've understood what they've said, but that one I'm interested to see how that all pans out. And it's the one thing, what did I say in the rapid fire that bothered me the most? Was it the points? I think it was. The points had me the most nervous. Just because I don't know, I don't know how that's going to play out. I really don't understand the thinking there. I'm not saying it
doesn't bother me at all. I think
it doesn't
cool.
bother me, but I'm afraid for them in terms of granularity.
I didn't like it when it was Uncharted Seas, and I was really happy when they changed that.
Yeah, and I didn't like Babylon 5 when there was no points because it felt weird.
Really, I loved the way they did that.
Okay, well,
to each his own.
Chocolate vanilla. All right, so let's talk about the next thing.
Stretch it.
Now, the other big global change. Now, this is an interesting game philosophy question too that a lot of people have issues with or concerns about. They went to globalized text on many rules, which GW and other companies are moving towards too. Basically, you try to make as many rules as you can in the core rule book, and your models just reference them, right?
Yep.
Which Privateer had some of, but now they have more of that. But more interestingly is they did this by going to an icon system.
Totally right out of Monster Apocalypse.
On the cards, which you right out of Monster Apocalypse, and before that, many of the Clicks games and all the little, diddly-do games. It's an official term.
Diddly-do games?
Diddly-do.
Did you use that in work the other day?
Probably. I can't remember. And so what they've done is, on your stat line now, right next to your, in Warmachine, there's Mat and Rat, which is melee attack value and range attack value, which are basically your chances to hit in hand-to-hand combat or versus range attacks. There's your strength and other major stats. Right there with those stats and your speed and everything else, there's now little icons on certain models. And these icons might be, it looks like a Marshal star, and that stands for Jack Marshal, or which is a character that can control a warjack.
Or a halberd.
It might be looks like a funny looking antenna, and that means it's an Arcanode, which means it's a jack you can channel your spells through. Or a star for the commander, which means you can give orders. Or a little stealth symbol for you can be harder to see from range. And there's combined range attack. A lot of those basic core abilities are now on these cards. What they used to be print on every card,
and
the print and the language was usually the same for the same phrase.
But it could always be a little different.
Once in a while, it'd be different. Here's a great example. There used to be an ability called stealth, and then there was an ability called invisibility, which were slightly different, but basically their function was the same. It's harder to hit me, right?
Right.
Now invisibility has been removed from the game entirely. No models go invisible, but models that used to have invisibility now also have stealth. Now, their points have been adjusted, and other abilities have been tweaked to modify them, but that's kind of a big deal, and it's one of those standardization things. So now as a player, you just got to know, is that model hard to hit? Do I see the little icon on there for stealth? If I do, right, if I see that little icon that's big and bold on your card, I know what that means, and I know to watch out for shooting that at range kind of thing, which I kind of like. I do like that, although some people are giving it some negative press, but having played Monster Apocalypse a bit, it doesn't take long to learn these symbols, and then it makes evaluating things very, very quick.
It takes a long time for me.
Oh, yeah?
I think it's a strong change. I think it's a good change, but it's one of the thing. A lot of these changes seem to make it easier to go back to the game and play half decently competitively, even if you're not playing all the time. But that's one where if you're not playing all the time, you're not going to learn all those.
What I do like about it, though, is like what I found before was I'd have to look all across the table and read your little text and what your guys can do. And now once I know the symbols, I can look across and say, oh, I see a halberd and a star. That means you've got reach and you got, command kind of thing. But you're right. You have to know the symbols. So you have to make your own cheat sheet or whatever. Now, what they also did was they didn't just put the icons on the stat line. They also put icons on the weapons. So now you have, like, below each, on your card, it'll show each weapon your whatever the model carries. So it'll show his sword, it'll show his pistol. And on some weapons, there's little icons next to those as well. And those icons might be the little symbol of the halberd I mentioned, which means the weapon's got reach, which means you can strike at melee attacks from farther away. Or it's got a symbol with little stars on it, which means it's a magic weapon. It does magic attacks, which damages creatures that can only be hurt by magic. Or it's a shield with a +2 in it, which means it gives your armor +2 because it's a shield your guy's carrying. So those, again, are all easy ways to see what the weapons do. Another symbol that appeared on there, this is a whole new concept, is the attack type. So, like, if it's a fire attack weapon, it'll have a fire symbol on it. Or if it's a lightning attack weapon, it'll have a lightning symbol on it. And that's a big deal because they've also now added immunities to models. So back on the stat line, you might have the picture of the lightning bolt on it with the not symbol line through it, meaning this model cannot be hurt by lightning. So now they've gone through and they've said, okay, certain weapons are certain attack types, and then certain models are immune to that attack type.
What's the debate on that?
Well, the debate has become about that is it used now, for example, many Signar models wear these in the fluff. They wear these really cool suits that make them immune to lightning because they carry swords that generate lightning. Of course, you wouldn't, now in the old rules, even though I carried swords that generated lightning, other troops, Signar troops, if I was playing a Signar player with Signar, their lightning could hurt my guys and my lightning could hurt you. Okay? Now, though, and it makes more sense fluff-wise too, right?
Yeah.
Now, because my guy wears these big fancy suits, no lightning can hurt me. And a lot of Signar models are immune to lightning. And so the complaint is, oh, gee, now when Signar fights Signar, my lightning will not hurt you, so I'll be nerfed. I can't hurt you. But that, to me, I mean, okay, yeah, maybe certain tactics you used to use are now weaker, but from a fluff point of view, that's perfect, in my humble opinion. And in Warmachine, anyway, even in tournament environments, Signar has plenty of weapons that don't do lightning damage, that are straight up regular damage. And in tournament environments, you usually bring 2 lists anyway. So just bring a non-lightning-centric list, you know what I mean, if you're a really competitive player, for the time
That's a good point,
Signar. Yeah. But the other places that happens in Menoth, right? Menoth generate a lot of fire, they have a lot of fire attacks, and they're immune to a lot of fire. So again, what's also cool about this, though, is it gives the armies an even stronger theme now. Signar is that lightning army, and Menoth's that fire army, and Crix is the corrosion army, right? And so against each other, they're kind of nerfed a little bit, but that makes sense, really. And it's one of the...
now, is Crix immune to corrosion?
They have some things immune to corrosion, but not a lot.
Do they really?
They're not as well... I don't even know if they do. I have to think about that for a minute.
They do.
Yeah, I don't think they got off as well as everybody else in terms of, like, throwing as good as they're getting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What's also interesting, though, is a lot of the lightning leaping rules, like when it leaps from one model to the other, used to only leap to enemies. Now they leap to the closest model no matter who they are.
Ooh.
So it's cool you're immune to it as a Signar player, but also kind of nerfs it because if you got too many of your own guys nearby, you're going to get zapped by your own lightning.
Right.
Not as much.
It won't hurt you, but it won't be available to hurt them.
But the visual's great.
Yeah.
Zip your own guys. So that's the big deal. And the other thing about this that's nice is they're standardized now, right? So like the Jack Marshal, for example, used to be different rules depending on who was a Jack Marshal.
That's right.
Now,
kind of independent of who the model was.
Right. Now there's just a star symbol, and all Jack Marshals can control a maximum of 2 Jacks, and their rules are very consistent. They're right in the book.
Yep.
So and they've done that in other places too, like I mentioned with stealth, removing invisibility. So a lot of that's
So Russ, I haven't read Jack Marshals yet, so because I remember like I had one that could do drive and then push, and then another one that could only do drive and multiple attacks.
Now it's pretty much just you can control up to 2 Jacks. Before, it used to be variable how many Jacks you can control. It was like a number. Now it's just always 2, and it's basically you get one essentially boost. One thing you can do it, like one thing that would normally be focused. So you can either have a charge
different
or you can
per Jack Marshal, or they're all the same?
So they're all the same. There's no text on a card anymore that describes the Jack Marshal ability. It's just that symbol of the Marshal star.
Oh, okay.
And you can go back to the rulebook for that. So it's very consistent. So, 2 big things so far. Totally revamped the points. And they've gone to this icon system, which is generating a lot of buzz because of Craig's point. People are freaking out by icons. Oh, it looks like, clicks or whatever. But it, I think there's good and a bad there. So
no, I think it's a great mechanic. It's just something that you're either going to have to sit down and learn it, or you're going to learn it by playing it a lot.
Right.
I also want to say really quickly that I didn't mean to diss the other podcasts that are doing this. I just wish that they'd played the game a little bit so that I'd learn more from it. And their use of jargon did kind of limit my understanding,
All right.
but they did a great job for what they did. It's all about the love.
Little love to the other War Machine.
I didn't want. That came across harsher than I had intended.
Right.
So
I liked it.
Like ruffling the feathers. Okay, so we got those two things. Now the other big thing their effort they were trying to do, and I think every game designer tries to do this, and here's how Privateer went through this. They wanted to reduce, I think, these are my opinions of how some of this happened. I don't know for sure, but they did say some of this stuff on their magazine.
You are a very famous podcaster.
Okay. They wanted to reduce the frustrating elements of the game in new player experiences. Okay, so everybody wants to do that, right? It's kind of obvious, but they're really looking at things that would frustrate a player, new player or recent convert, and they're like, oh, that just stink, and they won't want to play again, all right? So otherwise, a.k.a. the gimmicky stuff, right, Rafe?
Yeah.
Get rid of the gimmicks, or some of the gimmicks. Now, there's still the power combos, and there's still neat tricks, but one of the things they did was they just, across the board, took advanced deployment in Warmachine and made it half. So how that used to work is in Warmachine, normally you deploy all your models in the first so many inches of the table, typically 10 inches, and then any model with the advanced deployment ability could then deploy 12 inches past the edge of your deployment zone, right? So that that basically means you're 22 inches into the table, almost halfway across the board in many cases. Now, though, it's only 6 inches past the deployment zone. That's a huge change. It basically means a lot of the ways you could get turn one kills on a player are gone.
Yes.
So really, that right there is a frustration reducer for new players. Now, you're still going to have a challenge against a veteran player, but it's not just going to be wham bam. At least you're going to see it coming and have a chance to get out of the way before they hit you. So that's one change that I think that's pretty cool. That right there nerves some people. Even if you look at a card and go, wow, it's exactly the same, but if it was advanced deploy guy, he's already been reduced.
Right.
The other big frustration change, and we'll talk about this a little more later, but basically, they've given this new ability called Shake Off to any model that can hold focus, essentially. So it's jacks and warcasters. And what happens is, in the beginning of your turn, before you actually start activating models, you allocate focus, which means you give that. We talked about this before on the show. You give your warcaster gives focus to the jacks, right?
Yeah.
And then the jacks. Then now you start moving your turn. Before you start your turn, any jack that's received focus or your warcaster can spend one focus to remove either the knockdown effect or the stationary effect that are on them. Now, these two effects are huge because in Warmachine, it's really a game of knocking people down. It's a big part of the game because it lowers their defensive bonuses and makes it very easy to hit them. And once you're knocked down, at the start of your turn, if you were still knocked down, you have to give up either your ability to fight or your ability to move that turn. But because you're able to do this in the control phase, in the beginning of the turn, now the jack or the warcaster can activate as normal his entire turn, right?
Yep.
As if he was never made stationary. It just costs you one focus point. That is a huge change.
The game speeder-upper.
Well, first of all, it speeds the game up. Second of all, though, and more importantly, certain casters in the game were really able to frustrate people with certain moves. Like Striker, for example, we mentioned earlier, he had Earthquake. If I knock you down over and over again, it's a spell, and you can't move that one model, you can basically crawl forward, you're going to get very frustrated. But this ability now, if you take a jack, is going to make it so that, hey, you can now ignore that effect. It costs you one focus, but you're basically ignoring what I just did to you. The other caster that was really famous for this was Sorsha, because Sorsha in Khador, she could freeze pretty much everybody she could see, and they'd be stuck for a turn. They'd be stationary for a turn, and you would miss an entire game.
Before that, it was everybody in her control area.
Right, it was even worse. They toned it down a while ago. But even still, with the new tone down, you basically would miss a turn because you're stationary for your entire turn. But now, you spend a focus, and your warcaster's free, and any jack you put a focus on is also freed up. So you're still kind of in trouble. I mean, it does hurt to have her do that to you, but at least you can do something. And it removes that, I'm totally hosed feeling from the game a little bit. What do you think of that, Craig?
A lot.
I think it's huge. I think it opens up options, and it takes away that, or at least it gives you the opportunity to take away that really frustrating moment where, and Rafe has done it to me with Sorsha, that whole, and now I have a turn where nothing I own can do anything.
At least you can do some little thing of something. It's still
you could
tough.
try to get out of out of danger.
Right.
You could try to, at least maneuver your stuff so that his charge lanes are clogged. You've got to be clever. And
Rafe got me last night because I knocked down Vlad with Earthquake. Now, normally that means that next turn, his Warcaster Vlad would stand up and have to forgo his movement or forgo his his attack, and he certainly couldn't charge under the old rules. But now, right, Rafe, you just spent one focus. Vlad is immediately up, and he can charge wherever he wants. And I couldn't really. Striker no longer can stop Vlad essentially from getting into him. Really, there's other ways to kill Vlad, obviously, but that was really a sort of a whoops. Wow, that's a trick that doesn't work anymore.
What happened in that game?
I lost.
Oh, Vlad went gotcha.
Vlad. Well, yes.
Actually, no.
No, Vlad
Kodiak
didn't get me. It was actually his Kodiak that got me.
Kodiak's what?
Craig.
What's that?
Kodiak's a what?
Kodiak's a big jack that has these two little sort of
Mitten Man.
Mitten Man. Little spiky sort of things in there.
Yep.
And he used to be a very not often taken jack.
Mediocre jack.
But now, we'll get to later, some of the abilities that have gone up on jacks really made him a very big part of the problem I had with that game last night. I mean, not a negative way, just a problem I had for winning the game.
Right. What I want to say there is what I like about this coming from a game ownership perspective, PP perspective, is Matt Wilson, in my opinion, is still bringing the bring it attitude, the still play like you got a pair attitude, which is, okay, you're going to knock me down? No problem. I got a way to deal with that, and I'm coming right at you.
Yes.
That's what I like about it.
Now, we should have mentioned in the beginning, we were going to have our good friend Norbert on the show today.
Yeah.
Norbert, as you mentioned, I mentioned in an earlier episode, we interviewed Norbert about Food Machine. Norbert is a very serious War Machine player from the Jersey area, plays on the Jersey SOBs down there. Unfortunately, though, just due to travel constraints, Craig going out of town soon, Norbert being on flights, we couldn't quite get him in. But Norbert had been giving us some great help with some of our bullets for this. And he had mentioned that another thing they got rid of that was frustrating was something called melee waterfalling.
Yeah, now describe this, because even though it's been told to me 100 times, I still can't
well,
get
it's
it
unfortunate.
right.
I was hoping Norbert would here to describe it, because I have a hard time with it. But basically,
I bet you Craig knows.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's something to do. I've never done it myself.
It's combined melee attacks and charging.
Yeah, so you can charge in a way that you can sort of like cascade the combined melee attack onto other models who didn't technically charge that model somehow. I don't know exactly what it is, but basically this technique is gone. So for you veteran War Machine players that know what the heck this is, it's gone now. But that's all I can tell you about it, unfortunately, because I don't really understand it. But
you skipped over charging over rough terrain.
Oh, yes,
which I
that's
think
huge.
is huge.
They did make it now. So in Mark 1, you cannot charge over rough terrain at all. If any part of your base...
if there's rough terrain between you and him, you can't charge
unless you have a special rule in your card, you cannot charge.
I hated that.
That's very frustrating, because if you can move a slight place and really screw the charge and mess it up. That is gone now. You can charge a rough terrain, just pay the extra movement points to get across
As
it.
you normally would.
As you normally would most of the games.
Double movement to get through the
So
difficult
I
terrain,
think,
and then you're all set.
And I put this under reducing frustration, because I think players coming from other games will be less frustrated.
Yeah.
And it just feels less hinkly, where you're trying to it's clearly in the rules before you can move behind terrain and dodge the charge, but it can be frustrating.
I mean, how many times did somebody I'm like a quarter of an inch behind this step. Oh, you can't get me. I was just like,
so that's just gone, right? And especially when it's just a very sliver of terrain, the smallest little bit. So gone like that. Also, this is sort of a trick that actually I used to use in hordes. I admit to it. But certain models in the game cannot be knocked down. And so what players could do as a little trick was you could pick up your own model and throw it. And normally when you're throwing...
Not for real. One of your big models could, in the game, throw one of your little models.
One of your own models would pick it up and throw it within the rules of the game. It would land, and normally this model would be knocked down, and then, of course, couldn't do anything.
I don't want anybody thinking you're throwing a hissy fit.
Right. But if your model couldn't be knocked down, it would still be standing up, and you haven't activated it yet, so you basically could throw the model for extra distance on the table. Then the model could still activate and charge you or do something crazy. A lot of players thought this was kind of silly. Certain factions, especially Khador throwing the guy on the horse there.
Yep, the Dracoon cannot be knocked down.
Right, so you would throw the Dracoon with a Jew and a Jack, and then this guy on a horse would just kind of lead us.
It was a way to get extra movement.
Yeah, and it's sort of silly, and so
it was kind of weird.
So what they did was you can technically still throw your own model, but now after you've been thrown, you basically cannot activate that turn, even if you can't be knocked down. So they kind of remove that. So you can still throw the guy for movement, but you're losing the turn anyway, so it doesn't really do much for you. And you can potentially take damage anyway, so it's not a wise move anymore.
Actually, a little weird segue, Craig, when you say you don't pick up the model, actually throw it. That's my favorite way to nix the argument when somebody says to you, well, the rules don't say I can't do that. The rules don't say I can't. And Russ always used to say, well, the rules don't say I can pick up my model and throw it at you either.
Right.
I still love that.
Yeah, when interpreting game rules, you do not use the phrase, the rules don't say I can't. The rules describe what you can do, not what you cannot do. Yeah. All right, a little aside there. Okay, so now we're moving on to so the throwing's gone. The other thing they did to reduce frustration, and this is just sort of a thing, Light Cav has been nerfed a little bit. They don't move as fast after they attack. They now only move 5 inches. And again, Light Cav can be very frustrating to the new player. So that's the one that's just been reduced a little bit.
Who had Light Cav? Crix?
Crix has in Warmachine there was no Light Cav until Crix got a new unit attachment that gave them Light Cav abilities.
Okay.
Right. And now, of course, one thing we didn't mention is Hordes is not in Mark II yet, but a lot of people are all anticipating what's going to happen when Hordes goes into Mark II, which will be in playtest next year.
Well, since the rules in Mark I were universal,
Yes.
most people are looking at this, and you can kind of tell exactly what's going to happen.
Because Hordes is a lot of Light Cav, whereas Warmachine has a lot of heavy Cav. That's basically the fluff there. And the other thing they got rid of, which I love, this is probably one of my favorite changes, is they've removed most of the rules, I think all of them pretty much, that I can think of, where the opponent gets to do something in your turn.
Yes, I love this too.
So my one of the units I hate to fight the most, they weren't overpowered, you just really had to know how to fight them to beat them, were the Crix unit called the Bane Knights. And what these guys did was every time you killed one, immediately your opponent, in your turn, you say, I swing my sword, I kill that Bane Knight, I roll my dice, he's dead. The opponent can then
Did you have
okay.
to kill him, or did you just hit him?
I think you had to hit him. Maybe just,
You just have to hit him.
I think it was just hit him.
Then your opponent could immediately pick one of his own Bane Knights up and do a full movement and attack, or partial movement.
Move
I can't
3
remember.
inches.
Move 3 inches and attack.
crazy.
So basically, like you'd be like fighting in the middle of your own turn. So like if you charge and didn't know how that worked, you'd be out of form. It would just mess you all up. Not only that, in a tournament, less than scrupulous players could like delay their turn, which eats into your turn's time. Which in Warmachine they time each player's turn, and it just was messy. And
it was very messy.
Now what they've done is they've basically removed all those things, and they've made new rules that kind of give you the spirit of that, but not in your own turn. So, for example, the Bane Knight example, instead what happens is, at the start of the Crix player's turn, the guy that owns the Bane Knights, if he has lost any Bane Knights in the prior turn, he can then move all of his Bane Knights and attack in his control phase, and then they get a bonus move later. So they're getting a bonus move in his own turn, which is huge,
Yeah.
but at least in your turn, you know where all the models are. They're not going to move, and if you got a chance to wipe out a crap load of them out, you can do that. You know, and they're making that move on their clock and not yours for the tournament level play. And that's one of the things Rafe and I've talked about before about Privateer is they're always thinking not only about the fun at home play, but the tournament play too, because in their mind, if the tournament players can play and have fun and not argue, then anybody can play and have fun and not argue. And I really do like that attitude about Privateer.
And this all goes to the main point, which is how this could frustrate new players. I mean, you bring a new player up against Bane Knights, you just want to pull your hair out.
Like, what happened? So again, all these things we mentioned here were all designed to reduce new player frustration. So now we've got 3 big things they've done. They did a total revamp of the points. They made these globalized icons, and they've reduced frustrations for new players. Now the other thing they're talking about, and this kind of dovetails into frustration, but they're trying to make it easier to play with less debate.
Hey, I just thought of one more thing. Sorry to stop your roll there, Russ. I think another thing they did to reduce frustrating new players is I think they depowered some stuff, which did need to be depowered.
Yeah, okay.
Like the feats got a little less. They like my Dracoon used to be able to wipe out. The Dracoon is a man of war and a horse.
Yep.
He's just a cavalry model, but he used to be so powerful he could wipe out a jack. He could wipe out 5 guys.
Yep.
And they depowered him, and I think they should have.
Well, you're right. I think some of the things, I think, there's a lot you can say there, but one of the things we're talking about in a minute, they made jacks more powerful, which I think a lot of people frustrated a lot of people when they were weaker, because it's Warmachine. You're the guy on the cover with a jack. How come?
Know what I was thinking when I was listening to one of the other podcasts about the Dragoon?
Yeah.
He has more damage boxes mounted than unmounted, right?
Right.
Should be the other way. Should totally be it should, because when he's mounted, you're actually attacking the horse.
And
so you take out the horse, and because if you take down when he's all those boxes, you take him down, he should be dead. But instead, he gets up, but he's weaker. See, in my head, you're taking out the horse first, and then he stands up, and he's more powerful.
Have you seen his horse?
It's a pretty big horse.
He has more hit points than the guy.
No, they depowered that. In the old rules, he has 10 health boxes on his horse. When you dismounted him, he had 10 health boxes.
Oh, yeah, see.
Now it's 10. You dismount him, he has 8.
You're just saying it should be reversed.
Right. I'm just from like a fluffy explanation of if you're fighting a guy on horseback, your first thing is you got to take, and there's an option in the game for him to fight not on his
pure
horse.
mass of flesh, the horse should have more hit points. Thing's huge.
He's a big guy.
I guess what I'm saying for the new player thing, Russ, is that if you take Shifty and he's new and he sees my Dracoon, he might think that guy looks pretty badass. He could probably maybe wreck half a jack, let's say, from kind of get your instinct, your gamer instinct. and now that matches.
Right.
Where before, you could have like a little Crix thing. You don't even pay. Or Craig, how about those pirate solos? You take those little pirate solos. You think it's just a guy.
Right.
Let's not talk about the pirates.
And then all of a sudden he's like, wiping you out from the face of the
And you know what
planet.
else reduces frustration? I didn't mention this here, but there are a lot more magic weapons in the game. I think every Warcaster's weapon is now magic.
I think so.
Which right there reduces frustration. There's quite a few characters that used to be like
ethereal
or can only be hurt by magic. That one guy in Menoth too, that guy that can like run and be like. I think he got toned down a little bit, but he still like has that ability. But now like all the gun mages have magic bullets. A lot of the guys have magic weapons. A lot of the Junior, the Warcaster has got magic weapons. So there's a lot of that there too.
So I think for the new player, it's going to take away that frustration. I'm going to take. Oh no, you can't.
I think your
ethereal.
Point, Rafe, there's more counters. I think there's a little more counters for everything. So it's like there's still you got to think about your counters, but they're there.
Yeah.
Now, one thing they did, and this kind of dovetails, is they try to also reduce things that cause debates.
Yep.
So one thing they did was they standardized line of sight, and they actually tweaked this recently in the April 10th update. Basically what they did was they said that the height of the model is now also dictated by the size of the base, regardless of the shape of the model. So basically, and this is going to sound a little weird, but
this struck me as
odd. On Daka Daka, we used to call this the magic cylinder rule, okay? Which is basically, if you imagine a round base, okay, which is what these guys stand on, there's a cylinder of the size of the base that goes up in height to some height that indicates the height of the model. Now, some players argue that goes to the highest piece of the model, like the back banner on the model or the tallest pointy piece on the model. And there's been debates about that. So what privateers said, or you could argue it's true line of sight, and every little crevice you can see through the model, you can see through. So you can shoot between his legs, you can shoot between his elbow. Well, what they've said in privateer now is no, there's actually a cylinder that's the shape of the base that goes straight up, and the height it goes up is dependent on the size of the base, and here are the heights. And they list them in the book. So I can't remember them now. I think it's
3 inches for the big one, or it might be 2.5.
I think it's like 2.5 for the large jacks and smaller. What this does, which is interesting, is it removes the age-old debate that says if I model, and this is a GW reference, I'm sorry, but it's an old one. If I model my Hive Tyrant crawling, can I hide him behind the 3-inch high hill? Right? Because the Hive Tyrant's normally 4 inches tall or whatever. And everybody's like, oh, that's cheesy. But what Privateers basically says, you can model your guys whatever you want. You can put a giant back banner on his back. You can make his arms, higher than his head. You can make him squatting on his knees. But in actuality, when you get down to a tournament and you start debating this, he is this high because his base is this wide. That's just it. So it removes that. It removes that debate about is his arm sticking out.
It's the diameter of the base, right?
The diameter,
correct.
The height is not equal to the diameter of the base.
No.
It's not.
No, it's not exactly equal. It's a table. It's like a little table in the book. So you got to remember that. Which is
a large base is 2.5 high
there
cylinder.
You go. Okay, there you go.
Right, but I think that's where it's derived from.
Might be.
It might be. Well, they're millimeters, so it's not exact.
It's millimeters.
Right. That's why it's not exact.
Yeah, okay.
But because I from what I've been reading, people are like holding the base sideways to see.
Good catch. I hadn't thought about that. Maybe it is.
I hadn't thought about that either.
But anyway, I like that rule. Now, what they changed in the April 10th release originally was that was the rules. Period. Even if when your model's shooting over models, which meant big jacks could shoot over infantry, and that was not their intent, or fighting over infantry. So now it's like the old Warmachine rules. Seeing through other models follows all the rules about base size only. Height only matters when you're dealing with terrain. Okay, so that's just something they clarified a little bit. But I like that. I think most times you won't care about this. It's not something you can use every day, but in those super tense games, it's there, and it's got your back. You don't have to worry about it.
There as a backup.
Argue about it. Small changes that Norbert mentioned that I wanted to bring up. You can now measure melee range anytime, which is a big deal, because before there's always a debate about when you can measure. That's just clean, done, you can do it. They cleaned up these sequences, and some people are like, why are they talking about this? Like now, when any model is destroyed, they've got 3 states they fall through as they die. They become disabled, then they become boxed, which basically everything's marked out, and then they become destroyed.
Okay, but aren't they destroyed as soon as they're boxed? That was confusing to me.
Yes. All 3 of those things happen in nearly an instant.
Okay.
And the model's essentially removed from the table. But the reason it's important is there are different effects that fire at different times.
Okay.
And so, you might be able to reave a soul token off something when it's destroyed. But your model might have a special move that says, as soon as it's boxed, because it is whole, it is removed from the table and never becomes destroyed. And so you can't get a soul token from them. So now they can build these game mechanics around these different moments in time, and it's very, very clear when they happen.
Less granularity in the points, but more granularity in the destruction.
I don't think it's fair to say the game is simple or made dumbed down. It's just clearer to the point of almost some areas seem overly complex when you first read it. It's like to a new gamer, it's going to be like, What?
Yeah.
Just take the tail off the table.
There were some charts in the back that old Magic players are going to remember where they break down.
And that's in here too. They break
some
down
of the sequences
the
here.
resolution of
bigger than
timing
this.
is just like there's an example in there. Like they have a thing that says timing is clearly spelled out too in there in the appendix, and it says basically like before activating and when simultaneous versus sequential goes off. Like for example, Haley hits the Knights Templar with her chain lightning.
Exemplar.
Thank you. Hits the Knights Exemplar with chain lightning. Chain lightning is a simultaneous effect. The Knights Templar have an ability that says as they're killed, their other models get more armor. So here's an age-old debate, right? My chain lightning hits the first guy, then bounces to the second guy, and bounces to the third guy. The first guy gets hit and he's dead. Does the second guy get his increased armor or not? When does what happen before the other? Now it's very, very clear that because it's simultaneous, and they even have the example here, each model is killed, and after all the lightning's resolved, then they get their ability kicks in.
Oh, okay.
So they've clarified all that kind of weirdness is very, very clear. Again, 90% of the time this won't happen to you, but the times it does, it's
no, that one can't. That one happened all the time.
Yeah, that one does happen a lot.
And there's a lot, like you were saying with the Bane Knights, and there's a lot of models that do that.
All clear as crystal. It's right in there, which I really like.
Well, it's right in the rule book. There's a big long flow chart that says here's the order.
All the
in which you
podcasts are saying thank you for that one. Yeah. I love that one. It's really helpful.
Yeah, here's the way to do it to resolve all the effects.
So they fixed that up, and now the other thing they fixed up, which is kind of weird, is models are now within their own command range, which was this really weird rule they had.
I know,
going back and forth, where the commander himself, who emanated a command aura, wasn't actually in his own command
range,
which for certain spells was weird. Like I know in Hordes is kind of a bad example, but Hordes, like when a fell caller would go off, the fell call wouldn't affect themselves or weird. Now they just said, well, that was dumb. What the way were we thinking? So they went back.
Well, it would always be like, Epic Erusk can extend a model's within his command range the ability to survive. It was called tough on a 5 or 6.
Yes. Yep.
But it didn't extend to himself. So it was weird.
So that's another section. So what have we gone through again? They revamped the points. They did the text icons right. They reduced frustration, and now they've reduced rules debates. They cleaned up the things that were debatable. They tried to clean that up as much as possible. Now, the other thing they did, and this is specific to Warmachine, obviously, but they wanted to make the jacks more powerful. The biggest
more centric to the game.
People were calling it infantry machine, right? The infantry had become over the course of the years, and cavalry too, more powerful than the jacks themselves, the centerpieces of your army, supposedly, right?
When you were, for their points,
right? So they went through and they said, "Look, we got to fix this." So they did a bunch of core changes to the jacks to make them
these are awesome,
really nice. First thing they did was, we talked about this in the show before, they made power attacks easier. These are the moves like, I'm going to throw you with 2 hands, or I'm going to headbutt you, or I'm going to lock your arm, all these fancy sort of wrestling-like moves that the jacks can do. Those are all now much easier. There's no modifiers, right, Rafe? I don't think there's any to hit. There used to be negatives to using these moves, now they're not.
The only one I noticed on my first casual reading is and this is a little technical here, if a smaller base model slams a larger base model, you still get the -2.
But the big on big, if you're the same size, you're not. And we've used those a lot already in our test games, and their power attacks are much more prevalent now. Now, another thing they did, and this is huge in a bunch of ways. They increased the mat. Again, this is your melee attack ability. So this is how easy it is for your jack to hit something hand-in combat. Almost every jack has increased their mat, and every jack has increased their hand-to-hand combat, their POW, how hard they hit. Okay, and Rafe, you noticed that, right? And when you're on the jack.
I wanted to illustrate this with an example that Craig will even remember.
Yeah.
So, Craig, we talked about it earlier, the Kodiak, which was a Khador jack that I always liked. I like the fluff of him. The fluff of him is he's supposed to be more nimble. He has 2 open fists with these sort of like gauntleted, like spiked things, and Craig always used to call him Mitten Man. He looked like big mittens. And the theory is he uses those fists to kind of bend trees out of his way, and he's more nimble. Now, I always love this model because he had this cool ability of a chain attack. And a chain attack is you hit with your one fist, you hit with your second fist, you get to hit your third fist, it knocks the thing down, your enemy down. But
third fist?
What's a third attack? If your first 2 attacks hit, you get a free third attack.
Right. But on top of that, it says that these fists do an extra die of damage if a target is knocked down.
Right.
So I always wanted to get my enemy knocked down so I could pummel with the fists.
Yep.
And in the old ways, it would take 2 models to do that. You had to knock down the enemy model with something else, and then you could use your Mitten Man.
Gotcha.
And then point-wise, you'd go, well, why am I using 2 models to take down 1? That's not effective. I better take the Kodiak out.
Right.
So what Privateer Press did, which I loved and wanted to play test, I didn't even theory game this. I just stuck him on the table and wanted to see how he worked. His mat increases by 1, so his mat goes to 6, which doesn't sound like much, but Russ will tell you was huge.
It was huge. He hit, every time he hit Striker, with exactly the number he needed.
Oh,
so if his mat had been 1 lower, he'd have missed. He needed 10s to hit me. And now, again, he had, for Warmachine,
had a little extra sauce on
he
that.
He had signs of importance up, so he's rolling an extra die and picking the 2 best and all these other woo-joo going on there.
Yeah.
But I had disrupted him with all my Signar abilities. Here's another thing, too. Signar throws a lot of disruption out there, which means you can't allocate focus to jacks. And we've talked about in the past in the show, allocating focus means it makes a jack more powerful.
Which is why people are whining that
Right.
if you make it more Jacko-centric, then the guys that can disrupt them.
But the thing they're forgetting is this increase in mat and pow makes the jacks usable without their focus.
Right.
Because they're still going to hit you. I mean, you've got a jack here in base-to-base contact with my Warcaster that is hitting me. Now, he does have signs of importance up, but still, he's hitting a defense 16, with 2 dice and an extra one to get you a better number. And he's hitting me over and over again, and it was really tough to get out of. And I had same thing with my jacks. I've had jacks where the cortex is knocked out. They're still effective. Or I can't get focused to them for the reason, or I don't have that extra focus I need. They're still in there because that extra mat and the extra pow. And that pow is huge too, right? Rafe, you were actually beating.
Yeah,
beat
so
my
here's
Charger
the
right down.
rest of the story. The old rules, I always wanted to headbutt with my Kodiak, knock the guy down, use my fists. But the statisticians would say that's just ineffectual. It's dumb. You might just use your 3 focus
The
to
Matrix
just pound the
gamers.
guy.
Right. Yep.
Right? Matrix gamers.
Yep.
Well, now it's very feasible. I can you put 3 focus on the jack, which is the max you can do.
Yep.
If I want to, I can just pummel him and chain attack and do whatever. Or I can spend my 1 to headbutt with no minus and a better rat.
Yep.
Knock the guy down, hit with my next 2 fists, in theory, and they're boosted. So I can play my little cool thing that's on the Kodiak. It was very fluffy. It was in my head.
Cool.
And, the Matrix gamers may go, that's still dumb. You should do XYQ. I don't care. The other method works too.
It worked great. So that's huge. So and that makes the jacks right there a little better. But that's not all. They also improved.
But wait, there's more.
Trampling. And Norbert wanted to make sure we mentioned this. So trampling is the ability for a large jack to run through infantry models, small-based troops.
Yeah.
Now we have to tell non-Warmachine initiates why this is important and why it was infantry machine. Because when it was infantry machine, if I wanted to take jacks because they're cool, my opponent could take infantry and essentially gum the crap out of my jack.
Right. You can gum your jack up because not all jacks have the ability to kill massive amounts of infantry.
Right, sure.
Some do, but
my
not all of them.
jack's going to kill an infantry model easily because my power is so strong. I'm going to squish the guy to a pulp. But when there's 10 of them, I'm going to be stuck in combat.
Right. And so what trampling was added a while ago, and quite a while ago, that allowed you to charge these models. But the problem was
that a big flaw.
In Warmachine, whenever you're engaged in hand-to-hand combat, you always have the option to leave hand-to-hand combat, but the opponent gets a free strike, which basically means a free swing at you, and it's bonuses to hit, it's boosted, it's nasty. Well, if your jack runs across infantry, every infantry model you don't kill will get a free swing at you in the
in the
old rules. And don't forget, your mat was lower before, and you don't have enough focus to boost every single one of these trample swings. So you're running across, 8 infantry models, or however many it is, or 3 or 4 or 5. You can't boost to hit. Their defense is really high. Your mat's not that good, and every one you miss hits you, boosted. So now what they've done is, first of all, your mat's better, so you got a better chance of hitting these guys. Second of all, now Trample says every model you pass over, even if you don't kill them, cannot swing back at you because they're busy getting out of the way. So a small infantry model that if you pass your base over every single one, none of them get to swing back at you, even if you miss them all. And if some of them are outside of that radius, they can still swing back at you, but it's greatly reduced the number of free strikes against your jack. Yeah. So now it's much easier to get across that infantry and get out of the way.
But you do still need the space at the end of your run to place your base.
Yes, you do. You still need
it's not a free pass, but
it's better.
It's a lot better.
It's much better, yeah. Now, the other big thing...
And to go back to that, though, it's not a mindless little fix like, oh, now you don't have to. It's not going to be easy to pull off sometimes.
Right.
It's another tool in your toolbox.
Yeah, the super heavy infantry player still's got options.
Yeah, exactly.
But his option, it's not as easy. It's not a no-brainer for him anymore. He's got to think about it.
Right. Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, the other big thing they changed was the Warjacks had a rule. Warjacks had these cool little boxes on them, like kind of like Battletech we talked about before. Then you get damage, you mark these little parts off.
With a grease pencil.
With a grease pencil. And some of these boxes have little letters in them, which stand for systems. Like there's L's in some boxes, which is your left arm, and there's R's for your right arm, and there's C's for Cortex. And the Cortex is needed to allocate focus. And when all these when all the L's are wiped out, your left arm in the old Warmachine would fall off, figuratively, and would not work anymore. Any systems on that arm wouldn't fail. If there was a gun there, it didn't work. If it was an axe, you couldn't swing it. And if you ever lost 3 systems in Warmachine, your Jack was crippled and was essentially out of the game. There were some few ways to get it back, but for all intents and purposes, if you lost 3 systems, your Jack was out. So lucky combinations of die rolling could really wipe a Jack, even a high damage count Jack out. But now Jacks are functional and can still work until the very last model on them is erased. The very last box is erased. So these guys now can't be stopped until you fill every single box. Now, taking out the systems still matters. The systems become crippled, but you can't stop them wholesale, which is huge. I mean, Rafe, what do you think? You get those big, heavy Khador Jacks. How do they feel now?
Oh man, they're awesome. But that's not what I was thinking. What I was thinking is huge about it is, again, that's what made infantry machine is you'd pay, me, I might spend 132 points was a Spriggan. That's a lot of points in a 500 point battle, and his main weapons is the lance, and you just damage it half, or you pull lucky and you blow his lance off, he's ineffective.
Right.
So people go, geez, for 132 points, I can get 2 full units of something.
Now, his lance is still, we didn't talk about this yet, so you got to box him all the way out to kill him. But if you box out all of his L's and his lance is in his left hand, let's say, for example, in the old rules, his lance would be not usable anymore. In the new rules now, his lance is crippled. He can still swing the lance. He just gets 1 less die to hit you. Okay? But he can still boost that for 2 dice. And remember, his mat's better now, so he's a reasonable chance of hitting you. And in fact, I think I hit you twice yesterday.
You did.
With a crippled system and no boosting. Right?
Yep.
Which is unbelievable. Because again, remember, the Khador, so here's a good example. My Ironclad is toe-to-toe with a Spriggan, let's say, right? My Ironclad's hammer, which is POW 18, massive hammer, is crippled. Under the old rules, that POW 18 is out of the game. Under the new rules, I now only roll 1 die to hit you. But the Ironclad's mat is 7, and the defense on a Khador Warjack is like 10. I need to roll a 3 on 1 die. He can still hit you, and his damage for a crippled system is not reduced. So his damage is still full. So that weapon is still lethal. My Hunter did it too, right? He fired from way far away with his crippled gun, still hits you.
Yeah, Craig, I had Vlad up against the Hunter.
Yep.
And Vlad has an ability to ignore free strike. So remember that thing we're telling you about trample.
Yep.
So Vlad can leave combat whenever he wants and not get hit. And Vlad wants to go after Striker. And I know the Hunter's totally damaged, but for 2 boxes or something.
Right, he would have been crippled in the old rules and out of the game, but now he's got 2 little boxes left.
Yep.
And I knew that rule's in the game, but I somehow forgot. So I leave combat, and then later he shoots me. I'm like, you can't shoot me. You're totally... And I'm like, oh, you
right
can't.
In the back. It's awesome. The Jacks don't die anymore, unless you really beat the snot out of them. And the other thing that makes Jacks better is the shake it off rule. We already talked about that, but that's huge. Because infantry doesn't have that. So knocking down infantry is still great. Knocking down Jacks, not so much.
Right.
Not so great.
The other thing they did to make Jacks better was actually they nerfed Cav.
Which I'm glad they did.
Cav used to be equally good at killing infantry and Jacks. What they've done now is Cav have lost a lot of their damage boxes, and they've lost a lot of their abilities that were good against Jacks. And so now they're more anti-infantry unit, and which makes sense, because in the fluff of the universe, if your cavalry was really that good, why would you ever build Jacks?
Right.
Now the Jacks are definitely better than Cav. Cav still have their place. They're still great. I still love mine, but they're not Jack killers, and you need to keep them away from the Jacks. So I like how they've done that with the Cav. So the Jacks are back, and they're back with a vengeance. And just to tell everybody, I've played 4 25-point games now, which again is kind of a low point value. Every single one of those games has had that my opponents have brought 2 heavy Jacks with them, and I've only brought 1 with me. And I've lost every one of those because I can't kill both heavy Jacks. They just don't die. I mean, you need to really be focused to kill them.
Oh. You've never really built your striker list is really
well.
Not that
my striker list is not that, but still, I can't stop 2 heavy Jacks. I can't kill them. Big problem. But when was the last time you saw someone in like a 500-point game bring 2 heavy Jacks? You don't see that very often.
Right.
Mark 1.
I did.
You did?
Yep.
Well, you did.
I did.
Yeah, you lost a lot too. See,
I did.
Me.
Yeah.
See, right
Now
your list is rocking.
Now your list would be rocking.
All right, and last thing here before we get to analysis is they also have attempted to innovate in a way. I guess the only way I can describe this last big rule change And I think they're just doing it to make it more unique. I think, in fact, I think I'll go back to Craig's comment, too. I think they did the point thing to differentiate themselves, to make it just different, I think.
I think that was Rafe.
Or Rafe. And I think this one is, too.
Got your back, buddy.
Thanks, man. They really changed how the infantry unit formation rules work. In Mark I Warmachine, infantry formations is essentially like most other infantry formation games. And that is that you're to be within a certain radius of other models in that unit, right? So you can string them all along in a big line as long as they're all within 2 or 3 inches of each other or 4 inches, whatever the rule is, depending on the unit. That's fine. Now, it works more like a game I used to really enjoy, Starship Troopers, and I think AT-43 works this way a little bit too. But it's radial command radius now, right? So, which is redundant.
That sounds redundant.
I know, radial command radius.
They use little radios?
No.
Radial tires.
In your unit, right? In your unit, one of the guys is the commander, and the commander has a command value, and that command value is two things. It's the number you need to roll equal to or under on 2d6 not to run away when bad things happen to you, but also it is now the distance from the commander a model in your unit must be to be within formation or less, right? So if your command radius is a 9, your command is an 8, let's say, all the models in the unit must be within 8 of the commander, and if they're not, the models that are not are out of formation. And the out of formation rules are very clear. If you're out of formation, you can only move towards the unit, the commander, to get information, and if you're out of formation at the time you're going to attack, you may not attack. So you really don't function very well out of formation. I like this a lot. I think it makes it simple. Now, in the initial Mark II rules, you had to always move information, which was causing all kinds of weirdness, and they just removed that in the April 10th release. And now, basically, as long as you start in formation and end in formation, you're fine. And if you end up moving so you're not in formation, those guys just don't attack. That's basically what I read it, the way I read it now. The other thing they did was interesting is they made it so that if that little leader of your unit dies, the little hero there that leads your unit, you just immediately replace another model with him. So you basically can't kill the leader off. So there's always a commander given that command radius. And they reduced fleeing now is a lot simpler too. So what happens with fleeing now is you basically just roll and run back, and just it's just much simplified now. So Rafe, what do you think of the new unit formation rules? Because they're different. I mean, how do you think that impacts the game?
I didn't notice much playability different. Maybe because I always grouped my guys near my commander anyway. I don't know. It didn't. I played Iron Fangs in my test game.
Did you find any of your shield walling or anything affected by it at all, or no?
No, not at all.
Now, is there a change in shield wall?
Well, yeah. Well, sort of. No, shield wall's the same.
You have to be in base to base?
Yeah, you just have to be in base to base. You don't get the benefit if you're attacked from the rear. More what I noticed was the streamlining of the stats. So with Iron Fangs, you could upgrade them with an officer and a standard bearer, and the standard bearer could do one thing, and the officer could do a different thing, and then the leader could do a different thing. That's all gone now. They have shield wall. The officer can issue an order, which is very clear, and they have
and standard bearers are all standardized across the game now. There's no text on the standard bearer's card.
Right.
It's an icon now with a flag. It's like a weapon. Yeah. And all standards do is you reroll failed command checks.
And when he dies, he dies. There's nobody picks up the banner.
Right.
And when the officer dies, the officer dies. The only one that can be field promoted is the sergeant.
Right.
Which is cool because now there's no more sniping the sergeant.
Right. But what's
so
a big
you don't
deal
have
is,
to worry about
here's the nuances though. Some of the commanders, when you add a commander to your unit, his command is larger than your other guy's command, which now has two effects in the game, right? You got a better chance of passing your morale checks, but also your command radius has gotten bigger and your unit can be in a wider formation. The other thing that's interesting is spells and feats that reduce command are huge because now they force your units to tighten up, right?
Yes.
So they've reduced a lot of those, by the way, from the game, but they're still in there. I think one of someone's Crix has a feat that does it. And so those are Denegra, yeah.
Does it? Because I know it affects most stats. Does it affect
maybe
leadership?
There's one of the ones that Dale's I heard that talked about too, but that's a big deal. And
I think Denegra's does do it.
Yeah, and that's a big deal, right? Because now you're like, I got a group of my guys tight together, and if you were out of formation, you're in trouble.
Especially against that army because that's got lots of templates,
lots of sprays and templates. Yeah, so it's a neat little mechanic. So I like how it makes the command number because so many games, including Warmachine, have gone down the trail where they start adding so much fearless stuff or whatever, the command number starts to have little value, right? You never break or whatever. They've reduced a lot of that, so you break more often again. GW does this too, right? But also, now the value actually has a lot of meaning. Another big place Crix players are complaining is one of their units, because they're brainless, their command's like 6.
Ooh.
Think about that, 6 inches for command radius, and it's one of their bigger units. I think.
Yeah.
So it's like, what do you do?
It's a big blob of guys.
And so there's a
blob of guys.
And I think they mentioned this on the pod thralls, the PBS Kevin. He's like, well, there's an attachment that makes them bigger.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
like, well, buy the guy. And they're like, well, yeah, but I got to buy the guy. So, So that's the big changes to the unit. So the two changes that I think were sort of like innovative and no one's really sure exactly why they did it. It's just sort of interesting are the points and the unit formations, whereas everything else is
I'll give you that.
I think pretty clearly was about fixing the game where it needs to be fixed.
I like the unit formation thing.
I like it too. I loved it in Starship Troopers. I loved it in Starship Troopers. Because one of the things that I think GW players have run into before too is I don't like the idea of taking a large unit and just stringing them all along the entire table for whatever tactical advantage that is, and because it breaks game mechanics and putting them in little pods. And Warmachine had the problem too, where you could string on these long units and that just removes that from the game, which is nice.
Now, so that Craig doesn't have a heart attack, since we want to get him. He's not going to China tomorrow, but on the last train to China,
right.
I think the analysis part we can kind of wrap up and really get a good summation here.
Yeah, I think we can. So I'm just going to give my summations here. We're going to hopefully have Norbert on, but we'll get Norbert in the future. So let's go through I'm just going to go through my thoughts.
Yeah,
and
you
then
go first.
Craig will give his thoughts, and then you can give your thoughts, and then we'll call it a wrap up.
Call it a day.
So my thoughts after playing my few games and playing it, the game feels smoother to me. But it also feels the same. I don't know what to tell you. It's not like a totally different game, or like they really redid the whole game. Even though they did, it's a lot of work on what they're doing. But it just feels smoother. I feel less trapped. I feel like I can't get boxed in as easily as I used to be able to. Yes. And I disagree with a couple of the pundits. I've been listening to some other podcasts. Pundit. Not to be confused with pandits or.
I tried to correct
Pundits.
him behind the curtain, and he just wouldn't look at my note.
So I disagree with some of the pundits. One of the things I've heard.
There's no N. There's one N. There's not two N's.
Pundit. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
You learn something every day on the show. Pundit. I disagree with some of our pundit friends out there.
There you go.
One of them is there have been some complaints that even though they made Jax better, they really want the ability for Jax to be able to heal their Cortex when it's knocked out.
It's a machine.
And the reason they want this is they feel that Hordes is a huge advantage because it's so much easier to heal the War Beasts, and that once the Cortex is knocked out, the Jack is now useless. But I don't know. You're right. I've seen too much Jacks do really, really great stuff without their Cortexes, especially now with the new higher Mat and Rat. And I really think it would remove the flavor difference between Hordes and Warmachine.
Yep.
I think that needs to stay in there. So I would,
and they have more boxes than,
they have many more boxes.
Beasts have
right,
circles.
It's much easier to turn kill a War Beast. It's very hard to kill a heavy Warjack now in one turn. Really,
and Russ's point is, if you do hit, you don't lose your die of damage.
Right.
Which
you'll often do in Hordes.
Which Hordes can do that because depending on which track they go down. Yeah, so I would plead to Privateer to don't listen to that. Stay on course, stay on target, stay on target.
What would even be the justification of a machine that can heal itself? I mean,
I don't know.
When you see that in science fiction, it's like some rare, super powerful.
It's like the Warcaster. And besides, you do have Jack.
I was going to say the mechanics can do it.
There are more mechanics out there that can do it. So
and there are factions that don't have those now, but the plan is that everybody will get them.
Have them. So I can't really agree with that. Even
like
Norbert
you said,
was
Russ, your guy's Mat 7. I'm defense 10.
Yeah, I know. Exactly you're right. They're gonna. Yeah, I don't know. Now the other thing too is, some of the we talked about this earlier. Some of the pundits also didn't like the fact that there's immunity. Pundit, damn it! I'm gonna be thinking about that all week. Some of the pundits were saying how they didn't like the immunity abilities. We talked about this, right? Where the lightning, Signar being immune to lightning. I think that's perfect. I love that. Give me more of that kind of fluff in the game. Make me think about outside the box. I'm going to have to fight Signar with Signar. I like that. I think that's brilliant. I think it makes sense. It feels right. My suit of armor should work like it's supposed to. I got no problem with that. Heavy Jacks are brutal to fight. That's one of the big things, my takeaway. And I went to battle with only one both times, all my battles, and I regretted it. I wish I had brought my Thunderhead too, because they're just awesome now. I can't imagine. I think almost feel like you should just squeeze one in whenever you can. I don't know what else to say about that. Probably not. I'm sure better players than I have got all kinds of great finesse ways to work without too heavy warjacks, but man, they're awesome. And I'm really impressed with the process that Privateer Press is doing here. And I think more companies should look at how they're doing this. I think, the beta test is a great idea. I think the way they're getting great results, they're assembling the information properly. They're going to be looking at this for the whole rest of the year now, up to the end of April. Look at the data, compile it, figure out what they're going to change. And they are listening to the fans out there. Norbert mentioned to me that, people seem to like the fact they've reduced some of the die rolling, like some of the special moves like Thresher, which is an attack where the War Beast or Jack, in this case, can attack every model that's within his melee arc. And before, you'd roll an attack against every model. So 6 models, 6 attacks. Now you roll one attack, and you just compare it against all the defensive values, and everybody's hit is down. And the fans are saying, great, why not do that with spray templates? Save us time for that. And,
why don't you do that with Trample?
Right. And Privateer's saying, maybe not a bad idea. So they're thinking about it. So that's the great, this kind of thing, it's just a great way to, I think just getting great feedback on that. But I also respect that it's not game designed by committee.
Me too.
Privateer's out there saying, you know what? That's an interesting idea, but that's not what we're doing. PPS said it to the Thralls a couple times. PPS Kevin did, and I think also just in general, you can see that they're not pushing. They're not, they're holding firm on the Cortex thing. I think that's good. They've got their vision. They're going with it. They're listening to the fans where it matters, and they're really taking their opinions into account. But they still know that at the end of the day, it's their game, and they want it to play their way, and they're going to do that. I think that's the right way to go. So that's my thoughts. Craig?
My thoughts. Well, unfortunately, I didn't get a game in, and I really did want to.
We're all saddened by your loss.
Yes, and it was my loss. I have to say that with the timing of Mark II coming out with the IG Codex,
it was a lost hope, really.
It was really. I think it was an uphill battle from the beginning. There was a moment right before the Mark II rules came out where it was a historical moment where I was thinking, is it going to pull me back in? Because it very well could, and it didn't. And that's no fault of the game. I think they're making a lot of great choices. I think the process that they're going through, like you said, the word I would connect with it is ownership. Yeah. It's giving the community ownership of this, meaning, and like you said, they're not being dictated to, and they're when they're holding the line, when they have a reason to hold the line. But everybody or most people in the community are feeling like they have some ownership in this change. They're not being dictated to from above, from on high. I think that's great. I don't get the points like we were talking about before. It'll be interesting to see how that evolves, that whole simplification of the point system. Building my list yesterday, I see Rafe's got this coming up also. The 25-point game that I had agreed to because I thought that would be a quicker game. It was going to be very hard to fit what I wanted to fit into that 25 points. And I'll play and I'll enjoy it. But it's not... I'm not going to be buying any more models. It's not going to be something that
I think
I'm going to be
35
going
points is probably
to.
the typical game size. Most people
I think what you're going to find is that in lieu of the 500-point game, you're going to see like a 35-point.
I agree.
Right.
No, but I think I've watched a couple games, and they seem clearer. You can't go anywhere in the game store without hearing Russ say, and then I shield bash you, and things like that. So somebody's having fun.
Even if it's just Russ.
Even if it's just Russ.
I don't know. That's another famous line, isn't it, Craig?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm having fun. Russ, I hate this game. Well, I'm having fun.
Clearly, you're laboring under the misconception that I'm here to entertain you.
Right. My enjoyment is not contingent on your enjoyment.
So that's me. I mean, that's as much of a review as I can give it without having played.
I'm going to jump to the middle of mine and more wrap it up by...
All right, go for it.
By talking about the kind of overall feel. So I on purpose brought a list to test, my Vlad list, which I've played a lot with a lot of models. Ooh, Craig, I thought this was interesting. I secretly chose to play a fully painted army. Even though I wanted to play the Beast and Draco and some newer models.
Rafe has secretly decided to play a fully painted army.
And here's the secret part. Russ did too.
Yep.
Ooh.
It was awesome.
So we played fully painted on fully painted, which was really cool.
I guess I'm not getting the whole secret part, but I love you, man.
I didn't tell Russ I was being painted, and he brought a painted one too.
Right.
Yep.
That's the secret.
Oh, gotcha.
So,
I really got to pay Jeremiah.
So I wanted to bring the Kodiak to see how he did. I wanted to bring Vlad to see how he did. I really wanted to test out the difference. Now, the game length went the same way. Now, Russ and I have a long standing history of playing Vlad versus Stryker. And the game was just as fun under the new rules. I was waiting for Stryker to knock me down, and he was waiting for Vlad to come in. So, the Mark II rules were just as good.
Now,
and they pulled some nerfs on Vlad.
Can I ask you a question?
Yep.
Okay, so your game went just as good, is what you're saying.
Yep.
Same game cleaned up, or different game that you enjoyed just as much?
Different game that I enjoyed just as much.
Interesting.
Yeah, I just said same game clean up.
Yeah? Oh, really?
I don't think my force played differently from last time.
Yeah.
I think I just had to think things through a little differently, but I don't think anything played really different.
So it's adjusting to some
like
of the
for
new
me,
stuff.
like, here's Vlad doing wind wall. That's not new, and that's still annoying. Not in a bad way.
Right.
It's just like, how do I deal? Okay, I'm going to deal with that. So there were some new things like his jacks are more powerful, but I felt mine being just as powerful. So I didn't. It was good. I like it. I like it. I like the jacks are back. Jacks are back,
yeah,
baby.
yeah.
It's the Jacks. Jacks are back.
Jacks are back. Jacks are back. Jacks are back.
Okay.
What I liked too was
Getting late.
Vlad got nerfed a little bit. He's still annoying Vlad. He still has Blood of Kings. He still has Signs. But they did take away Mimic. And I, on purpose, wanted to see, okay, I don't have Mimic, big deal. I kind of
What's Mimic for the listeners who don't play?
Oh, sorry, yeah. Mimic was the ability for Vlad to copy the rules off of any enemy warcaster's melee weapon.
Right.
Within his control area, I believe it was.
But see, that's a really smart move because if you think about that for a minute, if Vlad can take any other warcaster's weapon, how do you balance that model? Because in certain games, he's a totally different piece, right?
Yeah,
yep.
True.
So that's a really smart fix.
I agree.
Because you look at that and go, geez, wow, Vlad's totally different depending who he's playing against.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's fitting what I hear you guys saying about PPS Kevin's vision, which is that never worked against hordes because it didn't say warlock. And I always bug that because I like Vlad, the fluff of Vlad. So now I'm happy he doesn't have Mimic. Who cares? Get rid of Mimic.
You used that new ability
Vlad
against me today, actually. I did yesterday, right?
Right.
You used that new ability to cast a spell on me and get Stryker in trouble. So that was good.
What new ability?
The new ability is if Vlad kills a living model in, with his sword in melee, he gets this thing called Blood Boon. He can cast a spell for 3 or less for free.
Right.
Oh, wow.
So he charged the gun mage, killed the gun mage, and then got Blood of Kings up for Signs of Portents up for free, which is what his Jack used to kill Stryker. So it was a good
And
move.
you can only do it once. Can't kill 3 and cast 3 spells.
Once per turn.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So
it's fluffy, flavorful, but not overpowering.
Right.
And so, in other words, that
it's sort
was
of vampiric
fun
too. If you think about
it is
to do that. I wanted to see how that played, and that was fun. So, here I was talking to Christian about it, and Christian, and I don't know if I can speak for Ragnar, but Christian is not a huge fan of Warmachine. And I was explaining to him, I'm like, it's the same game, Chris. So if people hated Warmachine before, you're not going to love it now. It's the same basic game.
Right.
But they did make changes to it, which I think streamlined it, which I'm enjoying.
Gotcha. So you don't see it winning over a lot more people?
No.
You just see it ultimately making the game, the community that's already playing it healthier and enjoy it more?
I think yes, and newbies coming into it have probably, arguably, without the icon issue, an easier transition time.
I think it makes a better first impression.
Better first impression.
But if there's certain elements of the game, the way the game works,
people who have already looked at it and decided against it probably won't be sucked in.
probably not.
Gotcha.
I mean, maybe.
No.
I doubt it.
Somebody will. I bet there's somebody out
There'll
there.
be one or two.
Yeah.
And there'll be some people that leave because that's how it is. People will be like, hey, you move my cheese, I'm out of here.
I did notice this. I was talking to Sid recently. We haven't heard about
how's
Sid.
he doing?
He's doing very well.
Oh, good.
And he's not really up to speed on the changes. And when I was telling him some of them, him being a very competitive and good player was guess what in which camp?
They moved his cheese.
They moved his cheese.
Yeah, that's all right.
They moved his cheese.
Well, yeah, Josh didn't like it either. They moved his cheese too. So
I'm beginning to think that, because he's like, oh, I liked all those different combos. Well, I think he liked them because he had a brain that could handle them.
In 3 sentences or less, Russ, explain the whole concept of moved cheese.
Oh, well, it references a book.
Right.
Called
And the idea is...
There's 2 or 3 different types of mice, aren't there?
Yeah, I don't know all the detail. Rafe, do you know better than I do? I think you might.
Nah, I can't remember.
But basically the idea is that, it references the rat in the maze idea, and you have the rat run the maze, and then you take the cheese and move in a different spot, and now the rat's confused because he went back to where it was, right?
I think it breaks down to at least 2. There's 2 types of mice. There's the mouse that somebody stole my cheese and they starved to death,
right?
Because the cheese isn't there anymore.
Right.
And there's the somebody moved my cheese mouse, which is I have to go find a different route to the cheese.
Right.
That's exactly it, Craig.
Yes. And then I think it makes a great double little pun because also they've literally moved the cheese in the game from one jack to another. Yeah. So you have to look around for that. So that is Warmachine Mark II, our take on it, and tune in again in 2010 when Mark II is released, and maybe we'll take a look at the shiny new books.
Wait, real quick, don't bow out on that. No, because that asked me. So I didn't realize this. The beta testing's done at the end of April?
Yes.
Oh,
and
really?
what if people are like, I've never played, but I want to get into this now? We can still play with the PDF rules. It's just they're not going to accept changes.
No, actually, they're going to come to the store and pull it out of your hand.
They're going to come to your house.
Oh,
this might count as a picking on him part again.
Oh, sorry. Love you, man.
W. That wasn't a dumb comment at all. It was great.
You owe me an even bigger gift from China now.
Oh, good. I'll give you double the gift I was going to get you.
Nice.
No, but seriously, so if somebody's on the edge of playing, it's not like they got to wait till 2010.
Well, no.
I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say most of the people outside of the tournament circuit are going to be playing Mark II.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's the newest thing.
Yeah. But officially, it's no longer.
Right.
It's offline.
They're not going to be accepting any more comments.
Right, and I think the rules will be taken down. Now, of course, people are going to have them everywhere, but yeah, they'll be done, and then they're going to do something to it. They're going to edit it, and then poof, it'll come out in its book.
They'll tweak it enough so that you can't just play with your PDF, too.
Well, not only that, it doesn't matter. You'll want the cool color rulebook.
Right, well, yeah, if you're Russ.
Yeah, if you're anybody who enjoys artwork.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, so now you're an art critic.
I am.
Well,
I'm not.
Well, you're very critical.
I'm not an art critic, but I know what I like.
Now you're a senator.
So anyway,
right.
so
I now give you permission to end.
All right, is that Warmachine Mark II? All right, that is Warmachine Mark II.
There you go.
Tune again in 2010 when we see it for real.
This Did You Ever Notice is brought to you by a listener who would like you to know that his favorite game shop is Top Deck Games, Tulsa, Oklahoma's premier game shop. Do you ever notice how competition can sometimes bring out the worst in people? I mean, people who are normally the most pleasant and even-minded individuals suddenly undergo a Jekyll and Hyde-like transformation into trollish, greedy, and grasping shadows of their former selves. That's a little melodramatic, but you get the idea. Now, don't get the idea that I'm casting stones with impunity here. I think I'm as susceptible as the next guy. Which is why I think it's important we all face it and stay away of it constantly. Other than saints, I think everyone has a tendency, when there's a win or loss on the line, to see the world through a slightly skewed perspective where their case is shown in the best light, and the flaws and mistakes of their competition stand out in stark relief. Possibly the most insidious and common example of this phenomenon is the do as I say, not as I do, or Deus Naid complex. You know it. You've seen it. You've most likely done it once or twice, to one extent or another. It's the easiest competition pitfall to trip into when you're striving to win. Because you know what you're doing, while what the other guy's doing automatically seems a little subconsciously shady to you, because it might steal away your coveted victory. By far, this was the most common example of what I would call poor sportsmanship at Adepticon. Probably because it's one of the most difficult to regulate. There are statements in the rule packets about it, and everyone knows, on a conscious level at least, that it's not kosher. But in the heat of competition, it's a lot harder both to notice when you're doing it, or to see it being done until after the fact, unless you've been watching the game from the beginning. Firstly, let me define my term. What am I talking about, basically? Well, let's say you're starting the game a little fast and loose with your movement, or you forgot to shoot a unit, or use a special ability, or run, or what have you. A little sheepish look at your opponent, they nod, either with a good sport smile or a tight you better scratch my back when the time comes for it look, and on you go. Later in the game, your opponent forgets a roll or forgot to move a model or what have you, and assumes, since he allowed you to fix the issue, you'd extend him the same courtesy. Here's where we run into trouble, because you don't let him. In fact, quite a few of you got offended that he's even trying. The extended goodwill from the beginning of the game is either forgotten or irrelevant, due maybe to the fact that it didn't seem quite so important in the beginning, or a single move seemed to have less to do with critical objectives or targets. The key is, before, when you did it, it was different. It was less serious or less important or what have you. Now, it's critical, game-breaking, and it would be completely unfair to your tactical genius in the fantastic rolling of your dice. I saw it happen over and over again. I saw it up close and personal, and I saw it from afar. I saw guys I know very well and have great respect for do it, and I saw guys I'd never met before do it to me. I even did it once myself, but that was more of a case of I could never remember what we're doing with leaners from one game to the next. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. The killer is always when your opponent has let you do several things out of sequence over the course of the game, and then, in the last turn, he forgot to unload his supermassive Destructo unit on your last objective-holding T-shirt for armor-wearing unit. You think you've made it because he's forgotten, he's moved on to an inconsequential assault, shifting away from the shooting phase, and then he notices. He looks at you, and you say no? I mean, when you did it, there were still plenty of things that could have gone wrong, right? When you did it, there were still ways for him to counter your moves. Wrong. If you've established that you're going to be able to go back in time, he should too, even if it's a move that's going to cost you the game. That's why they call it sportsmanship. Quite often a really bad game can be traced to this behavior. A guy who seemed cool and laid back for the whole game suddenly becomes a fiend. Think back to how you've been treated by him, and if you've recently denied him similar treatment. And that's it, really. Either start the game hardcore, no taking things back and no playing out of turn, or, if something establishes a different pattern early on, and you've benefited from it, you've got to let it stand. The Isnaid complex isn't pretty, but it's treatable. Either take a deep breath and accept what's coming your way as you're due, or establish the hard and fast rules at the outset when they would have benefited you. Don't let your thirst for victory steer you down the wrong path, the path to asshattery. No one wants to end up there. That's all for this episode. Thanks for listening, and good night.
Achievement unlocked! You've made it to the end of another D6 Generation episode, the podcast whose humor has universally been acclaimed as not too horrible. Please let us know what you thought of the show by either emailing us at info@the d6generation.com or by posting in our official D6G episode thread at the top of the DACA Discussions Forum on DACA.com. If for some inexplicable reason you actually enjoyed this show, you can help others find out about it by leaving positive reviews on iTunes. See you in 2 weeks. Thanks for listening, and happy gaming.
The theme from When Wives Attack comes from the soundtrack of The Last Night on Earth, the zombie game, courtesy of Flying Frog Productions, and is a composition of Mary Beth Magalanes. When Christmas, I'm Mr. Lost but can't find.
All right. All righty, are we ready to start this excuse of the show? Here we go.
Paul Anka said something in Achievements?
What?
Today's Achievements in Gaming is brought to you by Paul Anka.
We want you to know.
Who would like you to know. I don't know any Paul Anka songs, so there goes that.
Oh, me neither.
In a world where nobody knew any Paul Anka songs.
We got it. Okay. All right.
Who could stand up against Paul Anka?
Russ
Can you read this okay?
Only one man, Russ Wakeland.
In a world. Stop! All right, here we go.
I hope you're recording that. It's hilarious.
Okay, we're going to go live.
In a world where Russ had no control over his own podcast.
All right, we are going live, for God's sake.
He would continue trying to start, no matter who stopped
Here we
him,
go.
no matter who
We're going
was in
live.
his way.
3, 2.
In a world where Russ couldn't count.
I'm keeping it here till midnight. That's the end of it.
In a world where Russ Wakeland could not count to 3.
All right, here we go.
Can we get professional?
All right.
Jesus, you guys, this is how we waste time.